You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and our guest for this episode is former NFL player Josh Walker. Josh is an avid outdoorsman, hunter, conservationist. He's also the host of his own podcast, Retired to Hunt. I really enjoyed having him in to record this podcast this evening. We set some records. This was the longest podcast recorded in Mountainside history. It was an absolute blast, and I hope you enjoy our conversation.
In 2019, he won the World Elk Con Championship. Like, beat Corey Jacobson, beat all those guys.
Damn,
like,
I'm just going to start right here. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were just talking about, sorry, bring him up again?
Yeah, so Jermaine Hodge, man, a homeboy of mine. I actually just, I was online somewhere and I saw something about Jermaine Hodge. I'm like, who is this light-skinned brother? Like, what's he got going on? All of a sudden I hear him call. I'm like, whoa, this dude's next level. Then all of a sudden I get to reading about him. I want to say it was 2019. He won the World Elk Con. The big boy
really?
Won the worlds, man. Like, he's legit, like true predator. Some of the stuff he was telling me about, some of the nuances and little things that he does in the woods, as it pertains to calling elk, just blew my mind, the little stuff he does. And he's from North Carolina, man.
Really?
But been out here since like 05, 06, so, he's got years in it.
Yeah.
And he kills them, man. Every year, him and his family, like, they are good hunters.
So did you know him before you did the podcast?
Never met him. Just saw
Really?
him and hit him up. I was like, dude, I'd love to have you on the show. You know what I'm saying? And then we actually went to Western Hunt Fest, that Pack 'em Out Apparel puts out. Shout out to them, man, down in American Bowman. And we met up there and, we shot the shit for a little bit. And I was like, dude, he's cool as hell. Like, and I'm like, hey, come, let's do a podcast episode. He's like, man, I'd love to. I said, come to the house. We whipped up some burgers and all this other stuff after the deal, and we recorded. But the reason I mentioned that was we were talking about the recorder, man, and my mics, I need to get more, probably directional mics, because we were sitting on my patio. It's in, May, right? So it's nice outside, but literally every creak in the wood, right, as you're in the gazebo, just get picked up on the mic. But that's not the recorder's fault. I think it's more on the mic.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. These SM75s or Shure mics, whatever these are, these have been the jam.
These are the way to go.
We started with some smaller mics that were just cheap, and they work great, but they picked up like street noise, and we got the street right here. So in the summer, it sounds like we're at a biker rally sometimes, even with this, but these cut them down a lot.
Yeah.
But I love doing podcasts outside. We've recorded a couple outside.
So fun, man.
And the cool thing about this is battery powered. So we went to a spot where there was we recorded video and audio with no power. It was only about an hour long.
Sure, yeah, that's about
but
all
it was cool. It was during COVID, and we were trying to get somebody in from Parks and Wildlife, and then we ended up with, what was that? Denver Mountain Parks? It was a park ranger or some sort. And we just went through some shit of, like, people leaving dog shit bags on the trail and, like, all the stupid shit,
So real quick, we were talking earlier about where I live. I'm out in the sticks, but I'm by a pretty major trailhead. And one of the only other things outside of the instance that I told y'all about a second ago, man, so my trash can is at the bottom of my driveway. It's about 200 yards long. Y'all probably know where this is going. I go down there to put my trash in the trash can, and there's like 3 piles of dog shit, in a bag on top of my trash can. And that stuff, man, that's what gives me the red ass, man. It's like, listen, it's one thing. I don't even want you throwing your dog shit in my trash can at all, but if you do it, at least throw it inside of it. I mean, I don't know. I just know I could never do that to somebody, right? Like, if you're hiking and you got your dog shit in a bag, it's like, let me just throw it on the next guy's trash, on the top of his trash can. Make him pick it up and put it in the.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that we normally ask our guests at the end is, like, what's something that gets under your skin that you're seeing a lot of, and trash and dog shit bags seem to be the top of the list. It's just like, pick up after yourself. Don't leave your dog shit bag. I mean, pack it with you or whatever.
Yeah.
Tie it to a leash. You don't have to fucking carry it.
Sure, exactly.
Get a separate bag, whatever,
Right.
Like, they make all the shit at REI, like those, what is it, Summit or something? Sea and Summit or something?
That sounds right. Yeah, Sea to Summit or something like that. Yeah.
They make an actual trash bag that I have that I throw in my backpack when I'm out elk hunting or whatever, so I can pack out, whatever I have, if it's a biltong wrapper or whatever, and it doesn't stick up your backpack. They're fucking great.
I'm sure you saw it more than me, because I just came out here a couple years ago, but it is atrocious the amount of trash that you will find in the backcountry of Colorado, dude. Like, and it's like, even a lot of trash weighs nothing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, why not, once you use your whatever it is, like you said, a biltong wrapper or a peak refill bag or something like that. I just don't know how you just – and accidents happen. I understand that. But I don't know. Sometimes you see like a stash of trash like just sitting there, and it's like somebody literally just was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave this here. And, it don't take long for the chipmunks and the ravens and all that, and it's just spread out everywhere. I just don't understand how people do it. Again, I understand accidents happen, but some people just toss it.
Yeah, you know what else I come across is people that have buried it, and then a bear comes along or whatever, raccoon or a coyote.
Oh, yeah.
And that shit just gets dug up.
Oh, yeah.
I've come across it where there's a hole and there's a bunch of trash, and they're just eating whatever's. It's like, come on, bro. Like, It's not that fucking hard.
It ain't that hard, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, sometimes I'm that guy. Who is it? I think the hunting public, I think Zach, the long-haired guy, I think he always, every time he sees trash, he picks it up, right? I think I'm like 75% on that. Like, when I see trash, a lot of times I pick it up. Sometimes I'm like, this piece of shit should have picked this shit up, man. Like, I'm not picking, you know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Sometimes I walk past it, but, never do I throw my shit it's something I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah. I try. It depends on the trip. Like, if I'm going 7 days deep and, I'm conserving stuff to pack an elk out, I'm not going to carry a fucking Mylar balloon all the way across. But
Facts.
Have you ever been up spotting and see, like, you'll be like, what the hell is that shiny thing, like, way over on a ridge?
Oh, yeah.
And you can spot it. It's one of those Mylar balloons that you get at the grocery store or whatever that says happy birthday on it. It's
Dude,
like
the same thing happens in the ocean. Like, me and my buddy, last year I went on a spearfishing trip, and we're in the middle of the ocean. It's like, what is that glimmering? You pull up on it, and it's a balloon. And it's like, and if you think about it, it's like, who knows where this balloon, maybe Malay, like, who knows where this balloon got let go, right? For it to float up here in Bahamian
maybe
water.
China.
Right? Like, because the ocean scares me, man. And that's why I went down there and did that spearfishing trip. Number one, just because it's hunting, and it's like, it's badass, it's underwater hunting. Number two, because I have a fear of the ocean, and it's probably because, I don't know if it's because I'm an old East Tennessee boy. Like, literally the first time I got on a plane, bro, I was 17 years old, freshman in college. That's the first time I ever got on a plane. Point is, I never went anywhere, like, as a kid, right? Never saw none of that stuff. And I don't know, just the stuff that's in it scares me, man. Like, we were deep dropping. We're in Bahamian water on my buddy's boat, dude. We're deep dropping and pulling up yellow eye snapper, 1,200 foot of water. Well, 1,200. So the way these electric reels count it is per revolution. So it's about 10 to 12 inches, right? And it reads it out. It's like a video game.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it's incredible. And we're pulling up yellow eye snapper, golden tilefish, and all of a sudden you see your rod going nuts, and it's like, that's either a giant Goliath grouper or a shark, right? And all of a sudden you bring it up, and it's like an 8-foot silky shark, and you just see it, and it's like, damn, I don't stand a chance with this thing. Like, not a chance. You might think you're the biggest, but then you see a shark in the water, and it's like, I don't stand a chance down here with this thing. Like, not even close.
Humans are so out of their element.
Oh,
like, I
dude.
say it all the time. Like, at 18, I grew up here. At 18 or 19, I moved away from here, and I moved to the beach. And I thought that I wanted to surf, and it was a fucking tough learning curve, man. And the times that I've been scared in the woods as opposed to in the ocean, where, like, I'll feel like something's about to fucking eat me, is all the time, right? Like, that's the feeling. It's constant pucker factor.
God, dog.
And then I took up stand-up paddleboarding, and that, like, it was a little bit of a safe barrier because you're not sitting there, a big guy like you or me, on a surfboard.
Yeah.
You're sunk to your chest.
Yeah,
that board
man.
is like,
Nah.
But on those big-ass paddleboards, you can actually stand on them and float. And we would go out and chase gray whales when they were migrating and stuff. And it was the coolest, most gratifying thing. But it really puts it in perspective, like, we're just a grain of sand, man.
Grain
on
of
this
sand, dude.
Dude, that's how I feel going into the woods at night.
Yeah.
And being a city boy. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
happens, man. You never know what's going to come smell your tent or fucking.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
that's a fact. That's a fact.
I've had shit in the middle of the night where, like, I'm in an actual, like, camp spot not far off the road, and I've had a black bear, like, nose just sniffing around my tent, because I left something in the tent, biltong wrapper or whatever, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I ended up having to slap a moose on the nose this year, a bull moose, same thing, truck camping right off the road, slapped him on the nose through my tent, dude. Yeah, man, by myself truck camping. Long story short, man, I get surrounded by 3 of them. It's 2 a.m. It was the first night I'd got there. So long story short, got there in the afternoon, went on a small hunt, literally just walked in there a mile and a half and sat there, got on the bugle. But it got later, and I'm like, you know what? I'll go chase him in the morning. So I come home, go to sleep. About 2 a.m., I get woke up to raking. I'm like, this is awesome. This is something big raking. It was not no mule deer, like just sounded dense, just raking these trees. I'm like, this is insane. This is an elk or a moose. Then all of a sudden, so okay, confirmed moose, right? So I'm like, cool. And then all of a sudden over the backside of the tent, and I'm laying in there by myself. And when I only hear the one, I'm like, this is awesome, right? But then all of a sudden, from the other side, and I'm like, all right, there's two of them. I don't really like that, man. I don't really like that.
You don't want to be
all.
in the middle of that shit.
I'm in the middle of them, man. And I'm like, all right, there's two of them now. So I slowly reached down and grabbed my 10 millimeter out of my bino harness, and I put it on my chest. I got one ready to rock. And I'm just laying there, heart beating out of my chest, man. And all of a sudden, from the right-hand side of the tent, I got 3 bull moose surrounding my tent. So I'm petrified at this point, bro. So I'm laying there. I'm looking up the sky. Beautiful moonlit night, and you can still see, like, light out of the tent, right? Through the tent, you can still see the moon and all that. And I'm like, all right, do I yell at these moose? Do I just not do anything? Do I turn my lamp on? So I was, like, stuck in limbo. So I just laid there with the pistol on my chest, and these moose were going nuts. All of a sudden, they stopped, and one of them just started getting louder and louder, and I could tell he's right by the tent. I can hear his feet, and he stopped. I didn't hear anything for what felt like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I hear him again. And through the moonlight, right, I'm looking through my tent, and literally by the moonlight, I see a shadow all of a sudden appear. And I'm like, no, please don't. And then it sounded like the sound of, like, rubbing your finger down the side of the tent, just right above my shoulder. So I slapped the shit out of him on the nose with my left hand. I'm pointing a pistol at him. Fuck you, Moose. Fuck you. Just screaming at the top of my lungs, man.
Going hood on him,
man, I'm telling you, fuck you. And all of a sudden, man, he starts running down the hill. I heard him run for hundreds of yards. I have never heard an animal run for so long, man. Imagine how terrified he had to have been all of a sudden get popped on the nose, you know, because he,
I'd be scared.
he put his nose on the tent and just rubbed it right above my shoulder. So I felt like I had no choice. So I just slapped him right on the nose, man, and they all dispersed. It was crazy, man.
Have you seen those 2 moose going at it in somebody's driveway in Steamboat?
I haven't.
Check this out. Jeremy just pulled this up. And
Ooh.
they're in and out of the back of these brand new Chevys or Tundras or whatever they are, and they just wrecking shit, man. Like, it turns into, like, busting mirrors off. Give us a little volume, Jeremy. I mean, you can really hear them. They're fucking.
Oh, they're going at it. Ooh.
Damn, he knocked that one.
That's the smaller moose. Yeah, that's the smaller moose.
Look at, there goes the mirror.
God, dog, man.
Is that guy got a spotlight on? He does.
Oh, yeah, he does have a flashlight on for sure.
I think that could have been you and your tent.
Oh, thank you. I was terrified, man.
Yeah, you should have been.
Look, he's got an ear tag in, too. And that's the bigger moose, the one that's in the back. God,
yeah, that's crazy, man. You don't want to be in between those things.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think this is a good situation. And I'm like, do I just shoot a shot through the top of my tent and scare him off? Do I yell? Do I beat on the top of my lantern? But eventually, you know, when he stuck his nose to the tent, I just felt like it was fight or flight. I'm like, oh, I saw it, and just boom, just backhanded the shit out of him, man. It was crazy. And again, I'm by myself, so like for 30 minutes, I'm just laying there, and every twig, I'm like, that's a moose, like stalking in on my tent or something, man.
You're not getting much sleep the rest of the night.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. No, it's crazy because growing up here, I grew up in a bow hunting family. Like, my uncles bow hunted, and so lucky that was instilled on me at a super young age. And they bought me my first bow. They bought me my first compound. And really taught me how to shoot, you know, like I used to shoot a compound with fingers, like back in the day and shit.
No rangefinder.
No, man, it was awesome when we grew up, you know, chasing elk around or bugling at elk. We didn't even have to be hunting them. We just enjoyed being out there, you know, and getting in and stalking in on them or getting in the middle of a herd. It was so much fun. But the moose population, there might have been 1 or 2 moose here growing up, and this was 35 years ago, you know, so. But they really grew the moose population here because it was reintroduced.
Sure.
So I am not really used to still seeing them in the woods. Like, occasionally I'll be out walking the dog or something, and you just see this big, gigantic black thing coming through the trees. And the first thing that pops into my head, and I've never thought about this, is Yeti, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, God damn,
dude, they're huge.
Yeah. I could see where there's some mistakes there. And
yeah, man.
They're so tall, man. Like,
yeah, they're huge.
I mean, taller than you or I.
Oh,
You're a tall dude.
They're tall. They're tall. I actually saw one the other year. This was about 2 years ago. I was actually headed towards this way from my place, and I saw 2 bull moose right there at Conifer High School at, like, the rock. You know, as soon as you right down there at the bottom, right by the red light, like just crossing the road, just not scared of nothing. People are pulled over taking pictures, and they're just not scared of nothing, right? They're just walking across the road. I'm like, dude, these things ain't scared of nothing, man.
That's the one thing up where I elk hunt. Coming across them, I mean, the trails are so thick that sometimes you can't get off of them.
Yeah.
And you get into some thick, like, oak brush type stuff. And I've come across a couple bulls standing on that trail because it's easy for them to move on. And I'm like, God damn it, man. I hope that he goes the other way, or I'm going to go the other way, or try to get around him without charging me, because they do not like anybody in their space, man.
Right. And number one, you don't want to get hurt. Number two, you don't have to shoot the damn thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I think about. It's like when I was in my tent, I'm like, I probably have every right to blast this moose right now, but God dog it, I don't want to, right? It's like all of a sudden the morning gets here and you know that they're not going to let you keep the meat, right? Because then it looks like you shot him. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, the last thing I want to do is shoot this moose, but also the last thing I want to do is get trampled by this moose. So you got to flirt that fine line in between keeping yourself safe and keeping the moose safe, right?
Not to mention, you know, whether you carry I carry a 10 millimeter for me for bears too. And stuff like that, especially if I'm up in like northern Montana or something. If there's a grizz country, fucking you better. I'm not carrying no bear spray, dude. My bear spray is 10 millimeter.
And, 180 grain. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. But you know, just the red tape that you would have to go through, even if you did. Like I have an uncle that lives up in the Kalispell area, and he's had a couple friends that have had to shoot grizzlies that were charging in on him. You know, whether they were picking huckleberries or whatever, and the red tape that you got to go through to prove. I mean, it's a whole. You might as well be in a murder case at that point, right? Like you're gonna have to go to court. You're gonna have to deal with some stuff. You're gonna have to get questions. You're gonna, you know,
sure.
There's got to be a really good chance that you're gonna die.
Yeah,
for
dude.
you to actually pull the trigger on an animal,
because they're gonna come in and they're gonna look at that scene. They're gonna, what does it look like, right? What do these boot tracks look like? Look at the tracks of the bear. Okay, here's the casings. Does that story match up, right? And if it doesn't match up right, they might slap you with some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a whole big ordeal, you know, putting an animal down. And, you know, rightfully so, I guess, from the standpoint of, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not going to get into the legal side of things, but I just know that if I'm in self-defense with a bear, I would hate to have to be getting interrogated and try and tell this story, and maybe it doesn't sound right to the CPW officer, but it's like, hey, dude, listen, my life was in danger. Maybe, you know, it doesn't sound great to you, but this is what happened, dude. Maybe the bullet casing, but point being is it's a whole big deal, man, when you have to dispatch an animal. It's not just like, hey, bud, I killed a bear, you know, come look at it and it's over with, dude. They're going to interrogate you just to make sure it was really happened the way you said it happened.
Yeah. So I think about that when I'm carrying it, because I've had to draw down on a couple.
Dude, I got a gun pointed at me this year, opening day of elk season, bro. So opening evening. Archery season, man. So I got a buddy in town from Tennessee. So I left the house this year, August 26th, 27th.
Handgun.
No, a rifle. So
what?
So the opening morning, which was September 2nd last year, I think, I had already been there for like 4 days, found some elk. They were mute. Didn't see anything open in the morning. So we go back to camp and we head back out at like 1, 2 o'clock. Climb in like 3 miles to this water hole. We're sitting on the water hole, and we've still got 2.5, 3 hours until the sun goes down. So finally, about 45 minutes before sun goes down, you know, you're getting fired up because that's when stuff's going to start coming in, right? So I'm all fired up. All of a sudden, crunch, crunch, crunch. I'm like, oh, it's about to happen. So let me paint you a picture. So we're on a water hole. The only applicable way to do a blind, you know, you couldn't sit down because there wasn't enough cover. Point being is we found a piece of blowdown. It was a blowdown tree about waist high for me and my buddy. My buddy's about 6'3", I'm 6'5", and we were just leaning on it for hours, just sitting there, leaned against it, you know, had some cover in front of us, and obviously the water hole was in front of us. Well, I hear the crunch, 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 crunch from behind us. I look back, and I see a man. He's probably mid-70s, late 70s. Oh, man, completely gray hair. Everywhere he had hair was gray. Had on a gray shirt, blue jeans, a Carhartt hat, and he was carrying a rifle. I'm like, what the hell is he hunting? This September 2nd, I was like, well, grouse is open. But I'm like, if you're hunting with a rifle, don't you have to have an orange on? And I'm like, anyway, I'm not a game warden. Anyway, he comes in and he sits by the water hole. And I'm like, you don't hunt grouse from the water hole. So, man, I'm sitting there and he leans back. First of all, he stumbles in. Like, he's literally stumbling in. And we're in there 3 miles. So I think this guy came from some private that butted up to it. I don't think this dude's walking in those 3 miles. And so he sits down, he like puts his arms up and he's leaned back. like he's about to pass out.
So he didn't even see you guys.
Didn't see us.
Yeah.
So where he's sitting, it's kind of like a 45-degree angle the way he has to look towards the water. So he's kind of looking past us to the water hole. Point being, he wasn't looking exactly at us, but kind of past us just to see the water hole. And so instantly when I saw him, I start cow calling as loud as I can on my diaphragm. Loud as I can. He acts like he doesn't hear it. And I'm like, either he just doesn't give a damn or he's hearing impaired, because I am screaming on this cow call, like screaming on this thing. The wind might have been blowing a breath, like 5 mile an hour, maybe.
This is on public land?
This is on public land, dude.
Damn.
We'll talk about the units afterwards,
Yeah.
but public land, dude. I'm screaming on this thing, and he just keeps walking up. Like I said, he sits down, and I'm just screaming on this thing. I'm waving my hand at this point, and I get that hindsight's 2020. It's like, whenever I put this out on my podcast, people are like, "Oh, why didn't you scream at him?" It's like, dude, I walked in a long way to get that water hole. I was trying to preserve the hunt.
And that's
you know
a
what I mean?
common thing between hunters, to give a little cow call or something. If
Right?
somebody's walking by you,
That's
so
what
you know where I'm at. Like, hey, don't throw an arrow my way.
That's what I thought.
Right? And
Yeah.
make your cow call sound a little fucked up so you don't get an arrow thrown your way.
So
right?
literally, the first what would you call it, cadence that I threw out was meow, meow, meow. 3, 1, 2, 3, very rhythmic, like not sounding like a cow, but it's like this is somebody calling, right? Never looked my way, so I'm waving my arms at him, cow calling at the same time, and he's looking past us, and I'm like, I'm getting mad at this point because at this point it looks like he's like, I don't give a damn that you're here. I'm gonna sit here with my rifle and shoot whatever the hell he was after. So my buddy Lance digs in his pack, pulls out his Kafaru pullout, and it's blaze orange. He starts waving that thing, and the guy's like, kind of looks our way finally, and then he waves. I'm like, okay, he finally sees us. So he gets up and dusts himself off. I'm like, I'm not even that mad anymore, because maybe he legitimately had no clue that we were here. Right. Even though I was anyway, I'm like, I'm not mad anymore. So at this point, me and Lance are like, cool, he knows we're here, whatever. He starts to walk off, and we're watching him, and we're kind of bullshitting about, what just happened, because we're like, this old man was about to sit up on top of us. All of a sudden, I look behind the log to where he had just left from, and I don't see him. So I look where he came from, and all I see is a scope glimmer and the barrel of the gun. I'm like, get the fuck down. So we get down. I grab my 10mm out of my bino harness. I shuck one in. I'm like, bro, he's pointing that gun right at us. Now, keep in mind, this dude had just waved at us and confirmed that we are people, because he saw that orange kill kit. You're too old to not understand that you don't do things like that. Maybe if I was to talk to him, he'd probably be like, well, I just wanted to look through my scope, because he had no backpack on, no binoculars, but I don't give a shit. You don't do that.
No.
So he draws down on us. We're literally on all fours. I got one in the head of my 10mm. I'm ready to return fire, dude. Like, real shit, like ready to return fire. He's like, and my buddy didn't see it. I just told him to get down. He's like, he wasn't pointing a gun. I said, look for yourself. He peeks up and looks up, drops right back down. He's like, dude, he still draws down on us. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you. He's like, do we say something? I'm like, hold on, dude. Let's just wait, man. Let's just wait. We came in here a long ways. I peek back up, and he's stumbling off. I'm like, hey, he's leaving. So at that point, we're like talking shit about what just happened, right? Just, like dudes do. Like, fuck a piece of shit about shot is, talking shit. All of a sudden, I look back. He's about 100 yards gone, 100 yards farther than he was before. But he draws down again. I said, Lance, get down. So we get down. I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with this dude. I said, I'm about to go knock his teeth down his throat. My buddy Lance is like, Walt, calm down, calm down. I said, no, fuck that. This dude is pointing a gun at us. This is bullshit. He's too old. He should know better, regardless of the situation.
This is an issue you should get into in an inner city or something, right? Not in the middle of a fucking
had a rifle
forest.
pointed at me, man. And so eventually he walks off, and that was the end of it. But I'm going to be honest with you. It takes, you know what I used to do for a living, right? It takes a certain type of attitude, but it takes quite a bit to get me furious, and I was furious. And I told my buddy, I said, let's go. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him. And I'm not going to say what I had planned, but it probably is going to be physical because I just couldn't believe it happened. There's nothing that he could have said to me if we would have met to make me be like, oh, I get it. I get why you did that. There's nothing he could have said to make me be like, I understand now. Because the guy pointed a gun at us, bro. This is my buddy's first time ever elk hunting. Ever coming out to Colorado, and here we are sitting on a water hole. You can imagine for a first-timer to altitude how hard it was for him to hike in to that water hole. For the we had already hiked in for the morning hunt, hiked out, hiked back in for the evening hunt. And so I'm like, dude, I don't want to yell because our night's over if we yell, right?
Right.
And so, dude, he pointed a gun at us, ended up walking off. But that was day one of archery this year, archery elk, OTC, man. Had a gun pointed at us.
What a great opening day.
Bro,
Jesus.
so, I mean, I've never been a part of anything like that. It's one of those things where it's like, dude, you know better than to do that, man.
We don't have to get into game units, but was it Front Range or Western
Oh, no,
Slope?
it was up north
Okay.
Central.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, up
Yeah.
north central.
Wow. That's incredible, man. I've never had anything happen like that. We've had hunters shoot in our direction because they heard something or they heard a bugle.
But why
But-
would you, you?
Listen, man, people are stupid. I ran into some guys last year that shot an elk through the Achilles because that was the only thing that they could see through the oak brush. And I'm not going to say where they were from or anything, but I gave them a fucking piece of my mind. And luckily they found the bull. Nice 6x6, but the thing ran 3 miles.
Yeah, no
bleeding out.
kidding.
It's like, what are you thinking, man? What if that was my fucking Achilles, Or
If all
there's
you
just
got to kill is
stupid
you don't
people,
shoot at
man.
all. You
Yeah,
just don't
man.
shoot at all.
No, man.
Live to hunt another day.
100%. Yeah. So people are just dumb, man. And I think part of that comes in like the success rate of elk hunting is so fucking low,
Sure.
right? People are out there for days. They want to be successful. You don't want to come home and tell your wife, yeah, I just spent 8 days out there and I didn't do shit, right?
Sure.
Which they have no idea, but
Right.
like there's some of that pressure too, right?
That's a
Especially
fact.
if you're over the counter or
That's a
whatever,
fact.
right? And then if you're in a position like you or I, where we have a platform and your platform specifically is about hunting,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you want to produce something every year, right?
Yeah.
And then the guys that really have it rough are a boy like Derek Wolf that's got a hunting show, right? Like
Sure.
this is a whole nother level of now you got to get it on camera. You might miss a shot because you're trying to get. It's hard enough to even make a shot when you're not trying to film it or something, right? So it's like
Dude.
that's a whole nother level. But so I get why people get that little bit of bloodthirst or whatever, but it's still no fucking excuse to be doing stupid shit like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's
dude.
not humane to the animal. It gives hunters a bad name.
exactly.
It's bad for everybody. It's not bad for just them or the animal. It's bad
Right.
for everyone collectively.
Sure,
Yeah, I think. But,
I agree.
well, Josh, we just fucking dove right into this shit. But, dude, it's really nice to meet you, man. The reason why I wanted to have you on, well, actually, shout out to my buddy Scott Endrich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know Scott.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
Let me
American
get this
Bowman.
photo, yeah.
Thank you, Bobby.
Cheers, man. Honored to have you on.
Pleasure to be here.
So I went shooting with Scott maybe about a year ago or something. You've been on my short list. I just haven't had time to reach out, man. It's been crazy. We've been going like crazy with
Sure.
the podcast and everything. But Scott was like, hey, have you heard of Josh Walker? He's got a podcast. And we were out shooting, me, him, and his son, and my son, up at American Bowman. And I was like, no. And then I found your podcast. So Retired to Hunt.
Yeah, man.
And I am so grateful because we're not a hunting podcast. I guess we're kind of outdoors. It's
Sure.
more showcasing
Kind of encompasses
individuals.
everything outdoors.
Sure,
Yeah.
we've had professional rock climbers on, ultra marathon runners, a lot of UFC fighters. We've had people that are kind of living in the mountains or just appreciate it in general, right?
Sure.
Like, and that wasn't my intent when I started this podcast, but because I'm a bow hunter, we have a lot of bow hunters on. We've had a lot of hunting in the past. I talk about it all the time because it's something that I try to do on a daily basis is shoot my bow.
Sure.
And I'm passionate about it and I love hunting. But I'm also about it being portrayed the right way. And there's so many people out there that are in social media now and in this space that are building themselves up as hunters or whatever. And I think it's great because 99% of them are doing it the right way.
Sure.
And I want to commend you and especially have you in because I think it's much more than just the grip and grin photo, right? I think it's telling the story so people can understand what goes behind and why you might be so happy that you're taking that photo. So I want to commend you to that on that. Cheers,
you,
man. You're doing it the right way. And I love Retired to Hunt. So yeah, I guess
Thank you very much.
let's talk about that a little bit. Like, that's something that just recently started, right?
Dude, just recently started, man. So I retired from the NFL in 2018, and I came out to Colorado. The only thing out west that I'd ever hunted up until that point was pheasants. So the year before my last year, which was 2018, so 2017 in January, who was I playing for? I was playing for the Jags. Actually, we had a long run that year. We almost went to the Super Bowl that year. Maybe it was 2016. Point being is 1 year we got put out fairly early, whoever the hell I was playing for, and I was able to get back here and do some pheasant hunting with my girlfriend's father. Big time pheasant hunter, right? So point is the only thing I'd hunted out here up until that point was upland birds, and I was just completely enamored with hunting upland birds out here. It was awesome. Cool deal. But
So upland birds, just because I did it a little bit way back, and it was honestly some of the most funnest hunting I've ever done with a gun.
sure.
Right? I'm not a big gun hunter. I didn't grow up gun hunting. I'd kill a few big game animals with a rifle. Just wasn't for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just archery was always just a much more ethical thing for me. But one of the things that I had the most fun doing with a gun or a rifle or a shotgun was upland hunting.
Yeah.
So upland, is that just pheasants? Does that include ducks, or would that be waterfowl?
It would be ducks would be waterfowl. Upland is your quail, your pheasants, your chuckers. I would assume ptarmigan is probably considered upland. Upland.
Dove. I had a lot of fun shooting doves.
There you go. Dove, grouse, stuff like that's all upland. And then, your ducks and your geese, that's going to be all waterfowl. And dude, I'm a huge waterfowl hunter, have been for a long time. I used to do a bunch of traveling around to hunt. Dude, I've killed ducks in 17 different states in the country.
Really?
Like, I love it. Now, when I moved out here and realized the thrill of the Western big game, I will never again. It's hard to say never. But if I have a big game tag, there's a very, very low chance that I'll be hunting birds anywhere. Like if I've got a big game tag in my pocket.
Yeah,
you know
man,
what I'm
that's
saying?
a whole nother level.
So,
it's like, and I think that's probably why I don't upland hunt and duck hunt, because some of the most fun times I've had has been freezing my ass off in a duck blind, shooting the shit with some of my best friends, having a dog there, and calling in ducks. It's like there's nothing like it, man.
There's nothing like it.
It's just like a bugling elk.
Exactly, and it's something to be said about going out. And so I'm a big public land guy. I'm not going to say I don't hunt on private, but if I had to put a number on it, I would say I'm 90-10 public to private. And there's something about going on public land and competing with all these other guys and calling in ducks and geese. Like it's so hard to do. Like, and when you're calling and you're looking at those birds, and we've done it for long enough, you can literally read their body language. It's like, okay, he likes that. He don't like that. Probably better do this again. Maybe I should get louder. Maybe I should get softer. But learning to read birds is huge, man, as far as like being able to break them down and get them your decoys.
Huge, right?
Because you can overcall, you can undercall, you can over decoy, you can under decoy.
I was so fortunate when I was going, because I was going with some my buddy's dad and him, and they were like generation deeps in duck hunting. They had special blinds and special spots that were like, you know, some of it was on private land, and they had the dogs, and it was like the full-on experience, right? And these guys knew how to fucking call and set out the decoys.
See, that's incredible.
I was just blasting.
I actually, man, so my dad got me into hunting, but dude, he was nowhere near what I'm trying to get to. He was there's a deer in the garden, let's shoot him. There's a well, let me put it like this. So the earliest days growing up hunting, man, like when I just got my hunter safety, I grew up on 34 acres of land, middle of bumfuck Tennessee, and my dad ran a machine shop out of his garage for a while. Had one employee, a guy named Dick, cool old man, just awesome dude, man. And he would come over every Saturday morning and bring like all kind of biscuits. There was one gas station in my town, man, and he'd stop at gas station, get some biscuits, and he'd get there about 25 minutes before shooting light. We'd eat biscuits, we'd shoot the shit, and we'd go out there, and we had an old decrepit fire pit. One wheel was missing, like just been there for years, and we'd start a fire and just stand by the fire and overlook this field. It was literally not a plot, just Johnson grass, dude, like just a field. And it was mowed down, and the deer would use it to cross. And the older I got, the more I was like, hey, can I put a food plot in here? You know what I mean? And, dude, I made my own disc one year for the four-wheeler. Literally, I have an old engine block, which is obviously heavy as shit, right? And an old disc, migged it up, put it behind the four-wheeler, and I planted corn. That was my first plow. I was like 12 years old, MIG welding. Used to weld my own square tubing ladder stands.
I remember hearing that on your podcast.
Yeah,
I thought that was so badass. Yeah. I grew up poor too, man. It was like, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so it was playing in we didn't have toys, man. It was pine cones were grenades and sticks were guns, you know? It was like that sort of type of stuff.
Dude, we had an old like 1960s sawmill on our land that my dad just got for free. So he drove up to get it to a place called Byrdstown, Tennessee, which is far east Tennessee, northeast Tennessee up by Kentucky. Went up there, brought the sawmill home. Now, keep in mind, this is an old school round blade PTO, like driven by the tractor. You back tractor into it, put the PTO in it. Old school round blade sawmill. And our tractor,
you might die if you don't use it right.
So you know what I'm talking about. So, man, we had still have it. My dad still has it, still runs good. It's a 1964 Massey Ferguson 150. Old school tractor. Dude, I was bush hogging fields when I was 10 years old, holding my Sony Walkman in my hand trying to keep it from skipping. You know what I mean? Like, old school. And anyway, going back to, like, how I got into it, 34 acres. We've got deer on the property, no turkey. Now there's turkeys everywhere, dude. So I just got into turkey hunting 2 years ago. We'll talk about that later, but just talking about my early hunting. We had some deer that would cross through the property, and like I said, Dick would come over, we'd eat biscuits and overlook this field, and eventually I started planting a food plot way up top and stuff like that. And I would make my own blinds out of the scabs from the logs, because, when you cut a log, when you cut it 4 times, right? Cut the top, there's a scab. Cut the side, there's a scab. Side, scab, scab. And in the middle, you got a perfect beam, right? And you can either use a beam or you can make lumber out of it, right? So I'd take those scabs, put them on a four-wheeler, and I'd make a blind out of it. Just put 16 penny nails, and I'd make a blind out of those scabs at that sawmill.
That's awesome.
And like you were talking about the early
How
days
old were
of
you
young, dude, before I could drive, bro.
Really?
Like, young. And I'd go out there and do that. And, I'm sure there was rangefinders back in those days, but I certainly didn't have one. So I would take a small scab, and from my tree stand that typically I had welded together, I'd put a scab at 10, I'd put a scab at 20, I'd put a scab at 30, I'd put one at 40,
so smart.
I'd put one at 50. So then when them deer come in, it's like, oh, that's 30. And like you said, no release, shooting the high country with my fingers that I'd got from a yard sale. It didn't have a stabilizer hole, so I drilled and tapped my own stabilizer hole at like 12 years old.
That's awesome.
Drilled and tapped my own hole. You remember those tiny limb savers that were like yay big?
Yeah.
Those squishy ones? I had put my little limb savers in there. And but dude, been doing it a long time. I can remember shooting my first deer with a bow again.
That's so awesome, though. So you would put out the scabs at 10, 20, 30, right? So I did the same thing, but I would pace it off. So if I was going to sit someplace, like sit on some elk or sit on a wallow or something, I would do the same thing and pace it off, because it was back before rangefinders were even around. But now, even to this day, I think that's really helped me, because if I'm sitting in on a something, right, like maybe it's a wallow or something, I'll shoot a few trees around, so I know that tree's 20, this one's 30, that one's 35, that rock over there is 45. So I don't have to fuck with that rangefinder.
The last thing you want to be
in.
doing when something's coming in is reaching down to your harness and grabbing the rangefinder.
Yeah,
man.
that could blow them out, just like drawing your bow.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's that simple.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sorry. Back to we're jumping all over the place here, but I love it.
Going back to my first deer, man, with a bow. So I was like 12, 13 years old, dude, and like I said, I got the scab sitting out. I'd freshly bush hogged the field, because I just thought, with the field bush hogged, I'll be able to see anything that comes in the field, right? And so I had the field bush hogged, and I'm sitting out there with my high country young kid, and all of a sudden here comes this big old cow horn spike. I'm like, I am busting his ass if he comes in. And I remember I was shooting, I think one of the first vertical pin sights that Trophy Ridge had put out. This vertical pin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So was it adjustable, or?
As far as a slider?
Uh-huh.
No. Okay. It was a 4-pin. It was 4 pins, right?
Oh,
20,
4
30,
pins,
40.
but vertical, straight up and down.
Yeah, vertical pins. Yeah. My buddy actually gave it to me. And so I put it on my bow and sighted it in. So, dude, when I was growing up, my targets were either a couch cushion or a bag from a 55-pound burlap sack of corn that I stuffed with grass clippings. You know what I'm saying? And I would shoot at it. And so anyway, that first deer that came in, big cow horn spike. And I just remember drawing back on this thing, and I'm in my homemade ladder stand, and I just remember the shaking that was going on, man. And I'm like,
is this a whitetail? Or?
It's a whitetail.
Okay.
That's all we got down there is
Okay.
whitetail.
Yeah.
And I'm drew back on this thing, and he's at like 35, 37. And I just remember shaking, and I'm like, in my head, like my conscience told me, you probably shouldn't shoot at this thing, man. But I'm like, God, dog it. Like, I'm in bow range, and I'm shooting with my fingers, right? Shooting this high country with my fingers. I'm like, I'm in bow range. And he starts looking around. Something wasn't right. Now, let me hold my thought here. Think about when you were young. I don't know about you, but me, I didn't think anything about the wind. Like, I would go, when I had a chance, I'm sitting in a tree, and like some nights were good, some nights were bad. And it's like, I look back at it, and it's like, I wonder what the wind was doing on those nights when nothing came out. Probably blowing right towards the field. You know what I mean?
I was super fortunate because,
well, your family was hunting, right?
well, I didn't grow up with a dad, right?
Okay.
Like, I still don't know my dad to this day very well.
I was adopted,
at
man.
all.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't really have that father figure in the house. I was it, right?
Yeah.
So my uncles, luckily, they worked their asses off. They were all worked in construction or excavation or something like that. So they didn't have a whole lot of time off. So where I spent time with them was on the job site, whether it was drilling holes in rock to blow it up with dynamite.
Sure.
So I learned work ethic there. And then the time that they had off, they were gracious enough to take me out fishing because of what they like to do, or go hunting, or, even if it was small game, camping, whatever, right? I was always kind of brought along, and I'm so fortunate they were just good people like that, because I don't know that I'd be the same person that I am today, right? Without learning that work ethic, I probably would be in prison or dead, maybe even,
Dude, that is so real.
That kept me out of so much trouble, I think. And it aligned me even in high school with like some good friends that were into the same thing, because if you're totally hungover, you can go out and shoot coyotes, I guess, or whatever, but it's not the same, right? You can't get up and go elk hunt, archery.
Sure.
And so it kept me kind of on a straight and narrow, I think. So, yeah, those guys were super, like, I mean, a couple of them have some Pope and Young records and stuff like that. Like these, and they've never done it. This is way before social media or anything, right? Anything like that. So they've never done it for that. Some of them have been in some magazines and stuff like that with some write-ups and all that. And they're 3 times the bow hunters that I am still to this day, just because it is their passion. But that's what they did. It was work and bow hunt, right?
Yeah.
Like that was it. Or fish or raft or whatever it was. It was just living in the outdoors. Some of them, like, because my family homesteaded here and it goes so many generations deep, I have one uncle that still hasn't seen the ocean. Ooh. And he does not fucking care to.
I know. Listen,
he's like, why would I ever go to California? Why would I ever,
Dude, this is a great little segue you're going into, because, again, I'm from BFE, southeastern Tennessee. There are so many people that have the mindset of, if it's not in this county, why do I need it? Yeah. And it's like, you know what? If you want to really get down to it, you're probably right from the standpoint of necessity, right? Like, you're probably right. Do you need it? But to live a life and only stay in one spot for that entire life, I just cannot imagine, bro. Like, there's so many places in this country that are worth going to see.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now, he's been to BC. He's been all over the Rockies, but he hasn't left the Rockies, Like, why would I ever
see the ocean, man?
Yeah. I keep telling him, like, just go one time, but he probably wouldn't have a good time.
Sure, I get it. I get it.
That's
I
just
get
that mindset, right?
Yeah, I know. Dude, I already know. Like I said, dude, I'm from...
And he's blue collar, right? This guy works 6 days a week, and he spends 1 day a week fishing or torturing himself in the, the backcountry.
Right.
That's what he does. He has a good life, though.
You got to go see the ocean, man.
I agree. And I was kind of the black sheep of the family, because I grew up, I went all over the world with
see it
rock
all.
Bands, right?
Like, I want to see it all.
They thought I was fucking crazy for moving to Hermosa Beach, California, and then fucking working for punk bands. And then, eventually I got on some bigger tours and went to China and fucking all these places that they would not even...
What do I need in China?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, it's there. Like, why would you not want to go see China? Like,
I can't believe you went to Russia, or why'd you go to the Middle
Wow.
East, or like, spots like that. They just couldn't. There was no correlation there. Like,
that
they
blows
didn't
my
understand
mind,
it,
man.
Yeah. Now, on the contrary, I have another uncle that's traveled the world, and
Okay.
he's done all that, and he's a bow hunter and stuff too. So I think it's just to each his own.
To each his own. Exactly
but
right.
back to wind and that sort of stuff, those guys taught me that right out of the gate. Like, if you want to stock in, and then that's what I was doing for fun. Like, there's not a whole lot to do growing up here as a kid, or there wasn't when I was.
Sure.
And there was always elk around and stuff. So it was like, we're going to go stock in on elk for fun. Not even hunting,
Just to get close. And that's the thing. Like, I hope people understand that want to come out here from out east or farther west. Is hunting elk very accessible here? Yeah, for the most part it is, every single year. But just keep in mind that you could come out here and not even find a fresh pile of shit. So point being, just to get that close to those things, it's an awesome feat, dude. Like, and that's why I'm more of a public land hunter, because, like, when I go out, I've put in so many months, sometimes years of logistics, that it's not going to take a 360 bull to get me to shoot, right? Like, I see a respectable bull that gets me fired up, I'm going to shoot him, I'm going to eat the meat. It's going to be an incredible story to tell. But, once you get into paying $20,000 to go hunt an elk, it's like, well, if I pay 20, I'm not leaving here without a 360. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that feeling.
It's not worth it to me. I don't want that pressure.
I'm
I
the same
don't have
way.
the fucking money to,
Sure.
first off.
Sure. But $20,000 on an elk?
Yeah. But I encourage people, like, even if you're not a hunter, just being around these animals is really majestic, right? And there's some amazing places that you can go that are more wild than National Forest. Like, you go into Rocky Mountain National Park or Moraine Field or something like that, and there's people that bring their camp chairs up from Denver, because I photograph animals too. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I feel like the animals are more wild and more natural in that state because they don't have the pressure being in a natural state where they can bugle, or like even right here.
Sure.
The elk are just ruddy.
Dude, they're all the
as
time in
fuck,
town
man.
right here.
And we're talking 300-400 class bulls, that are just monsters. And
Yeah.
you know what's funny about them? They are so fucking smart, that it'll be 2 days. I shit you not, 2 days. Like I live right here. 2 days before opening day of archery, the same bull has been coming back for 8 years. I know exactly who he is. I photograph him every year. And each year he's bigger. Some years he's a little bit smaller. Depends on how much rain we get or whatever.
Sure.
But he knows what's up.
Dude,
He's
they
like,
know,
fuck,
man.
I'm golfing for the next month and a half or 2 months or whatever, right?
Dude, it's just like the bears. So, like, where I'm at, the bears are bad. Like, if you leave a bag of trash out, probably here it's going to start in about a month. You leave a
this
bag
is
of trash
Jeremy's
out,
video. Yeah, look at it. This isn't even the big guy. This is just
That's a satellite?
That's a
Is
satellite.
that
That's
No,
a
that's-
330
is that the one?
bull.
That's not a satellite. That's one of the. It's a
320
bigger
bull.
herd bull running around.
Yeah, that's a
but that's not
320,
even the
330
big
bull.
guy. There's one that's bigger.
Dude, look at that thing.
It's right in my driveway.
It's fucking incredible, man.
Look at it. What's that, a 7x?
I think he was 9 on one side and 12 on the other.
Jeez.
And I've seen some crazy elk come in here just for a day. There was this one that I was calling, I kind of name them all and shit because we were out photographing them and stuff all the
Sure.
time. But there was this one that came in with a blind eye and a fucking arrow hole or bullet hole like high in his back. And I nicknamed him the Terminator, like just
Ooh.
wild, at least a 350. But there's so many elk that come in and out of here. It's crazy trying to get at these cows. And
Between here and, 285, like, going towards the gym.
yeah.
You're going to see some elk. Like, that's just, like, you're usually going to see some elk. If you look and it's like, you got to look in places you wouldn't think. It's like, oh, there's the McGillicuddy's backyard. Okay, well, there's 85 head of elk laying in their backyard right there off the highway. You
And
know
the
what I mean?
caution signs aren't even the jumping deer. It's an actual elk, right? It's like, that's how
Yeah.
many elk are here.
Yeah.
But it's wild, man. Like, it's a special spot, man, because I
Oh,
love being
dude.
around it. Like, there's times at night because we don't have air conditioning in our house. It's a mountain home, right?
Same with me.
So we open up the windows, and at 2:30 in the morning, the
Screaming.
next thing you know, it sounds like there's a velociraptor outside your window. You're like, God damn, man.
Dude,
Like,
that's incredible.
yeah.
Same with my house, bro. Like, so we don't get the elk there at the time of year that it's nice and, when you're opening the windows. So typically they winter down at my place, right? So usually the windows are up. Number two, they're not making a whole lot of noise. But, dude, I got wild turkeys that are close. And I remember just having the window down in April, late April, just beautiful out. Early morning, just like high 30s, just beautiful. And you just wake up to just wild turkeys,
That's
dude. Like,
awesome.
and then going back
There's
to
a lot down by you, huh?
Dude, there's a lot, everything you could want. There's moose down there.
Yeah.
There's bighorn sheep down there, bro. Like it's insane.
I love it down there. There's some big cats down
Some
there
big-
too, man.
So the one I shot was like 20. So as the crow flies, it was 9 miles from my house.
No shit.
Where I killed
Yeah.
that cat.
Yeah, I know some people that have killed some big cats, and your cat was good size, right?
Dude,
Like, what
it
did
was very
weigh in
big,
at?
dude. So without the guts and without the blood and all that stuff, he was probably 165 pounds. So it was probably
Damn.
185 pounds with the
Jeremy,
with the
pull
guts
up
in it.
Jaywalk's Instagram. Is it Outdoor Jaywalk or
High country,
High
jaywalk.
Country?
Yeah.
High Country Jaywalk.
So that big wolf that wolf shot, I actually skinned that thing out for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I
That was
saw
a
that
big cat.
big
yeah.
old cat. So that cat was about 8'6" nose to tail. Mine was 8'3", and his probably had 15 pounds on mine. So his cat was a younger cat. It was in the prime of his life, 4 to 5 years old, on a fresh kill, just swole up. That thing reeked to high hell too, by the way. My cat
Really?
stunk, but that thing was disgusting. Like just a big old nasty joker.
Yeah.
And again, he had 3 inches on that one, nose to tail, probably about 15 pounds on him. But again, that's a big old,
Well, what's
big
wild
old
is
cat, dude.
like you walk in the door, and there's not many people that walk in the door that make me feel small, and Derek's one of them.
Yeah.
When Derek came in here, I was like, holy shit. And Derek's got those blue eyes and that Viking look, and he looks through your soul, dude. Like he
Yeah.
looks past your skull when he's
Yeah.
talking to you. You're
Yeah.
like, damn, dude, I can't make contact with this dude. And it was the first time that we had met, and I
Sure.
just went straight into recording like we are here.
Sure.
But I love that guy, man. He's another guy that I want to commend because the way that he handled that pressure and that he took it on and went on national news and actually took the time to get educated. And I was trying to send him some facts here or there too, like,
Sure.
for what I know. And we do a lot with Colorado Parks and Wildlife on this podcast.
Okay.
So I've been educated in that, and we've talked to a lot of wildlife biologists and stuff like that. So I was trying to send him some facts here or there, you know. And but man, he did such a good fucking job with that. And
I agree.
The amount of posts and positive reinforcement for predator control, which is super fucking important in my mind.
Yeah.
And I think to any hunter, any conservationist, anybody that understands wildlife, that is super important part of it. And it's probably the part of hunting that gets the most criticism because it's the furry, cuddly animals that you can relate
Wolves,
to.
cats, bobcats, bears, all that stuff.
Right. So I totally get it. And the amount of buzz that he got, not only on that, and for him to keep his composure. And we both know Derek, man.
Yes.
Like, he's not a bullshitter.
Yes.
He'll tell you what he's thinking while he's thinking it. And he fucking kept it together. And all the people that were prodding at him, man, he did a fucking great job. And not only that, it created this little buzz in the community. And maybe it's just because maybe I didn't notice it as much, but I feel like there was a lot more posting about lines that have been taken and taken ethically. And, like, there was a ton of people that kind of came out of their shell and were willing to do it because he was at the forefront of that.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I agree, man. And that cat caused a huge buzz. For instance, like from my page, I've never had anything negative said until, and again, I don't know if this is what caused it, but all of a sudden, you know, I get tied in with Wolf and all this stuff. And I start getting the people. So I put up a picture. If you scroll up, okay, so
Cam is great too. Cam commented on there.
Sure.
Great job. What a good dude.
Yeah, great dude.
Great
Very
guy
serious
for a bow
hunter, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the top of that, you can see like the Gorgonzola cheese and the back strap that's like right above the high country jaywalk there. So
if
that's
you close that, Jeremy.
So that is that's the back strap of my cat. So go scroll
nice.
down. Hold on. Let me see if I know I didn't delete it. What's the last comment on that one right there?
On the one with the cat?
That's my cat backstrap that I stuffed. Let me see if So there was a chick. I think I just saw it. Go up. Right there. Look right there. I hope someone do the same to you. Look at what I told her. Go to view replies. Thank you. Like what? You're going to take the time to come to my page, which it doesn't take long to see that I hunt, right? There's going to be a lot of hunting stuff on my page, a little bit of football, but mainly hunting stuff. Like, to have the time to go on my page and say something like that, it just blew my mind, man. Like, and number two, I think what a lot of these people, and number one, I hate politics. I'm not trying to be
organizations that purposely seek out certain hashtags or whatever, right? Like, I really believe in that. And covering some of the wolf stuff and some of the stuff that's happened to us on social media, I hired some super smart people to help me with the podcast and get us up and running. And they're smart in social media. They're smart in the back end of Google SEO. They're smart when it comes to doing the back end stuff, like transcribing the entire episode, that whole sort of thing. And they told me straight up, you are shadow banned as fuck on Instagram because the amount of downloads that you're getting from the actual podcast does not correlate to social media. So we have a lot of former military people on. A lot of those people tend to be right-wing. I've never made a political statement on this podcast.
Sure.
The only politics that we've ever got into is biology. I mean, I'll voice my opinion about woke culture or cultural things, but I don't, even though that's been dubbed as politics, I don't believe that it is, man. To me, that's a morals and, bending over backwards for somebody, no matter who they are, to cater to their needs, right?
Yep.
Like, just like this woman that said this to you, that's some horrible shit, man.
Yeah.
She's basically wishing death on you.
Yeah,
and
no
that somebody
kidding.
would skin you, right?
Straight up. Somebody I've never met that I don't know. Yeah.
But this is also somebody that probably subscribes to, like, we have to protect human rights and all this sort of stuff.
They have a
and
coexist sticker on their car.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
And you have to identify as this, or you have to call somebody by their pronouns.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these are the same fucking people, man. And I'm sorry, but it is so backwards. These are the same people that will turn around, and I've gotten death threats just over some stuff. We weren't even a year into the podcast when I was covering some of the wolf stuff, the wolf reintegration
that was super early.
before the voting. And I got death threats saying that people that I should be hunted and like all
Come on.
kinds of crazy
Hey,
shit.
come on.
And I was like, hey, motherfuckers, you know where I'm at,
Come
bro.
on.
I'll say, yeah, like, and not one of those people have shown up
Yeah,
and said that
Sure.
to my face, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And same with Derek. I mean, the same things happened to him. I've had my buddy Coach Mark Montoya on here, and we talked about that the last time. He's like, I doubt anybody would knock
Yeah.
on Derek Wolf's door.
Yeah,
and say the
exactly.
shit. That lady wouldn't come to your
No,
house. and
absolutely
tell you
not.
that, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And, you know, those same people, too, to your point, everything you just said, I kind of want to echo that and also say those same people will go and turn around and eat a burger for lunch, right? So it's like, what? Like, because I want to be a part of the process of procuring my food, that makes me a piece of shit, and that makes you want me dead and you want me skinned alive and all that because I want to be a part in procuring my own food. It just, to me, a lot of those people, and I don't, you know, it's hard. What are a lot of those people? Like, who are those people? Like you just said, I hate politics, so I don't want to put anybody in this, but those people are the people that are constantly anti-hunting and never can back up their facts, and they speak with a lot more emotion than logic, right? You get a lot of people that emote more than use facts, man. Like, it blows my mind.
100%.
It blows my mind. And, like, again, I hate politics, but I always say this. I always tell people this. I think there's two things that would solve a lot of problems in this country, all politics aside. Number one, mind your own fucking business. Number two, is use critical thinking. So think about issues that we have and what issue could one of those things, if not a conjunction of both of them, solve? A lot of it. Like, a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, mind your own fucking business and use critical thinking. Don't emote. Like, these people, like the chick that told me I want somebody to skin you, like, that's emotions. Like, that's emotional, right? Like, I'm consuming this mountain lion that I took, right? Like, I don't understand where the negativity comes from. You should be like, wow, you're eating your cat. Great. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
I don't want to make these things out. They're majestic animals. I think there's beauty in
they're
them.
incredible.
I think they're incredible. I've been on a couple lion hunts, which is wild, man. Like, it is, you know firsthand, like, it is an undertaking like you won't even believe, even with dogs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and for them to be, I don't think people realize how dense the population is here and how much that population is thriving. And these are also the same things, and I don't want to paint a bad picture for these predators because they're amazing. Man.
Sure.
Like, I think they're just as amazing as they are scary to me, right?
Yep.
Like, that is my biggest fear in the woods is a mountain lion,
Yep.
right? Because they're so fucking stealth. They come into stuff like cow calls. You barely ever see them, but you know that they're there. I've seen way more tracks than I've ever seen actual lions.
Yep.
And if I have, it's been a glimpse like out of my peripheral vision and it's gone. All I know is it was a 6-foot tail, and I'm like, what else has a 6-foot tail up here?
They
And
don't
moves
play
really
around,
fast,
dude.
right? But this is also like, if her kid was that kid that was taken off of a trampoline a few years ago,
There we go.
right? Now how do you feel about him, right?
Get this thing out of here. Get
Protect
this
the
thing out of
sharks,
here.
right? Protect the sharks until somebody gets eaten. Next thing you know what I mean? It's that whole mentality. It's so hypocritical, right? Like, what I like to preach is just listen to biologists. These are scientific facts. These are people that study the facts. They're not studying anything else. And when they're telling you Colorado Parks and Wildlife, each one of their wildlife agents had to go to school for biology, whether it was aquatic, wildlife biology, whatever. They are biologists too.
Yep.
These are the people that determine how many animals in that certain species needs to be removed from that to coexist with people, their environment, highways, it all, man. They're literally balancing the scale. And when you start putting just a normal person that doesn't know what they're talking about at the ballot box, checking a box, yes or no, you're not letting these people do their job, man. And, we've seen it firsthand in Colorado. We've seen it firsthand in California. You take away spring bear hunting, what are we trying to do now? They're trying like hell to manage the bear population.
Sure.
They will goddamn give you a bear tag to any game unit that you draw an elk or a deer tag in for a really reasonable price.
Yep.
No questions asked, because bears are super hard to hunt. You know how much harder they are to hunt in the fall? They start hibernating in the fall. You have like maybe 1 to 2 weeks. If we get a snowstorm or something, like that spring bear hunting was there for a reason. It was to help manage that population.
Sure.
And now the bear population is running rampant here, dude, like firsthand.
So we're like the only state around this way. I'm not sure about New Mexico, but I know Montana has a spring season. I know Wyoming has a spring season. Idaho's got a spring season. I'm not a biologist, so I can't speak to our numbers, but, you know, I'm not even going to go into that because I don't have enough information to talk about it. But, you know, it'd be cool to have a spring season here, but maybe we don't have enough. I don't know enough. I'm not one of those guys.
What we used to. It was 5 or 6 years ago, and look at what's happened to the bear population
dude,
since
they're
then.
bad at my house, dude.
Yeah.
It is bad. But to your point about the predator population, man, I think a lot of people maybe they're under the assumption that mountain lion is like OTC elk. You can just get a tag and anybody can come over here and blast them. It's not that way, man. You know, it's on a quota system, so you've got to call every day, right? It's like, you know, how many cats have been killed in this area.
Official.
It's super official. You have to
class before you even get your tag, right?
You got to get a mountain
even though
lion
the
certificate.
tag costs $25, it's not like buying a small game license where you can just go out and follow the rules and regulations. And not to mention, if you do harvest one, correct me if I'm wrong on this because I'm not a lion hunter, but I believe a CPW officer has to, every one that's been taken, they come and look at it.
Correct.
Before you skin it,
Correct.
I think that you can field dress it, right? But you can't.
You need to have, when you go to check it in, you need all the meat and the hide with you, period. You need both of those things.
Everything,
You
right?
need everything with you.
And the other importance behind that is it is a Colorado state law that if you waste the meat or waste any part of that other than the bowels, it's against the law.
Right.
That you can fucking get your hunting privileges taken away for
Facts.
life.
Facts.
Like if you went and took that meat and threw it in your trash can and somebody found out, or maybe you posted on social, this mountain lion tastes like garbage.
Right.
And pitched it in your trash can.
Right.
CPW would be on your ass.
Oh, no.
And you wouldn't be
no
hunting
kidding.
anymore.
No kidding.
Straight up.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And, you know, rightfully so, because the meat is very good, man. The meat on that cat is very good.
I was going to ask you, yeah.
It was
I've
very,
eaten
very
it
good.
a couple times, and I can't remember if I mean, it didn't taste bad to me.
To me, it's like wild pork. It's like wild pork.
And I've never had wild pig, so I can't attest to that. But
you just got to make sure, just like with a pig or with a bear, anything that eats meat, you got to cook it to 165 because of the risk of trichinosis. And that's just like a parasite. Like you'll be shitting and puking worms for a long time. Like it's pretty serious deal.
I love bear meat.
Yeah.
If it's the right bear meat. Like
sure.
I've eaten some trash bears.
Yeah.
Not that good.
Yeah.
But bears that primarily acorns
bears,
or
acorn bears,
apricots, some of those Western slope beers are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some of the best meat I've ever had, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I would imagine these cats, you know, up where you and Derek have harvested yours, I mean, they're just primarily eating deer, so I would imagine that's probably some of the best that you can get.
Yep, deer and elk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's cool. And I love the way that, back to portraying it the right way, and I appreciate Cam and what he's done. And back in the day, I think he's opened up a little bit more to fucking shock some people. But back in the day, and I've kind of stuck with some of these principles. I'm not a grip and grin type of guy. I will take some photos and share them with family members or like close friends or whatever, but I don't post to social media just because it's just a personal preference. Like I don't look down on anybody that does. I love seeing this shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to fucking deal with the shit, right?
Sure.
Like, I will post some sort of photo to let people know that I'm out hunting, but I won't actually post a photo of the animal that I harvest. And at the same time, I'm not a trophy hunter, so I'm not out. That doesn't mean that if a 400 class bull doesn't come by me during archery season at 40 yards, then I'm not going to put an arrow in him. You're goddamn right.
Sure.
As long as I have that tag, but I'm more of a meat hunter, so it's like, to me, posting a picture of a cow holding up her ears, just, it doesn't do it for me, man. It's not. Dude. It's just not what I do. I'm out there for me. That's me time, I guess, and I've really embraced hunting like that for myself, that it's about me and about what I'm doing. Just like I've embraced this podcast. At
Yeah.
one point I was chasing guests and that sort of thing, but now it's just I want to have cool ass motherfuckers in, drink a Patron with them,
Yeah.
hear some of their experiences, So.
Yeah, dude. So same for me, man. The grip and grin thing, unfortunately, is a part of it, especially if you're wanting to build the hunting business, right? People want to see, well, do you kill shit or not, right? So that is part of the business. But, dude, when I tell you I was the biggest Instagram hater until last year, literally, again, I played in the NFL. People would show me shit on IG, and I'm like, holy shit, is this all you care about is IG? And so now that's why you see me with 1,500 followers, because I just got on IG. Now, going back.
You know what? None of that shit matters, man.
And that's the thing.
That's my thing.
And I agree with that, but it's like, God, dog, people do like to see that you're out there and you are actually capable of doing what you're talking about on your show, right? So then that means, okay, well, I killed a turkey here. Let me post it. Okay, cool. Look
but
at
I
this.
guarantee you those 1,500 people that are following you are real motherfuckers. Because knowing you and knowing your persona and who you are and the way that you handle yourself, there's people that go out and buy their 10,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
I get hit
That's
up
fact.
all the time. Like, hey, you want 10,000 followers? Pay me X amount of money. And you're buying bots or fucking people that live in China or have no idea what you're doing. There's no engagement. Like,
facts.
And
that's the thing. Like, that's what fires me up. Like, when people ask, what's your IG, I tell them, and I'm like, look, dude, I just got on here. You're going to see I got 1,500 followers, but look at the engagement. And I'm not saying I have a ton of it, but what I will say is when I compare my stuff to somebody that has more than me, it's like, well, fuck, like people are at least engaging on my posts. I think it's, again, to what you said, it's like the way I carry myself, the way I portray the hunt. At the end of the day, let's put it to you like this. Like, if I don't feel a tag, it's a failure to me. Like, if I go out and I don't feel a tag, it's a failure. But at the same time, had one hell of a time, and I promise you I learned some shit. I can guarantee you I learned some shit that will be applicable to the next hunt. But, like, if I don't kill a 350 bull, like, if you scroll down to that mule deer, like, 2.5-year-old mule deer, when I tell you I was fired up, why? Because I hiked in there, took me 6 days to get on him. Right there he is, hiked in there, and I got him killed, right? In the backcountry,
That's awesome,
badass
man.
hunt.
That's a nice buck.
Outstanding eating. You know what I mean? It's not going to take a 200-inch buck to get me to shoot.
Yeah.
But, just because of the work that it took to get on this thing,
But
right?
listen, people like me and real hunters can appreciate that. Right?
I agree.
Wouldn't you rather have them be your audience or somebody that's aspiring to be a hunter? And I've had a ton of people reach out to me that are aspiring podcasters, or maybe they want to get into hunting and they haven't. I've helped some friends. I'd rather show them the truth than it's just the same thing as like, yo, there's some crazy ass women out there on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
But they're not your everyday women.
Right.
A lot of that shit's fake.
That's
man.
a fact.
You know what I mean? And it kind of goes with the hunting world too, man. Like not everybody's going to be Cameron Haynes, right?
Right.
That's a special type of human.
Yep.
Man. That is the GOAT of bow hunting, in my opinion. That's the Tom Brady of bow hunting,
Yeah.
right? Like, that guy lives, breathes it, has suffered, has sacrificed. I don't know if you read his book. God damn it. I'm drawing a blank. Jeremy, you got to look this up. Endure, I think.
I haven't.
Isn't it? Okay.
I
Awesome.
know of it, though.
I don't read books. I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
But awesome. He did the whole narration on it. But he talks a lot about, he was real with it, right? He talks about how much he sacrificed because this was such a big goal for him, just like I'm sure you have being an NFL player. He sacrificed so much of his family time that he missed birthdays and kids' soccer games or time with his wife or, all that sort of stuff because he was out scouting or whatever. Like that, he built his own success. He built his own empire and he worked hard to do it, right?
Yeah, man.
But with being the greatest comes a sacrifice, you know what I mean?
That's a fact, dude. And that's, a guy like Cam, a lot of people talk shit about Cam saying, oh, he hunts ranches, this and that. Do you know how many years Cam put into grinding it out when he was a younger guy?
That's insane.
Like, just grind it out. People look down on him like, oh, he's hunting private ranches. Listen, Cam deserves to hunt private ranches, man. Cam's put his time in on the public.
I agree.
All that other stuff. Like,
and not to mention the way that he wants to do it. He's killing 5 or 6 bulls a year.
Right.
Right?
Right,
Thanks,
exactly.
brother. Damn, we're going to have to get into Jeremy, you might have to go to the liquor store. We're about out of tequila. No, I agree, man. And I've had some interaction with him, and he has been nothing but gracious with time, sharing our whatever we're doing here. he's just a good fucking human, man.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've checked out his new podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's setting the bar, bro. Like the production quality.
Yeah.
Him as a person, just the people that he's having on. I'm so pumped for him, man. And
Likewise, man.
He's definitely setting the bar. Like, I mean, production-wise, even above like Rogan and those guys.
I
you know?
agree. And I think anybody that's followed him to any sort of level kind of expected that from him, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm only going to do this one way.
There's one way, dude. Like, I mean, that dude is different, man. The way he goes about life, like from the other day I saw him post something about he did like 11 summits on Mount Pisgah or whatever, and it was like 12,000 foot of gain, 30-something miles. Like, and like it took hours. Like his whole day was spent suffering. Like his whole day was spent climbing with a rock, over his shoulders, like climbing, and he'll drop, climbing, and he'll drop. I don't think people understand what type of metal that takes to like put yourself through something like that.
Well, his 1 minute reel that he posts a day of him doing that doesn't show the fucking 13 hours that he was out there doing it, or however long it took, 6, whatever it takes to run an ultra marathon, right? 50 miles or whatever he did that day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some grind in it, right? Like,
oh yeah.
I think that's one thing. That's one reason why I love his podcast, and that's one thing that I've tried to follow on here is like not anybody is just welcome on this podcast.
Sure.
I don't care who you are, right? Like it's people that are inspiring to me, people that are good people that I want to talk to, people that are doing something outside of the norm.
Sure.
Right? And I think that that's interesting.
I agree. Like for me, I found, and again, it's probably going to come off as brash. Like a lot of times the people that are like constantly in your inbox, and I'm just getting into this game, but people that are in your inbox like, dude, let me come on the show. It's like, I don't even know if I want to have you on if you're begging me to be on the show, right? Like,
right.
I'm looking for those dudes just like, hey, dude, you want to mind hopping on? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I get a lot of people that are just like, dude, can I come on and talk? And it's like, well, I don't really care to have you on. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to be honest with you.
Well, there's a polite way to do it too, because that's something that I've struggled with big time now that we've gotten a little bit of momentum and we're 100 and I think you're 119, so we're 100 some episodes deep.
I'm at 11.
Like I've invested a lot of time into this, and I've been duped on some too. But it's just really vetting your guest, getting to know who they are before you even reach out to them. Like I reached out to you, and like it was last week, right?
Yep.
And I didn't want to reach out to you too early. Like I honestly have a list of people that I want to talk to, and I haven't even contacted them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because it's like I want it to be as real as possible, right?
Yep.
Like I don't want to hit you and be like, yo, you want to come on? And then 6 months later, like, oh, I finally got a spot, right?
Sure.
And I'd love to do 6, 7, 8 a week if I could.
Right.
But it's not in the budget, man. I'm paying
6,
other
8 a
people.
week.
You know, like that would be awesome if I could do this every day. But I can't have a life outside of this without that,
That's
so,
a lot, man.
Yeah. If we could get to where we're doing 3 or 4, it would be awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be ideal. Right.
Yeah. For
and
sure.
then I could fish and hunt the rest of the time. Right?
Even 3 a week, I don't think people understand, man. That's a little bit of an undertaking.
Yeah. Are you editing all your own stuff and
Yeah.
doing all that? Yeah, that's a whole nother undertaking. Like what I have done with our sponsor money is I've put it right back into it. I haven't put a dime in my pocket. That has been paid to post-production, other people that have helped me out on the back end of stuff, transcription, whatever. And that's freed me up to be able to where I can do a bit more.
Right. And that's
but also that comes at a price,
Right.
It's like, God damn, it cost me, some money to put out one episode now.
Right.
Because these people are relying on it and we have contracts signed or whatever, right?
That's exactly
That's why
what
I'm
Luke
still
said,
on one a
man.
week. So it's like, it's this double-edged sword of back and forth. Like now I got this free time. Yeah, it's nice to just come in here and hit record. But at the end of it, it's like, I got to pay somebody to do that.
Facts. And that's exactly what Luke said, man. Luke from GU, obviously he's been doing this for, quite a few years.
Great guy. Shout out Luke.
Shout
man.
out to Luke,
we've,
man.
We've done some cool shit together.
He was saying the same thing, man. And, he's been a great resource for me because, like I said, I'm just getting into this shit and just hearing, the interactions that he has with the listeners, the things he has, with the sponsors, just – having somebody that has experience, just like in sports, right? Like if you got somebody that's a veteran that's played the game or whatever, and you can pick his brain, I don't know how that can end up bad, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like just to hear whether it's a good story or bad, like you hear like, damn, this happened to you seriously? Like, and that's what Luke's been for me, man. Luke's been able to tell me kind of how, and number one, he's been able to hook me up with some of the sponsors and stuff like that, which is awesome. And it goes down to almost every profession. It's all about who you know, dude. It's all about who you know.
Well, he's a great dude that's gracious like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's who I want to surround my people or with people like that around me, because you're only as strong as the people that are holding you up. And he's a guy that gets that, right?
Yep.
So he shared stuff with me. I've hit him up before. It's like, yo, I want to have Gaethje on the podcast. And he's like, here's his email. Hit him up, you know? Or like I've hit him up on some other. He's actually the reason why I'm at American Bowman now.
Yeah.
Because I hit him up and he's like, yeah, let me reach out to Scott, because I was just trying to take my son out there to shoot because we couldn't make the Father's Day shoot. It was something that we did every year. And we had something coming up where he had soccer or football or some sort of shit. So it was conflicting, but he really wanted to do that. And I was like, yo, let me just see if we can get us on American Bowman, because I wasn't a member. So I reached out to Luke, and Luke set it up right away. Man. He's been on my podcast. I've been on his. I don't ever look at him and like I'm happy for any success that he has. And he's been the same way with me. Like anything that happens, like Rogan shares our podcast or whatever, right? Like Rogan just recently did that with Coach Mark Montoya, which is I'm super grateful for.
That's awesome.
And
dude.
as much as I have wished for that to happen, I've kind of put it behind me where it's like I don't care about it. So like people were like, why aren't you freaking out? I was like, I'm so grateful for that. But it's like, that's not what I'm striving for.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But like for him to appreciate that and not be like, oh, fuck these guys or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's very easy to compare yourself to somebody else, right?
That's fact.
Yeah. And I think it's bad for you, man. I think it's just, I view us all as a community, especially up here. It's been awesome, man. There's so many podcasts around. I'd love to help you with yours if you ever want any of our guests or any advice. I mean, I've learned all on my own, but
sure,
I'd be glad to share whatever I got. And I've helped a ton of people start their podcast too, or help them out with theirs, or sponsorship questions or whatever, man. I'm an open book when it comes to that.
Man, well, I sure appreciate it. And to your point, dude, it's crazy that there's some people out there that like literally their thing is hating on other people. Number one, maybe they know them, maybe they don't, but like to hate on somebody, you know, especially somebody you don't know, it just blows my mind. You know, there's people around that just do that, right? It's like they want to see you fail, which I don't know. That just blows my mind, man. And going to your point about Luke, man.
Or
Luke's
like it's a competition.
Yeah, right. Like,
you know
are
what
you
I mean?
kidding me? It's like a
And
TV show. You watch mine, then you watch yours, then you watch
believe me,
Luke's. Like,
if you've hung out with Luke, you know everything is a competition, right?
Come
You're going to
on,
put some money on some sort of shit.
period.
But, like,
Shooting a
but when
bow,
it genuinely
don't matter.
comes to helping you, he's the first guy that'll be there.
First
you know what
dude.
I mean? Yeah.
First dude. Dude, I literally
awesome.
live 20 minutes from Luke, bro.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's 20 minutes from us, so we're 40 minutes from each
Oh,
from
yeah.
everybody, right?
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy. I had no idea before I started this that he was like just around the corner, and you know, Aaron was right down the road. I had no idea that Aaron Snyder even lived here until I got into it, and it kind of opened my eyes. I was like, holy shit, all these dudes are like right here, and there's a little like podcast community of people just putting down.
I know.
Yeah.
I had no clue, like I said, and then I saw Luke's truck, and I'm like, podcast. I was like, there's no way in hell this.
I love his slogan too. Yeah,
yeah, man.
Shout out to GU. If you're not listening to them, if you want your belly to hurt,
there we go.
You know, one night or something. And the cool part is he does it live. He has the whole like call. It's like a morning radio show or something at Friday night at 11 p.m. or whatever. Right.
Dude, GU's awesome, man.
I love that. If I don't have something going on with the kids, I just go out. I got a little gym out in the garage and fucking throw that on and just listen to his dumb ass.
I love the format. Yeah. Like, you literally sit there, you drink, you talk shit. Like, he doesn't act like he's Jim Shockey or something, right? Like, he knows everything.
Right.
Like, he's very transparent. And I think people appreciate that. That's why he's having the success he's having, man.
Yeah, he's genuinely himself, man. I love having that guy in here. I can't wait to have him back. Anytime that he's in, it's a good time. So, yeah, and I've had a good time hanging out with him on his, too.
Yeah, man.
It's just that's a cool little setup he's got up there.
I agree.
Super cool. Well, shit, man, we haven't even dived into anything I want to dive into with you. Let's go back to your background, because we were talking about you know, plowing your own field so you could whitetail hunt, and I've never whitetail hunted in my life.
Okay.
And I just kind of like my uncle that doesn't desire to see the ocean. I don't get a whole lot of time to hunt. And elk and the Rocky Mountains are my sanctuary, I guess, when it comes to that. So that's where I spend all my time. I haven't done much hunting outside of the state of Colorado.
Sure.
But yeah, let's dive back into your background. So your dad didn't really hunt. He was an opportunist, right? Like if there was something in the yard.
Exactly. Opportunist. Like I said, man, we would literally, my first days of hunting, obviously whitetail deer, was standing by the fire pit looking at a field, you know, hoping the deer was going to ease through and I'd get a quick chance to get a pop shot off. But I can remember the first time going out by myself. I was like 11 years old, and I was using a hexagonal barrel CVA youth model loose powder 50 caliber muzzleloader 209 primer. I'm talking about old school.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, so barrel all rusted out, and so I go in the woods, and you know I'm 11, 12 years old, and in the woods it gets darker quicker than in the field, right? So it's an evening hunt, and I'm in the woods. I'm like, oh, it's getting dark. I'm all scared of the dark, so I'm like, I want to come out to the field. So I come out to this field, and it was lighter out there. So I shimmy my fat ass up in this cedar tree, like all the way to the base of the tree. So I got limbs like in my face. Like, I don't know if you've been.
Were you a big kid?
Oh, dude. In 8th grade, bro, like going into high school, I was 6'4", 290 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, like he wearing a size 15. But so dude, I shimmy up in that cedar tree, and I'm like, all right, I probably got 20 more minutes left. Sure enough, I hear crunch, crunch, crunch. Out sticks a deer. I didn't look and see what it was. It was a juvenile hunt, so I could shoot whatever. Boom, smoke everywhere. Finally, the smoke cleared. I'm like waving the smoke out of the way, and there's a deer just laying there kicking. I'm like, hell yeah, I shot him, whatever. So the rule was I had to take a walkie-talkie with me when I went out in the woods. You know, like I said, grew up on 34 acres, and I got my walkie-talkie.
So that was your communication back to the parents.
There you go. No cell phone, just walkie-talkie. So my folks are sitting out on the porch, which is kind of like the thing to do down the south. You know, before the sun goes down, sit out on the porch, drink some sweet tea, hang out. So they're on the porch. I'm out hunting. All of a sudden, pa-poom, and I'm on the walkie-talkie. I thought I was hitting the button to say, I got one.
There's nothing more old school than shooting a muzzle loader, too. Like,
bro,
the fire, the smoke, the fire coming out of the barrel. Like, it is fucking.
I'm talking
cool.
about a 209 primer, old school. Literally, you would pull the trigger, and I had to practice this. Like, you'd pull the trigger.
Feels like you got kicked in the teeth by a mule.
Brass butt. Yeah, brass butt on it. Like, you pull the trigger, and you got to wait, like, a good solid second. Like, it was a boom. So you got to practice that, like, staying on that deer. And finally, you know, I get one down.
Trigger press on that,
dude. No. So I'm going nuts, and I'm like, I got one. I thought I was hitting the button on the walkie-talkie. Come to find out, I was just going so nuts. They heard me from hundreds of yards away.
This is your first deer?
This is my first one alone, by myself, that I went in the woods, 11, 12 years old with my muzzleloader. And they heard me from the porch saying, I got one. I wasn't even hitting the button. I didn't even turn the power on, but they just heard me going nuts all the way from the porch.
Yeah.
And I smoked this button buck, man, as a young kid. And that was the first thing I ever took by myself. And I was like, that was awesome, man. Because, again, young kid, I was in the woods, and I was like, I'm getting all scared, right? You know, because it was getting dark in the woods. And I was like, well, I'm going to go sit on the field. You know, I had the wherewithal to come out, get in a cedar tree, which had me perfect. Thank God the wind was correct because I wasn't paying any attention to it. Had no idea. Like I said, my dad's opportunity. He did not tell me anything about the wind. I'm just going to be frank about it. And so I'm just sitting there. I don't know what the wind's doing. I don't care. I'm just hoping a deer comes out in this field. Sure enough, it did. Pa-poom, frontal shot, 50 yards right in the chest with the muzzleloader. But that was my first deer by myself.
That's so
man.
Amazing that your parents let you go do that on your own with a gun.
Yeah.
Like, I think my first gun was at, I want to say I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
It was a little 22 Martin something. It was a rabbit hunting gun. And
yeah.
It was mine. I had to take care of it. I had to lock it up myself. I had to clean it myself. I was responsible for it.
That was your gun.
And it was a big responsibility, right? There's something about that.
Yeah. So they didn't trust me enough to let me get the 22 until I was like 14. So,
but a 50 cal muzzle.
So here was their thought process was,
right.
You know, a 22 bullet, you shoot that thing in the air, something at a squirrel, it's going to still travel a long way.
Yeah.
That muzzleloader is going to, and that thing's going to drop, right?
Yeah,
so
you might as well be throwing a rock.
There
almost,
you go.
Right?
Exactly. So my first days was, I had a 410, single shot 410. That was what I was getting after the birds and the squirrels and the rabbits and stuff. But I wanted a 22 so bad, right? Because you can shoot a 22, you know, even with open sights, 80 yards and still hit a fairly good size target,
even with
right?
open sights.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I always wanted because My first weapon was like a Grizzly pump BB gun. Just I was going to town on the birds with that thing, man. The book would say to crank it like 5-10 times, dude. I'd pump that thing 30 times.
Yeah, I had the old Daisy 880 power line, man.
Yeah,
that
dude.
Thing was a fucking. You might as well have had it 22.
Yeah.
I swear to God, man, that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. You didn't get BB gun wars with it. 'Cause
Yeah.
You were penetrating motherfuckers.
Oh, and that's funny you brought that up, the BB gun wars, dude. I'm from Hillbilly, Tennessee, man. We would do the craziest stuff. I remember for like 2 years we got big into paintball. Like, I want to play paintball. We were like, I want to play speedball. And we would go into a course with like the big blow up, like, barricades or whatever, right? And we'd play paintball. I stopped that. I remember one day I had my knee exposed and I didn't know it. My right knee, and I just remember I was cranking that rocker trigger, firing on somebody. Wasn't hitting him, but I was shooting right on this barricade. All of a sudden, I feel a pain on my knee so bad, and I look, and the paintball had hit me in the kneecap and didn't explode. But I'm a kid, and I'm in so much pain that I'm like, screw that. I took that paintball and slapped it on my leg. I was like, I'm out. Like, y'all got me. I was like, y'all got me. But blasted me right in my kneecap, and then I come and try it again, dude. On the speedball course, I've got my mask on and everything. I've got my pods around the waist and everything. And all of a sudden I get hit in the ear. I'll never forget it. Yellow paintball. It exploded. But when I tell you, I just heard, and I've been hitting the head a ton now. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was a kid then. But, dude, all I heard was beep for about 30 minutes, man. And I'm like, I don't think I want to do this shit, man. Yeah. Hit me right in the ear. And it just peed.
I never played it. We used to play it in the woods, so our guns were like, a few kids had guns or something, but I never had one. So it was like a loner thing. It would be like a 3-on-3 or something. So we had like 6 guns total.
Mm-hmm.
But those fucking things would leave welts,
Hey,
bro.
I'm telling you, man.
And these guys, I guess like if you used to go to a range, they'd make you test like your gun would have to be set at a certain PSI
that makes
or whatever.
sense. I never had to do that.
These things were turned all the way up. Like, you ended up with more welts than you did paint on you. That's for damn sure.
And then some of those kids would freeze those paintballs just to say fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
Let me freeze these paintballs because it's about to hurt like shit.
We did that shit, too.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Yeah, no, it's crazy. You and I kind of grew up the same way. Did you ever have a potato gun?
Hell yeah, I had a potato gun. I got the flea market with the
fucking Coleman lantern.
Come on, man. Hell yeah, I had a potato gun. We had they called it the flea market, man. It was like 30 minutes away. It was in a town called Sweetwater. If any of y'all are familiar with Tennessee, you'll know about it. Every Saturday and Sunday, they had a flea market all year round. And like I said, I'm from BFE, Tennessee, so they would have funnel cakes, rebel flag salesmen, like all this crazy shit, like sugar glider, little pets, right? Like, I mean, you can find everything at this flea market. A lot of times, that's where I would go get my square tubing for the stands. But, dude, yeah, potato guns, marshmallow guns.
Yeah.
Paintball guns, knives, swords. I used to collect swords. I'd have all these swords, all these knives, and I'd get them from the flea market, man. Every Saturday, I'd be like, please, can we go to the flea market for an hour? And I'd get a funnel cake, and I'd walk my fat ass around, dude. And at one point, I thought I wanted a bird because there was this guy that had all these birds, like all these parrots and shit. I'm like, I want a bird. My folks are like, hell no. And, now it's like, that makes a lot of sense why they would say that. But, the
You'd
birds.
still have that bird.
Yeah, exactly. The birds, the sugar gliders, dogs, like I said, all kind of weird shit. But the flea market was a place to be.
Yeah.
In my hometown on a Saturday, man. Place to be.
Yeah, back to my uncles, man. They built me my first potato gun, and it was like we made it ourselves. And there was something just fun about that, like putting ether in the chamber and fucking having to screw the cap on and blow a little oxygen in there. And they were so much fun to shoot, man. You would just like hold the damn thing and like flick the thing and go, boom,
Yeah, man.
You could kill somebody with a fucking potato.
Oh, for
if
sure.
You wanted to.
For
man.
sure.
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, no, it's cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're talking $15 worth of shit from the hardware store back then.
PVC
or something
pipe.
Like that. Yeah. It was awesome. Good shit.
Uh-huh.
So where did, obviously, were you playing sports in school and stuff? Like you were an outdoors kid, you were doing all that. Was sports kind of a pastime then? Like how young did you start playing sports and where did football come into the picture for you?
So I was playing baseball like as soon as you could play baseball. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. I was obviously when you're that young, there's not a pitcher, right? You're hitting off a tee. But as soon as there was pitchers, I was a pitcher. I was throwing that heat, man.
So baseball was always the main sport then, huh?
Back in the day when it was Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Andrew Jones, Greg Maddux.
That was a cool era, man. I wish they
Andres Galarraga, right?
Yeah, bring some steroids back.
Barry Bonds, Cal Ripken Jr.
That's really when I got introduced to baseball because the Rockies were an expansion team at that point. Yeah, it was cool.
So back then, man, God, dog. Hold on, what were we just talking about? I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about you and your youth and hunting
baseball.
and stuff, but I wanted to know where
it.
sports come in because I've had a few friends that have made it to the NFL and haven't had long careers, or maybe they have. Some of them have been to a Super Bowl, been super fortunate. And, talking to some of these guys like Derek and stuff, it's like some of them grew up playing peewee football. Some of them never even thought about playing football. So I'm curious because I know how much time goes into it and how much their lives change. Even when they made that commitment from high school to college, was it was like, oh, I can't hang out anymore, bro. I gotta go to the weight room, or I gotta sleep, or I gotta eat, or I gotta fucking play football. And this brings me to one of my questions later on down the road that I don't want to forget. So make sure you remind me. Hunting and the football correlation, because the seasons are crazy, right? And that was one reason why I didn't play football my senior year, honestly.
Yeah,
100%.
That's really shit.
I had some other shit going on in my life, but one of the big factors was that I really wanted to elk hunt. I was sick of playing fucking football.
'Cause you don't have a fall when you play ball, man. That's like, okay, thanks for getting me back on track, and that's where football started. But let me make a side note here. So I had a guy reach out to me from one of the best high schools in the state of Colorado. It's a private school. Reached out to me, wanting me to meet with him and talk football and see what kind of opportunity was there for me. And I told him before I met him.
Like he wanted you to coach.
I told him before I met him, I said, dude, the only thing I would ever agree to would be on some consultation type of a deal. Because of the schedule. You know what I'm saying? To do it right, you don't have a fall. Like, I don't care if you're coaching high school, college. Like, you don't have a fall
even
if you're doing it right.
Man.
There you go.
Like, yeah.
There you go. So, anyway, met with this guy, and it didn't work out. But point is the reason that I was skeptical about meeting him is I'm like, even if they come in with some crazy figure amount of money, I'm not giving up that amount of time because I've spent so many years of my life without a fall that now that I have it, I can't imagine not having it anymore. Yeah. But going back to what you were saying about how I got started into it, baseball player as soon as I could, man. And finally in the 8th grade, I'm in the 8th grade, and my gym teacher just so happens to be the football coach. So we got to walk like 20 laps around the basketball gym before we start playing dodgeball, kickball, whatever the hell it is. So I'm walking laps, and all of a sudden I look to the side of me, and a guy named Jerry Cook, who was the coach, great guy, still talk to him to this day. He's like, hey, man, start working out for me. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, for football. I'm like, I'm not playing football. Never watched a football game, don't know shit about it. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I play baseball. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And he's like, come on, man, just try it. You're a big kid. Dude, in the 8th grade, like I said, I was like 6'4", 285, dude. Like, big kid, wearing a size 15
Coach
shoe.
sees you walking down the hallway. He's like,
so he's like, please do it. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I started doing it. I started working out, and I hated it, bro. And
really?
my folks hated it. Hated working out. Never
That's
worked out in my
crazy.
life. Never worked out in my life to that point. And
lo and behold, you're in the NFL.
yeah. But my folks, they weren't the type of folks to be like, no, you've got to stay and do this. Like, you started,
Right.
They weren't like that. They're like, whatever you want to do. So I'm like, well, I do not like it, but I'm going to keep doing it. And so 8th grade year was my first year playing. I was playing defense, playing defensive line. And I was just bigger and meaner and maybe faster. You know, here's the deal. I got a different outlook than most people on football. Like, I look at my high school career and I'm like, that shit was all right. But, like, most people look at it and be like, holy shit, you're killing people. But, like, what I know about technique from an offensive lineman standpoint, I'm like, fuck, you got to bend. You got to use your hands better. But point being is, anyway, so 8th grade, start working out with the team.
Just going back to it, like the position that you play, and it was one of the positions that I played in Pee Wee football coming up, and there's no fucking comparison, so I have no room to talk.
Yeah.
But being on the line is, in my opinion, it's the fucking trenches, dude. Like,
there's not another more
fist. A fist fight every fucking down, like, especially in the NFL, man. You see what these guys go through, and like, it's crazy, man.
It doesn't get any more physical than that position. So like I said, 8th grade, I start playing D-line. I'm all right. We almost went to what's called the SVC Championship, which is our level of middle school football, we almost won the best of best, right? We lost in the game to get us to that game. And anyway, going to high school, and of course, I'm trying out for the high school team for baseball. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to play baseball. The best thing ever happened to me, I got my ass
Were
cut.
you a catcher?
Oh, no, dude.
Because they
Pitcher
always
and
wanted
first.
me to. Oh, really?
Bro,
No shit.
I used to throw that thing. Anyway,
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, I used to throw that.
I played a little baseball too, even in high school, and I
Okay.
was always the catcher because I was the fat guy that
You
couldn't
must have had
run,
good
you know?
knees, though.
It sucked.
Because
I
that,
hated
bro,
it.
that's serious now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I try out as a pitcher and a first baseman, and obviously I've got the link to play first. But looking back at it, dude, I was not good enough, and I got cut. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's football or bust. So I'm playing football, and freshman year I was on the freshman team. I was not, I'd love to be able to sit here and say my freshman year I was on the varsity. It was not. I was on the freshman team my freshman year. I don't know how good I was because I haven't looked back at how I was playing, right? I've played a lot of football since then. But I don't think I was that fucking good, dude, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And
Is
I
there
look
any
at it,
film or anything you can
and I would love, dude, here's the thing, I need to hit my coach up and see if I can't find some. So, dude, literally our
You
film.
should. He'd probably love to hear from you.
I
man.
know, dude.
Yeah,
That's a great
yeah.
point. But, nowadays, film's huge, right? Like, everybody
Yeah.
watches film. When I was playing, we would watch film a couple times a year. They'd roll out. You remember the roller that the teachers would roll out with the big fat back TV with the strap on the top?
Yeah.
And they'd push it out. like
It was
dude,
a square
you
picture,
already know.
like the VHS.
You
and
already
like,
know.
yeah.
They would roll that out, and, a couple weeks we'd have film, and it'd look all grainy. You know how the VHSs look.
Oh, it was shit,
You-
dude.
you already
Watching
know.
film, you got 25 dudes that smell like fucking
Oh,
ass.
that's a great
Because we
point.
just got done practicing,
That's a great
and you're
point.
all trying to huddle around a fucking 20 by 20 TV.
Bro.
It's not even. This is a 55 in here, bro. Like
way smaller
we
than
would
that,
have
bro.
killed to
Yeah,
have that.
way
right?
smaller than that.
And the quality was shit. Like even my kid's football, Pee Wee. He just played. This was his first year of playing Pee Wee football. They recorded every fucking game with a camcorder from a deer stand that I would bring in the back of my truck. We'd set up this deer stand. It was like one of those, portable ones.
So you
or
got
whatever.
the above angle.
The above angle, and his entire. We could go back and watch film, and he fucking loved it, dude. He ate it up. We're still watching film to this day, and football's long over. Like,
Dude, put
Yeah.
it to you like this. So in the 8th grade when I first
I
started
would have
playing,
died for that, man.
bro, so in the 8th grade we watched literally zero film. And they literally wouldn't even give us Gatorade. Like at the games, before the games, you know what they had on a table in the little Gatorade cups? Pickle juice. They're like,
What?
drink the pickle juice because it's like an electrolyte.
Really?
So it keeps you from
Oh,
cramping.
I hate fucking pickles,
Bro, so no Gatorade. This is
Damn.
back, bro. This is back in the days where you used to take your belt. Do you remember when you used to have to thread your pads through your pants with the
Yeah.
belt? Like that's backing up. You know what I mean? Those days,
Your pads would be falling out.
man, come on, man. You used to have to wear like an ass pad, right? But-
Oh yeah, the tailbone pad.
The tailbone
Oh
pad.
my god, dude! The equipment has become so much more advanced, man.
Oh man,
It is unbelievable now.
it's a different game.
Not even, I mean, it's wild. It's funny when I played Pee Wee football, and shout out to my Pee Wee team and my boys like Cable Roloff. He went on to play at the NFL
Oh, wow.
level for a little bit, but played for the Saints for a minute. But we used to practice in a graveyard right down the street. It was the only grass that we had. It was the only green grass that we
That's a
had. Like
badass story.
we weren't dodging headstones. It was like it was a field right next to
Sure,
the graveyard.
sure.
But it was cool. We used to have to run or lap around all these graves. Is what the coach would make us
That's a
do.
badass
We'd,
story, dude.
Yeah.
So going
Good
back
shit.
to like the 8th grade, right? So like I said, dude, we were drinking pickle juice and just not a whole lot of funds for the team. Our field was overgrown and stuff like that. Sprinkler heads sticking up higher than they should have been, stuff like that. Going to high school, I'm on the freshman team, great. Finish out the year on the freshman team. Sophomore year, I'd love to, sit here and say, yeah, sophomore year I started starting. Did not. I was on the JV team, and then literally I started my junior year and my senior year. So junior year had a good campaign, and I'm like, damn, like I don't lose a whole lot. Like this is cool. So going into that next year, you think you're this badass because you're in school, you're a senior, and third period you would get somebody come over the intercom saying, hello, Mrs. Peterson, is Josh Walker there? We've got Middle Tennessee down on the field house. He needs to come down here and talk to him. And you walk out with your Letterman jacket on thinking you're the shit and all this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so anyway.
I never got that experience, man. I just never
Dude, it was
called up
sweet,
or
man.
anything.
It was
Yeah.
cool. So, we walk out and go down to the field house, talk to all these teams. Long story short, I ended up committing to Middle Tennessee. That's where I played for 5 years. I ended up redshirting, which goes to show you I wasn't ready to play.
Now, were you still playing D-line at that point?
Nope, playing O-line.
You went to O-line.
My only year playing D-line was that first year in 8th grade. Okay. From that point forward, they were like, you play O-line. And I was like, all right.
How hard was that transition for you? Because I always played D-line, and I fucking loved it. And then the one year that they put me at center, I was kind of like, man, I don't like football anymore.
So to answer your question, I was so new into the sport that it was so easy. Like it was so easy. I was like, oh, so this is what I do now. It wasn't like, well, for the last 6 years I've been doing this. Now I got to change to this. It was more of, I started playing this game last year. This is what I did last year, but now this is what I do. So, like, it literally was a seamless – well, obviously it wasn't seamless because I wasn't starting my sophomore year, but point being is it wasn't as hard as you would imagine.
That was a hard transition for me because I never played O-line for a lot of years, and then all of a sudden they were like, okay, you're going to be the right guard because we're pulling and you're kind of fast.
Ooh, right guard.
I was fucking getting destroyed by, like – so I did play varsity football my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And I was playing against some grown-ass men, and I was still a young boy, man. And there was a few times I got snotted big time by some linebackers coming through the hole. Brutal.
So I start playing, like I said, my junior year, and I start every game from there forward. Go to Middle Tennessee. I redshirt the first year, which goes to show you I wasn't ready to play, still learning the game. And when I look back, even at my college tape, the thing I was missing was pad leverage. Like, I was so much bigger than everybody in my redneck little town that I could grab somebody but with one hand and be standing straight up and hold him at the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? But you get in the National Football League, you get in the D1 football, you're going to get your head ripped off trying stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, number one, the playbook took a little bit to learn. It was obviously a little bit tougher of a playbook than high school.
Is that dry?
We're close. We got to finish that.
Dude.
Here,
you finish that.
Right.
I'll have one of these. If you want some ice, there's some in that Yeti cup right there.
I'm good, brother. Right. Thank you so much.
Damn, spilling shit.
But, dude, God, dog, where were we on?
So we were talking about football leverage. We were talking about going to the NFL and having to learn leverage.
Great. So, dude,
which is a whole nother ballgame.
It's a whole nother ballgame. Like I said, dude, like, even at Middle Tennessee, okay, let me get my words correct here. So, Middle Tennessee's Division I football. Don't get me wrong. When I first got there, it was Sun Belt, and then my last year or two, it was Conference USA. So it's Division I football, right? It's big football, but it's not Alabama, right? It's not University of Tennessee. It's not anything like that. So at Middle Tennessee, all right, let me give you the gritty details. So my first year, I redshirted, which was one of the coolest years of my life, right? Because all I had to do was practice and party. My first year being away from my parents, my first year being in the city of Murfreesboro, I'm going nuts. Like, this is awesome. Like, I got my freedom. And, you know, even
there's something about that, right?
There's something about that. Yeah. Now, I'll say this. My first year, bro, my redshirt year, I was so homesick, bro. Like, all I wanted to do my first year, I had a good buddy of mine. Shout out to Tyler Watson. But he was from Chattanooga. I'm from 45 minutes northeast of Chattanooga. But we would go home every chance we got because I know me, and I'm sure he would say this too, I was homesick as hell. Like, I just wanted to get back to the country and hang out. But after that first year, bro, it was bad. It was bad, man. Once you get used to, you know, living in a dorm and living with these other dudes, like, so my first year.
There's something about that camaraderie, too, right? Like, being around your boys, not to mention the different opportunity and flavor and women that you have out there, right? If you're into that.
Bro.
Or even young men, whatever.
Sure, whatever you're into,
is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's definitely, I mean, there's a reason why people that don't even go to college and party.
That's a great point, man. And my first year, so as a freshman at Middle Tennessee, it don't matter who you are. You've got to stay at what's called the Scarlet Commons your first year, which is the athlete dorm. So there's volleyball, there's basketball, there's tennis, there's soccer. It's all the athletes, and this dorm is a circle with, like, you know, apartment buildings that were like 1, 2, 3, 4 stories high, sprinkled in like an oval. And, you know, you've got laundry right in the middle, and there's like a grassy knoll to go throw Frisbee, whatever the hell. But I just remember, dude, like, going to the laundry room one night at like 11 p.m., school night, and I'm like, I ain't got nothing clean to wear. And I know my folks would be like, you better not put on that shirt you've been wearing for 3 days, you know what I mean? So I just remember going into the laundry room at like 11 p.m., and I'm paying for the laundry with quarters, you know what I mean, putting this stuff in. I'm like, damn, I'm by myself. Like, I am doing this on my own. You know, you're 17 years old. You're like, I'm a man. I'm a grown man. Yeah. And so that first year happened, and it was cool as hell. You learn a lot about yourself. You're still a kid, dude. All throughout college, you're still a kid, obviously.
Was that a full ride?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's awesome, man.
Full ride. And the main reason I went there, man, I got a good buddy. Shout out to Brandon McElroy. So me and McElroy, he was a year older than me. But he was an offensive lineman at Ray County High School, RHEA, where I'm from, East Tennessee. He was the right guard. I'm pretty sure I played left guard or left tackle. To be honest with you, I don't remember where I played in high school, bro. I played a lot of ball since then. But point is he was one of the 5 starters with me. He lived 5 minutes away, and he ended up going to Middle Tennessee. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, like, the year before I committed there, I was going there and watching spring games. They were inviting me out, right, to come on my visit, all that. Well, McElroy, obviously, who I've known my entire life, showed me a hell of a time at Middle Tennessee, right? Like, it was incredible.
He was 1 year up on you, right?
1 year older than me. So, like, you know, he got to experience the whole year, and he thought had it figured out and, like, got to show me the ropes, which he did, and it was incredible. So I committed there, and I do not regret it one bit. And, bro, so my second year, which was my first year not being a redshirt. So they had a guy that came in. He transferred from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, UT, right? The Orange, UT.
Oh, shit.
The SEC, right? So at Middle Tennessee.
Dude, that's a big
bro,
deal, yeah.
So at Middle Tennessee, you already know he's getting penciled in as a starter, right? So everybody thought, like, oh, you know, Walk's been getting better, this and that. You know, he's going to start. But then they bring in a guy. I'm not going to say his name, but really good guy. I'm not going to say his name. He's from Tennessee as well, but farther west than me. Transferred from the University of Tennessee to Middle Tennessee instantly. Boop, 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 boop. His name is number 1 at right guard. I'm like, damn, there's no way I can ever get this back. Well, come to find out, he's got IBS, some kind of stomach deal. Well, here's the deal. And Preston's a tough dude, but how do I put this in palatable terms? You can't miss practice when you're playing football, especially at Division I college level, moving forward. Okay, so you know what's up.
Yeah, you better show up or
it don't matter if you're limping or you're leaking vomit, whatever. You better be at practice. So he was missing a lot of practice. So I was number 2. They're getting to see a lot of 77. Like, Josh Walker, oh, wow. Like, and I don't know what was going through their heads, but I'd imagine they're like, okay, well, here's Josh, sophomore year. Here's Preston coming into college. Here's what he looks like. Point being, all of a sudden I win that starting job week 2 of my second year. Rip off 43 straight starts. So that was how I got my start, is beating out this guy that transferred from University of Tennessee.
That's most football coaches, and that's why I love fucking football. Is because there's no bullshit. Like, this culture that we're living in now, like where my kid plays soccer and then goes to football, it is totally different, man. The coaches are cursing and, like, calling the kids out when they don't make a play. And,
wow.
You know, soccer's like, hey, it's okay, we didn't win the game. It's okay. Like, here's a little pat on the back, and, like, it's accepted. But goddamn, if you lose at football,
hey, man,
you better watch out, because the coach is gonna be fucking hot.
So to your point, that goes to show you got a guy that was committed to Tennessee, was at Tennessee playing football, and you got me coming from BFE Tennessee, didn't have a whole ton of offers. You know, if you look at that on paper, hey, here's the answer. This guy, right? The Tennessee guy, the guy that's been playing at Tennessee. We're putting him in, right? He's obviously Tennessee thought enough of him to offer him. We're going to put this guy in. Well, he got penciled into that spot, and he started playing. He was a good player. Don't get me wrong, he was a good player. Like, when he played, it's like, oh, wow, he's pretty good. But, like, in the NFL and in Division I football, probably in all realms of football, a lot of times your availability is your best ability. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your best ability. So when they found out that this guy was missing practices and all this stuff, they're like, well, we got a guy that probably about the same talent level, but he's always there. Sickness, whatever, he's always at practice. So they're like, well, let's give him a try. So I start one game, and they're like, damn, like, he looks pretty good in there, right? Sophomore, redshirt freshman year. Your redshirt freshman year, right? So the next year after redshirting. And so they put me in. I'll never forget it. At FAU, I'm all nervous and shit. Like, literally, it was my first time on a plane going to Florida Atlantic down in Boca Raton. Get off the plane and bro,
That was your first time
Bro,
traveling,
yeah.
like on a plane? Was it college football?
Let me walk that back. So the year
Damn,
before that,
that's crazy.
2009, which was my first year, I was a redshirt, and we got into the New Orleans Bowl. And that was my first time getting on a plane was 2009.
Wow. And going to New Orleans?
Going to New Orleans right after you already know. You know how that you probably
Please
can
tell
imagine
me you
how
were
that
on
went.
Bourbon Street.
Oh, right on Bourbon.
Yeah.
So anyway, dude, so I get my start and rip off 43 straight starts. And it was cool. So like if I was to tell you like what the hell were you known for? Like it wasn't technique, it was that fucker plays every game and he's trying to beat the shit out of who's in front of him. It wasn't he's a technician, it was this dude's vicious. Like yeah. Number one, he's winning the most improved offensive lineman year in the weight room every single year. Number two, you cut the tape on. This guy is coming off the ball with reckless abandon. Now, if I would have been able to say that I was coming off with reckless abandon with a great pad leverage, maybe my story would have been different. Maybe it would have been the draft and all this stuff. But I go back and look at it, and I played so high, bro. Like, I look back at it, and I'm like, you got to get your ass down. And I don't know if I can sit here and say that it was playing down to my opponents. Like, when you play the Louisiana Monroes, you play the Troy, you play the West Kentuckys, all due respect to them, they were always dogfights.
Well,
So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How much of that comes back to coaching? Because of the podcast and some of my good fortune here, I've been able to get my kid some real coaching, right?
Yeah.
Because when he came to me this year and was like, I want to play football, I was like, all right, well, let me start working with you, because me and you going and throwing the football down at the high school football field when you don't have a helmet on or shoulder pads and it's a fucking breezy day
Sure.
and you're catching these fucking amazing passes, and I know you love watching the NFL, is totally different. So let's go out in July. Let's put some shoulder pads on you. Let's put a helmet on you. Let me make you run some sprints. You're going to do the Oklahoma against me. And then I'm going to throw you the football, and let's see if you still like it. Because
Yeah.
I wanted him to show up, right? Like,
Sure.
because to me, football, if you go into it with that pussyfoot mentality like they have in soccer now, you're going to get your ass ate up, right? Like, it's either hit or be hit.
You won't
It's
make it very
survival
far
of
with
the
that type
fittest,
of
right?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So
Just
let
from
me-
the little bit of experience I have. Do you
Dude.
feel that the same way?
So let me fast forward a little bit. Actually, it's not far fast forwarding. This is my first team that I was on. So I'm on it. I go to the Indianapolis Colts in the 2014 draft. I was undrafted. I go to the Indianapolis Colts, which I was fine with because I had a good rapport with the offensive line coach because he came to my school, worked me out, thought a lot of – dude, literally I talked to Andy Reid in the 4th round in 2014, and he's like, hey, this might be you coming up. This might be you. And all of a sudden they pick up DB, whatever it is. Point being is
Did you get drafted?
undrafted.
Damn, that is badass.
Yeah,
I think
out
that's
the
so
mud,
fucking
brother.
cool, but like, how heartbreaking is that?
Bro, so I'm sitting there. I'm talking.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
this
you,
is
but I
great.
gotta ask you that because I
Dude.
think about all those guys that sit there and
Bro.
they got their families there and they're all dressed as nice as they could fucking be. Like, it's the nicest I've ever seen Derek Wolfe dressed. Right? He even cut his hair, I think, or some shit, right?
Bro,
But,
Wolf
like-
without them dreads, hey, he
It's
looked
not
like
him,
a
dude.
Bible salesman or
Yeah.
something.
That's fucking
That's my
funny.
dog, man.
But but I think about all the heartbreak that you don't see, and nobody
Bro.
showcases that, right? It's all about the winning. It's all
Bro,
about
so
it.
I'm gonna give you the gritty details, man. So my senior year, my redshirt senior year, I've been there for 5 years. Signed an agent my last year there, which actually let me walk this back. So if you were to
Yeah.
ask me, when did you think you had the talent to go to the NFL, bro? Like the end of my redshirt junior year, I wasn't thinking shit about it until then.
Really.
So like literally,
So this
the
wasn't
year
a
before.
childhood dream or anything.
Oh, bro. Like I said, I was a baseball player, brother. And all of a sudden I signed my agent, and I'm like, damn, this dude flew in from Baltimore, Maryland to watch me play, and he's saying – so it was Joe – anyway, he's got a lot of big-name guys, and I signed him, and I'm like, dude, he believes in me. And it was incredible. So played the whole – I guess, matter of fact, I signed him early that year, I guess, maybe, of my redshirt freshman year. Redshirt senior year. But going back at it, dude, my first year, second year, third year, I wasn't thinking about the NFL. And now, if there's anybody listening that plays smaller-time football – so all I wanted to do was get better. My first couple of years, I wasn't thinking about the NFL. I wasn't like, I'm 6'5", 330. I can play in the NFL. It was more of how good can I be to help out my teammates. And I'm not just saying that shit, like from a cliche standpoint. I wasn't thinking anything about the NFL because maybe it was because I had so little experience with ball from the standpoint of, dude, I swear to God, before 8th grade, whenever I told you I started working out, I did not watch a football game. Like, I had never watched a football game until then. Never a whole football game. Never. And so maybe it was where, like, you know, I was only 5-6 years into being, like, a football guy, but I wasn't thinking anything about the league until that last year. And I see a lot of guys in smaller time football that are like, oh, I'm coming here to make it to the league. I'm da-da-da. Good luck with that. I'm just telling you, it is difficult, man.
And that's all those guys got, and that's kind of where I grew up was like, I mean, the Denver Broncos were a big fucking deal here growing up. But I feel like kids today have it so different, right?
So different.
You can learn football from a video game. Like those games like Madden and shit are fucking unbelievable. And reading plays and like the way that they keep up with the injury reports and everything, right? Like it is wild.
Just the fact of what you said about Pee Wee football getting taped, that says it all. Because
it's a whole different level.
In the 8th grade, our games weren't taped. That I can recall. Like, our games weren't taped. So, like,
dude,
you gotta...
I have tape one of me. I got some pictures of me holding number 50, holding my helmet, you know, like a baseball or a football trading card or whatever, and that's it.
Dude, that is badass. But, so, yeah, man, getting into the league, and so I go undrafted to the Indianapolis Colts in 2014, and like I told you, had a good rapport with the O-line coach. He'd come in and so what they'll do, they'll come in and put you through an individual workout, which is like O-line specific bag driving stuff, like just stuff to you just got to show them like you're an O-lineman. And I don't think people realize what it takes to be an O-lineman. Like you got to have a screw loose, brother. Like and I'm not trying to gritify it, but like to line up against a 350-pound man that is that athletic, that's getting paid millions of dollars to whoop your ass, and every single play you come off the ball and you try to move him against his will, you got to have a screw loose. But anyway, so I go to
they're trying to murder you.
Bro, they're trying to take your head off, brother. Because they get bonuses from sacks, bro.
Yeah. Did you ever play against Derek?
So in 2015, we played the Broncos here.
He's a fucking savage, man.
So we played the Broncos here in 2015, which was my first. So I got in the league in 2014. 2015 was my second year in the league, my first year making the active roster. So all I did that game was PAT, so I didn't play against them, but we played there in 2015. And, yeah, it's like I don't think people realize what type of dudes, obviously on the offensive line, but the guys you play against, dude, like say you're a tackle. All right, you're not playing against a 350-pound man, but you're playing against a 260-pound guy with abs that's running a 4.4 that gets paid millions of bucks to whoop that ass every play. Now, you got 80 plays a game, give or take, to win or lose, right? Dude, there's a lot on the line. So, anyway, 2014, man, I go undrafted to the Colts, and I'm cool about it because I had met the O-line coach. He came work me out. I thought I possibly could get drafted by him. And I get up there, and come cut down time, there's like 2 or 3 days of it, dude. Cut down is the worst time for an undrafted free agent because you come into the building, you know it's cut day, you're undrafted, you know you're the first guys, right? So, literally, every time you hear something, a pin drop, you look behind you, you're like, so we call them reapers.
So were you a walk-on at that point?
Undrafted, yeah. Essentially, an undrafted guy is a walk-on.
Is a walk-on.
I was undrafted. So now I got a sizable.
So do you have to get invited for that?
Brother, yeah. So some guys, they get like a mini camp invite or a training camp invite. Now, I will say this. I was a, what do they call it? Point being, I got a signing bonus and all that. So I was like I can't remember the term. I apologize for blinking on this, but I was at the front of the line when it comes to the.
But you were paid X amount to come to practice.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. I was paid X amount. And I'll just be frank about it. That makes a lot of
sense, and I don't think there's a lot of people that understand that. Like, there's a whole level below that, right? Like,
so I'll be frank about it. I got a $10,000 signing bonus. So here I am, fresh out of college. I'm like, fuck, I got $6,800 put in my account, right? Because after taxes, it's like $6,800. Right. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I'm rich. I got $6,800. And then like you talk to like the draft picks, and you're like, oh yeah, I got X amount of million put. You know what I mean? So
it's a whole other.
It's a whole other level. So anyway, 2014, I'm there in April, which is right. Dude, literally after the draft ends, after about 2 days, you're there. So, like, when the draft's over, undrafted or not, you're at where whoever
You're
picked
at
you up,
camp,
that's
yeah.
where you're at.
Wow.
So I'm there, and I last until week final cut down day in camp. They cut me, but so I was there when it was Chuck Pagano, Andrew Luck, Ryan Grigson, and Ryan Grigson
Was Manning there at the time?
No, he had just left. It was Andrew
Okay.
Luck had been there maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And Ryan Grigson, who was the GM, he's like, dude, we love your style of play. You're a brawler. You're vicious, this and that. He's like, I think coming from Middle Tennessee, maybe you need to learn some more. Essentially, he's like, sit behind the guys we got on practice squad, and I bet you next year you'll be blah, 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 right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So I signed a practice squad contract. So I'm like, cool. There's no way they're going to cut me from practice squad. So I signed that right out of training camp before week 1. So week 1 comes around, we play week 1, I'm on practice squad. So I don't even go to the game because I'm on practice squad. You don't go to away games at all the places I've been.
Really?
You don't even go to the away games at the places I went. Some places they do. But the places I've been, you don't even go. So
would that be considered? You'd be a third stringer, though, right? So, like, if they went through
Great
one
question.
tackle or
Great question. So as a practice squad guy, you cannot play in a game until they deem you on the active roster.
Gotcha.
They've got to move
Okay.
you to the active roster to be able to play in a game. So week 1, I'm on practice squad. We lose the game. I'm pretty sure we lost the game. And then week 2, we had the Eagles. This is 2014, Indianapolis Colts. We lose. And everybody told me, like, after the game, they're like, yo, they make moves when we lose. Like, they start making moves. I'm like, it ain't going to be me. Like, there's no way. So I signed a lease, like, 5 days before that. I signed a lease in Brownsburg, Indiana. I signed a lease on a house. And the house had to sit for a couple months because, it sat there just waiting for somebody to either buy it or rent it, right? So it sat for a couple months. My point being is, I went in the garage, and there was, like, spiders in that shit. And I'm like, yo, I need spider spray. So I go to
Fucking
Home
hate
Depot.
spiders.
So I go to Home Depot, and I'm walking back to the cash register. I've got spider spray in my left hand. I'll never forget this. My girlfriend, Kendall, was with me, and I get a call from an unknown 314 number, which is Indianapolis. And I'm like, hello? And they're like, hey, is Josh there? I'm like, yeah, this is him. Yeah, so Mr. Grigson's going to want to see you. You probably want to bring your iPad with you. So, I'm not sure what it's about, but, you're going to have to meet him up here at his office at the facility. This is on an off day. So I'm not thinking nothing about even going up there, and I'm like, am I getting cut? So I bring my iPad, which is the playbook, bring the iPad up there, and Ryan Grigson, long story short, dude, it was cool because super realistic guy, very real. We talked for like 30 minutes, super good guy. I got my ass cut that day on an off day after we got beat by the Eagles in Home Depot, all happy. Like, I got a new badass 2-story, beautiful place to live. Because
you just signed the lease
4 days ago. Whoa, 4 days ago. So the house, it wasn't a mansion, but it was a 2-story, beautiful crib in Indianapolis. Because on practice squad, I was supposed to make like $130,000 that year, which is good money,
this
right?
is the part that people don't
Nobody
see what you
hears
go through.
about
They
this,
just
brother.
think like, oh, it's so cool to play in the NFL or be at that level, right?
Bro, so I'm on practice squad. I get signed to practice squad, and I'm supposed to make like $115,000, $130,000. I'm like, I'm rich, right? My folks never made anything like that.
Right.
I'm like, I'm rich. So, I signed a lease to the place. Me and my girlfriend live in this house on an air mattress with the TV on a Yeezy shoebox, like, for 4 days. And all of a sudden we're at Home Depot, and that happens, and I answer the phone. I'm like, holy shit. I go up there, get my ass cut. 2 days later, here's the deal. There's 2 ways you can go about it. You can say, fuck you, Colts. I know I can play. What's next? Or you can say, damn, I guess I'm not good enough. Like, I'm done. That was my first team. And I took the first route. I'm like, dude, fuck you. Like, I'm not losing. Like, I'm good at this shit. So I'm going to keep playing. So,
and your brain will naturally go to that other spot, right? Whether you're shooting on an elk or whatever, right?
That's a great point you just made. Is naturally I wanted to be like, oh, poor me. I just got cut. Like, what should I make a Facebook post about, oh, I got cut, right?
For myself, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was more of, I know I can play this game because I've been at practice since April. By now it's September. I've been at practice since April. I don't lose much. Like, I can play this game. So I tell my agent, he's like, oh, no shit, they cut you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, give me a minute. The next day, he's like, can you be on the 4:15 flight to Green Bay? They want to sign you to the practice squad. I was like, fuck yeah, I can be on the 415. So I'm living out of a leather bag, bro, for like, let's see.
So did you get to play in Luke, or did you get to go to the home games? Did you get to walk into Lucas Stadium
Yes.
before? That is one of my favorite stadiums that I've ever been in because I've done some rock shows in
Beautiful stadium, bro. The
All
rollback
brick.
top,
Holy
how
shit,
you
dude.
can just roll the top
there.
back
So
and it can
dope.
be outside.
It is so dope.
It's
All right,
incredible.
sorry, I had to go back to
No,
that.
dude,
but it's
Lucas Oil's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, got to go to the home games, and eventually I was just like I said, my agent called me the next day. He's like, "Can you be on the 415?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." He's like, "I'm going to be honest with you. They're going to sign you to the practice squad." They didn't say anything about the active. I was like, whatever. Finished out that year on the practice squad. So what I did was that year on practice squad is I just wanted to show the starters on defense, which let me take a second to go through them. You got Julius Peppers, LaTroy Guion, A.J. Hawk, B.J. Raji, Mike Neal. The
Clay
list goes.
Walker, right?
Clay Matthews.
Or Clay Matthews.
Clay
sorry.
Matthews.
Clay
The
Walker
list goes.
was the country
Yeah,
star.
yeah, yeah,
Too
yeah.
much tequila.
Yeah. The list goes on and
Yeah.
on. But the point is I wanted to flirt that line between who's this piece of shit practice squatter that's doing too much in practice and who's this practice squatter that should probably be on active.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Kinda everything, something happens for a reason.
You
right?
feel me?
Type of thing. Like, I don't know if you believe in karma. I really
I do,
don't.
brother.
But I do to an extent.
I do to an extent.
But, man, talking about, like, compared to the starters and people that are going to make it to the postseason, that's a team with some real fucking stars, talent, and had already been to the postseason a couple times, right, at that point. So, like, that to me, that's a one-up going on to Green Bay, right?
So in 2014, we had a chance to make a Super Bowl run. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
We got beat by the Seahawks at the Seahawks on a muffed onside kick.
I got to ask you something. Okay, don't let me forget this. I'm going to let you go. Go.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
Anyway, muffed onside kick. We lose the game. We should have won. We had the game in control. We were on hands team, so onside kick return. And we had a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he muffed the kick. Even though all week of practice, we're like, there's no reason you should touch it. Jordy Nelson. We're like, Jordy's going to catch this. Something crossed his mind where he thought, I'm going to catch this. Muffs the kick on onside. They recover.
I remember that, yeah.
So that was my first year in Green Bay. So we end up losing that. And like I said, all year I was like flirting the line between.
That was also the season like that I didn't want to forget. I'll never fucking forget this game. It was Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers. I believe it was 2015. Aaron Rodgers.
Whoa. Let me stop you real quick. You talking about Aaron Rodgers? Or you talking about
You guys
the tight end in the end zone for the win, Hail Mary?
Yes.
So that's 2015. Let me get to that. That's 2015.
Okay.
This is the year before that.
Oh, this is
Richard
2014.
Rodgers is a good friend
right?
of mine.
Okay.
This is 2014.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I know all about
were
that.
you there for that?
Yes, I was.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Yeah, I
whole
was
fucking
active
story,
on that.
dude.
So I was there.
Jeremy, you got to pull this up too. This is
pull it up,
fucking
man.
wild, dude. This is
Hail
fucking
Mary.
wild.
Aaron
this
Rodgers
is so
at his
fucking
best.
cool, man.
Aaron Rodgers
I had
at his
no
best,
idea.
brother. Yeah, so I was there.
Okay,
I promise
tell
you
me-
when you pull it up,
okay,
you'll see
sorry,
me on
I'm
this.
jumping ahead here. Let's keep going.
So,
yeah.
2014, bro.
2014.
The onside kick muff happens, whatever that happens, and the guy, he took it really hard. Which, to be frank, you should take it hard because all week of practice, it was coached that you are not touching the ball. You get out of the way,
Yeah.
let Jordy catch the ball, and you get down. Am I saying the guy should have tried to commit suicide or something? Absolutely not. But all I'm saying is all week of
fucked
practice.
up.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, there you go. So anyway, that happens, and then the next year, bro. Which is, here it is right here. Miracle in Motown.
Yeah. Okay, pause it for a minute because let him finish this story first.
Okay.
And then we'll watch this.
So, 2014, that was my last year. I'm sorry, that was my first year in Green Bay. I was on practice squad. So, I'm at the playoff game, which was the NFC Championship game, the game before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm on practice squad just hanging out, like watching this game. Like, this shit is loud as hell. When I tell you, so I've played pretty much everywhere. It comes down between Arrowhead Stadium, which is the Chiefs, and Seattle as far as being loud. As literally, we could not have a conversation. Like if I was to look at you, like you would be moving. Like literally, just like the reverberation of what was going on.
There was something when Marshawn in Seattle. Sorry, Jeremy, can you pause that real quick? Yeah. So Marshawn was in Seattle, and they show him like eating some Skittles on the sideline or some shit, and then he broke like he broke every lineman. I think they were playing the Saints. He broke every lineman on the line and ran like, I want to say it was like 75 yards fucking
like
run, right?
Yeah.
Beast mode.
That sounds like him. Yeah,
And
freak of nature.
the stadium went so crazy because they were on the West Coast. They were getting seismic
Earthquake.
activity.
Yep. I remember.
Like
Yeah,
it
same
caused
stadium.
a fucking earthquake.
Bro.
So that's how loud stadiums can get.
Yep.
And to put it in perspective, I've been to a ton of football stadiums, whether it was rock and roll or action sports. I used to do a lot with Supercross, and we would always go into these football stadiums, and there'd be a motocross track in there, which was super awesome. But to put it in perspective, like Arrowhead, I think is like 110,000 people, right? Like
It's a lot.
Mile High is only, I want to say it's like 80,000 or something like that. Seattle's not that big, but Arrowhead is fucking massive.
Bro, so let me hold my thought and go back to my first experience with Arrowhead. So I was a swing lineman my whole time in the National Football League, meaning they would take the 5 starters, they would take a backup center, and they would take me into a game. I could play everything but center. Now, I came into the league at 340 pounds, bro. I was a road grading guard, knocking the fire out of everything, brother. Like, I was a road grading guard. But then as I got older, I was kind of growing into my body, I think. And
Did they expect you to be that weight all the time, too?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. So the older I got, the more they realized, number one, I had some of the longest arms on the team, which goes a long way. Number two, I got good feet. Number three, I've went from coming into the league at 338 pounds to 323 pounds. So that might not sound like a whole shit ton, but that's a lot of weight loss.
That's
a
big difference.
You know what I mean? And I felt really good. I had super long arms. So like, fuck, he could probably play tackle. You know what I mean? Which I had never played tackle up until that point in my entire life, bro. And then going into my first experience at Arrowhead. So my buddy Joshua Wells, who is still playing in the NFL, he's a backup tackle at Tampa Bay. Played with Tom Brady last year. Great guy, super, just a dog. And so he is the swing tackle. So Josh Wells is starting that game. So what does that mean? That means me as the swing everything, I've got to be ready to play left tackle if need be. Whereas normally he's the swing tackle. So if Cam Robinson, who's the starting left tackle, or Jeremy Parnell, who's the starting right tackle, goes down, Josh Wells fills one of those voids. But Cam Robinson had an injury, so he's completely out of the game going in. Josh Wells is the starting left tackle. So me going into that week, I've got to realize there's a good chance I could be playing left tackle. Which, is it a great chance? Probably not. But left tackle is a different deal. Right. I'm just telling you, man. And so I go into that game, I'm like, what are the odds of me playing left tackle, right? Like, it ain't very good. So in the second quarter, I look at Josh Wells. He's limping. I'm like, whatever. He's a warrior. He's not coming out. I look at him again. He's getting up out of a pot. Right there he is, 72.
God
72.
Damn.
There he is. So
I don't care what anybody says. You guys are the fucking most athletic, biggest. I mean, this
Dude,
is
he's 320 pounds.
Bro, this is
That's
modern day
terrifying.
gladiators.
320 pounds, brother. Look at him.
I don't give a shit what anybody says.
So it's a good buddy of mine, Josh Wells. I talked to him this morning, actually. So he's in there at left tackle.
And that guy is fast, too.
Bro!
Like, there's no...
Bro, left tackle. We're talking about left tackle here in the National Football League, bro. So, like, I look out there at him, and he's, like, halfway limping. I'm like, ooh-wee. So I get on the sideline. I take Shat is Tyler Shatley. If you look Tyler Shatley up, he is the most tenured player right now on that Jacksonville Jaguars football
Give these
team.
guys a follow, too,
Yes.
Jamie. Yeah.
Tyler Shatley. Type in Shatley. So Tyler Shatley is the most tenured player on that football team. Let's see if this comes up. There we go. At the top. This is my dog. One of the greatest human beings you'll ever meet, bro. That's my dog. So anyway, I told Shat, I'm like, hey, brother, I'm about to have to go in and left tackle. Let's take some sets. And he looked at me with concern, like, I know what that means. Holy shit, you might have to play left tackle. I'm like,
he's an outdoorsman, too.
Yeah, big-time fisherman. He's from North Carolina. She's
Awesome.
redfish. It's my dog.
Yeah.
So we get some sets in. Boom, I'm setting. Boom, punching him as hard as I can in his chest. And this goes to show you the difference. It takes a different type of dude. Like, I'm literally setting 3 sets, and I'm punching him in the chest as hard as I can. He's like, good punch. Most people is like, You know what I mean? Like, I'm punching him as hard as I can in his chest. He's like, exactly. So, boom, I punched him in the chest, and all of a sudden, we called him Flats. So, Flats was my offensive line coach in 2018. His name's Patrick Flaherty. One of the longest tenured – dude, he's like 70 years old. One of the longest tenured offensive line coaches in the National Football League. Comes up to me, puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, are you ready? And to me, type of dude I am, I took that as, are you a pussy or not? I'm like, you're damn right I'm ready. Like, his left tackle. So he grabs me by the shoulder. He's like, go get him. And then about the time I took a step, he's like, no, wait. He's like, go get him. I said, Flats, I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I got a lot of respect for you, but I'm not doing this shit. Do you want me to get him or not? He goes, go get him. So I run in there. I don't give him the chance to be like, no, I'm good, right? Because he's hurt.
Right.
Like, I'll be damned, because, dude, the cameras are right above your head. I'll be damned.
Get out, I'm in.
I'll be damned if I see him go, no, you're good. So I ran in the huddle. I said, Josh Wells, they want you out. He's like, all right. So he limps off the field, and I get in there, and it's the end of the second quarter going into the third. The Chiefs are 3-0. The Jaguars are 3-0. This is the year after we damn near went to the Super Bowl. Point is, this is a huge game.
Yeah.
So we're both 3-0. The score's still tight. And I go in the game, and it's cool because I got such a great rapport with, like, all my teammates.
So
Everybody's
you're playing for Green Bay at this point?
No, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. So this is later in your career.
Yeah,
we jumped ahead a little bit.
This is my last year, bro.
Okay, cool.
So literally.
Just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, so he come, dude, all my teammates are so fired up to see me. Like, it just made me like, let's go, right? Because you don't want to get to where it's like you look at your teammates like, oh, shit, he's in here. Like, man, everybody look me in the eye. They're like, Jay, what? So I used to have this little thing. I used to be like, morning.
I
like,
can see it in your eyes now. It's a little bit different.
Hey,
You can, Derek. You're making me nervous.
So, like, I used to do this thing, like, no matter what time it is, like, when I see my dogs in the hallway, like, coming back and forth for a meeting, I'd be like, morning. No matter what time it is, like, we're just now getting up. Like, it's just now getting started. So I came in the huddle and everybody's like, morning. Like, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, like, I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So I get in the game. Long story short, no sacks, no any of that. But point being is, so they've got like an amplitude monitor on the Jumbotron, and it's for the fans, the home fans. Right. And it's basically saying, get louder.
Like, get loud.
Okay. So I'm in the huddle. I'm essentially the third left tackle, right? Because the backup was already starting the game, but I've got to come in and relieve him because he's hurt. So I'm sure on the whatever NFL network, they're like, here comes the third string left tackle. So, like, bro, the camera is like 6 feet over my head, and I'm just like, I was the type player, bro, like, I would be in a trance, man, because, you know, in all due honesty, I kind of wanted to inflict pain on whoever I'm playing against, right? So, like, I took it as a challenge because I knew that who I was playing in front of, who was Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Tamba Hali, Justin Houston. I know they're like, this is the third string tackle. I'm about to whoop his ass. But, you know, my big thing was I'm going to do everything in my power to make these fuckers, I don't care about what the viewers say, what any of that. I'm going to make these defenders be like, holy shit. Like, this dude is knocking the shit out of me.
Yeah, can I ask you, because a lot of that is kind of like in the trenches like that is putting somebody in check. Like, that's where all the shit talking goes on. That's where all the, like, I'm going to eat your mama and fucking, you know, your baby's kids and, like, all those sort of comments that come out, right?
Yeah.
And then, not to mention what goes on that you don't even see, right? Because your eye's on the ball and everybody's watching something else, right?
Yeah,
including the referees.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, like, and I've really sat down and thought about this. I'm like, what is the most physical position in football? Here's the deal. Safety is in there very close because they're always around the ball. But every play as an offensive lineman, you are striking somebody. Every play. You could be okay, say we have a three-man front. What's three-man front? You got 5 offensive linemen, right? You got one guy over the center, and you got a guy over each tackles. What does that mean? The guards are uncovered. You are taught. If you've got a little extra space, when I set and I don't have any work, you find work. So, like, the center that might be struggling a little bit, I'm coming over there, and I'm hoping his elbows are out of the way, but I'm trying to knock his ribs out of place. You know what I mean? But,
and you're trying to make them remember something so they don't come back for more.
Right,
like,
bro.
Like, that's the whole mentality. Like, it's so – it's fucking wild, man. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what you've been through and what you've done, man. Like,
Well, being an undrafted guy, right, you look at it as these dudes probably don't think shit of me, right? And you're like, motherfucker, I'm going to make you realize who the fuck 73 is, bro. So, like, every play, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong because, all right, if there's any young offensive linemen listening, every play is not about coming off the ball with everything you have and trying to knock the shit out of somebody. You got to be controlled aggressive. But, like, for me, a lot of times, and again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I wanted to show the Frank Clarks. I wanted to show the Aaron Donalds of the world. So, speaking of Aaron Donald, let me go into it. So, my first time ever playing in a game ever in my entire life outside of PAT and jumbo tight end. So, my first time ever playing guard in a regular season game was against the St. Louis Rams when they were the St. Louis Rams against Aaron Donald, bro, in 2015.
that was a Super Bowl year, wasn't it?
Bro, so that was 2015. That was the next year. Okay. But they might have won it that year. The Rams might have.
I think they did.
So anyway, my girlfriend's mom is in town. So I'm like, of course I got to show out. Like, you got me. Like, my old lady's mom's in town. Like, I'm going to show out. So, but going into the game, I'm like, okay, so the guys I was backing up were TJ Lang and Josh Sitton. Now, if you were to ask me, I would tell you that both of those guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because I look back at those grade sheets that I was – so after every game you get a grade sheet, right? Were you 50%? Were you 100%? You don't see any 100%.
So it's stats then.
It is dude, when I tell you in the NFL, you look at stuff under a fine-tooth comb, right? Sure. So these two guys who were guards, bro, like literally consistently 90s, which is unbelievable for an offensive lineman. So both of these guys, TJ Lang and Josh Sitton, who I talked to both of them to this day, outstanding guys to play behind. But they were warriors, so I hardly ever saw the field because they're always on the field. In 2015, which was my first year on the active roster, when I saw the field was PAT and jumbo tight end. But all of a sudden we're at home in Lambeau. We're playing the St. Louis Rams. I look out there at TJ Lang. He's running off the field with his cleat in his hand. I'm like, well, maybe he just lost his shoe. Ankle's fucked up. So I'm like, holy shit.
Here I go.
So St. Louis Rams, Aaron Donald, Brockers, Quinn, Sean Lee. You go down the list, man. So I'm at right guard, and my first play is a pass play. So I'm at right guard, and I've got a 2-eye. What's 2-eye? That means, okay, I'm at right guard, which means I'm at the next guy closest to the center to the right, and I've got a defensive lineman that is loosely shaded on the center, almost touching me, which is you start flirting the fine line between is this a shade or is this a 2-eye? Like, is he touching the center more of me? Point being is I had to go to him, so I've got to set down into the left. So I'm thinking, this is my first play in the game. I'm about to come down there and knock, because there wasn't a whole lot of guys bigger than me. Dude, I was 6'5", 335 pounds. I wasn't scared of shit. Still ain't to this day. But point being is back then, didn't nobody make me be like, holy shit, who is this? But anyway, I sat down, go to punch him. He swims to the outside, swims me, and I take my right shoulder and just jump horizontally, push him out of the way. Aaron Rodgers runs for 12 yards. The crowd's going nuts like it was a good play. But to me, I'm like, that's a pressure. Like, that's not good enough. So I, like, hit myself in the head. Right. I'm like, let's go. So from that point forward, I calmed down, got everything right. It was me and Aaron Donald, a little bit of Fairley, a little bit of Quinn. But the point being is from that play forward, bro, I was like, you got to get right. Like, Kendall's here. Kendall's my girlfriend. Kendall's here. Her mom's here. Like, I'll be damned if you get embarrassed in front of these people. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, my God, dog. So, anyway, calm down. Play
funny
very well.
How a little bit, there's fucking 80,000 people in the stands, and you're worried
You're thinking about
your
two people. You're thinking about two people, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit about any of
girlfriend.
these other people, right? But it's like, man, I can't let my old lady's mom
There's
think I'm
something
some
about
kind of
being accountable, right?
It's
like
accountability,
it's
dude.
so big.
Accountability.
I think that's one thing that's helped me with the podcast is just accountability. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to sit here and drink 2 bottles of tequila with Josh, I'm going to fucking sit here and drink 2 bottles of tequila with Josh. You know
And that goes a long damn way.
Right.
That goes a long damn way.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Okay,
pour
so-
up and I'm going to cheers you.
So we got to get back to, before I forget about it, and I don't want to interrupt you, we got to get back to 2015.
Yeah.
I think this was in the postseason, right? Okay,
It's
pause this
not.
for a minute, Jeremy.
It's not the postseason.
It's not. It's right
Nope.
before it, though, right?
But-
It's
No,
like
I
late
had to
in
get
the
past
season.
the
Here's the deal. Here's the bottom line. This is the Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions. This is a giant
This
game.
is huge, right? This is a
Period.
rivalry.
Period. There
It's
you
a
go.
rivalry shit.
Yep.
Okay, so for people that are just listening, go ahead and listen to the commentary here. Jeremy's got it.
Look
on the
at him.
background. Aaron scrambling. It's not looking good. Into the game, 21-23.
Oh, look at this. Boom, Richard Rodgers in the end
Okay.
zone. Watch us rush the field. Bro, we rushed the field. You can see me here in just a second.
Was that 79 right there? You were
79
79.
right there. That's me. That's me going nuts.
Okay, so a couple plays before this, right? It didn't look good. There was a
bro.
loss of yardage.
Bro.
There was all kinds of shit.
It was looking terrible.
So there was a flag that was thrown with like 0 seconds left on the game.
Yeah.
And Aaron comes out and pulls this out of his ass, dude.
We got
And,
one
like,
play left to try to get
Wow.
ourselves in it.
I'll never forget this shit. That was
So,
a good, yeah.
here's what's crazy about this game. So, this is 2015, first year on the active roster. There's me right there.
Hell yeah.
79. So,
You get the fuck out of the way, cameraman. You got the game
look
ball.
at this
and shit,
game,
yeah.
man. Like,
You have the game ball?
Incredible.
Or was that you that had the game ball?
no.
Okay, I was like, damn.
So here's the thing, man. So that year, this exact game. So this is 2015, first year in the league.
That's so dope, man. What is
Bro.
it like to experience something like that?
Bro, it's
Like,
incredible. Again, we're playing the Lions. We hate the Lions. Like,
Yeah.
we hate the Bears. We hate the Lions. We hate the Vikings. Anybody in the NFC North, right? Like, we hate them all. So, like, this game, like, those weeks are different. Like, most weeks, I'll say this. Green Bay was my favorite stop. Why? Because life in the building was so nonchalant. Like, the coaches weren't super arrogant. Like, we laughed so fucking much. It was incredible. Like, it was incredible. But when you got weeks like this, that shit is done. Like, we've got the Lions, we've got the Bears. The ha-ha shit, we can do that next week. But, like, this week, we got to win.
so you don't even get time to celebrate it.
Oh, dude, no. Well, I'll say this.
So
You got a
what
day.
was, like, there's moments like this that are fucking unbelievable. This is a highlight reel that still makes the top 10,
Yeah.
right? And all of highlight reels and all of the NFL. Like, I think this was on Peyton's Places at some point when he was talking about quarterbacks and fucking comebacks and all this sort of shit, right? Like, this is a historical moment
Yeah.
in NFL history. There might not be another one of these, right? Like, that's pretty fucking.
Last play of the game,
That
bro.
is super cool.
It was
you
incredible.
You were a part of this.
Yeah.
That's super incredible. Do you have a moment? Is this the moment? Or do you have a moment that's like, oh my God, this was the best thing that ever happened to me in the NFL? Or does it all go by just week by week because you're focused on what's ahead of you and not?
I would say
Like,
this
'cause
was
you
huge.
can't sulk in a moment.
Yeah,
right?
you can't, man, because first of all, we meet on Monday. So after we flew back from this at 8 o'clock in the morning,
This is
we're
a
back in
Sunday
the building.
night game, right?
We're
I
back
think,
in the
yeah,
building
yeah.
on Monday morning at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? So you've got that night to maybe have a whiskey drink and get rolling again. But Monday morning, we're working out again. Like after the game, a lot of people don't understand that. After the game on Mondays, we work out. Like after the game, like it's miserable, but that's part of it.
Right.
But, you know, here's the deal. To answer that question, that was an incredible moment, that Hail Mary. I think the most incredible moment probably for me as a player was my first year, 2015, on cut day. So a lot of the cuts happen in the building. So there's 2 days of it at the end. And so on the last day, a lot of them if you're going to get cut, usually you get cut in the building on the last day. And I made it home. I'm like, whew. Like, I might get cut tonight, but, like, I'm the last of the few, right? So I'm driving home, dude. My phone rings. It's James Campen, who's the offensive line coach. I'm like, Coach, what's up? He answers it with this somber-ass voice. He's like, J-Dub, what's going on, man? I'm like, just driving home, man. You know this is a shitty day. He's like, hell yeah. So he played in the NFL. He knows what's up about that day. He's like, yeah, no shit, blah, blah, blah. He's like, look, man, I just wanted to call you. Thank you for everything you've done for us. And I'm like, well, here we go. Same old deal. I'm like, appreciate it, coach, da-da-da. He's like, you really got better, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, thank you. He's like, nah, I'm just shitting you, man. You did it, man. So, like, bro, I'm talking about I started bawling, man. Like,
You're driving
crying.
it
Oh,
this
bro, I'm
way?
driving. I start crying worse than I've ever cried in my life because I'm like, I just made the Packers roster, bro. Like,
Yeah.
as a second-year undrafted player which as an offensive lineman, when you've got a quarterback, here's the deal. You got Aaron Rodgers, right? They're very particular about who they keep
Hey, bro,
on the –
before we
Thank
pass
you, man.
that's fucking dope.
You know, you got a
That's cool.
lineman and, you know, you got Aaron Rodgers, so they're very particular about who they keep on the team, right? So, like, to make that team, like, it was just incredible, right? Like, dude, I've never cried like that in my adult life. Like, literally, I cried so hard. And he was crying, right? Because he knows me. I'm a very unemotional, like, type of motherfucker. But then all of a sudden he tells me that, and I'm, like, sobbing. He's crying. I'm like, holy shit, Camp. Thank you so much. Like, I can't wait to get to work, blah, blah, blah. So point being is I think that was probably the coolest moment probably of my career was when in 2015 when I finally made an active roster. Because from that point forward, it was nothing but active. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to make an active roster in the National Football League.
It's nothing but work, right?
Bro, you got 32 teams, and you got 53 guys on the active each team in the world, bro. It's the best football in the world. So just making one of those teams it's a hell of a deal.
That must have been when you really feel like you made it to the NFL because it's the same
great
with
point.
like, you know, I know a lot of former SEALs and Green Berets and stuff like that, but there's a select few that are dev group or whatever that next level is, right? And until you've gotten that check mark or that notch on your bedpost or the butt of your gun or whatever it is, right?
Like practice squad's great, but like it's the active roster you
That's
want,
when
right?
you felt like you really made it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's, dude, when he called me and told me that, I was like, holy shit. Like that really galvanized my thought process of you can play in this game because I know how hard it is to make a roster with a quarterback like that because they, like I said, they don't just trust anybody.
Especially on the O-line.
Bro, that's
Come
what I'm
on,
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, when that happened, I was like, yo, I can – and here's the deal. To be frank, I played the game as long as I wanted to. Like, after 5, I played 5 years, and I was like, bro, I'm good. Like, I'm just I was full on it. Like, this is great and all, but, like, I'm just good. Like,
yeah, there becomes a point where you guys sacrifice so much of your life, and that's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast. People really don't realize that. They think it's great to be a professional athlete or to be in the limelight, whether you're a rock star or whatever. But I've seen firsthand what those people go through and experiencing, you know, people like you talking about it and stuff. It's a fucking lifelong commitment. So
yeah, it's a year-round deal. Like I
Yeah.
said, in the fall especially, like, you know, you start the season early September, and if you're lucky, you end it in Super Bowl, but if not, you know, mid-January, late January. So I get it. People are like, oh, you get all this off time in the offseason, which here's the deal. You cannot play padded football in the National Football League year-round, but it's just it doesn't make sense biologically. Like, your body just can't. Like, you're not doing it, bro.
no, I think you made a good choice because I think some people stay too long and then they
I
can't
agree
experience
100%.
anything else in life. And how old are you now?
I'm 32.
You got a long,
Yeah.
a few years ahead of you, man.
I hope
you
so,
know what I
man.
mean? So
Yeah.
like, I feel like you did it right. Cheers to that.
I
dog.
appreciate that, man.
So I got to ask, like, playing around some of these. I always forget to do that on the podcast. It's rude, too. You got to take a drink after you cheers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, playing around some of these people that are basically superstars.
Yeah.
What is your interaction between, like, Aaron Rodgers? And I'm sure all these people are different, right? Like, they're all people at the end of it, right? Some people are better than others. But these guys like Aaron Rodgers, Clay Matthews, you know, fucking Pat McAfee.
Julius
Did you play
Peppers. Yeah, I
with
played
Pat?
with Pat
Yeah.
and Indy. Yeah.
Was he a
Adam
character?
Vinatieri.
Or was
yeah,
it
he
the guy
good.
you hated in the locker
He's
room?
exactly who you see on the Pat McAfee show, bro. Like, super cool. And to be honest, like,
And listen, Pat, I love your show. You got to have Josh on, man.
Yeah,
have
bro.
Josh on.
So,
yeah.
like, Pat knew his fucking role so well. So, like, what I mean by that is, as a special teamer, meaning a kicker, punter, long snapper, you got a voice, but, like, you know what I mean? You're a special teamer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're snapping the ball, you're kicking the ball.
You're WWE, bro.
You feel me? So like, you know, Pat did his job. Yeah, man.
That's the truth of the matter.
Pat did his job very well, but he was also, like, very personable, very funny as shit, right? Same Pat you see on
He's
the field.
hilarious, man.
He's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he just was the perfect mix of doing your job as a special teamer and also just being a man. Like, Pat wasn't scared of shit, right? You could probably tell by his deal, like, he ain't fucking scared of nobody. But, being a special teamer, you got to realize, like, you're probably not going to be the guy calling up the team saying, all right, guys, let's break it down, right? Like, that's just not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Pat would probably.
bro, like, that's some Pat shit. But,
That's
yeah,
hilarious,
man,
yeah.
fucking, dude, he's really good. I'm so happy to see the success he's having, man.
He's crushing it right now.
Yeah, he's crushing it, man.
It's cool. And it's good. It's good content, too, man. Go check out Pat McAfee show, especially if you're into sports or NFL or – he's a good follow, man.
I agree.
He's a funny-ass dude. He should be a stand-up comedian. He should
I
give up that
agree,
wrestling
dude.
shit. But, like, I did like seeing him and Stone Cold go at it. With slamming beers and shit. That was pretty cool. That was a moment.
Absolutely.
That was a moment in history for sure. But, yeah, so, like, Aaron Rodgers, those guys, good relationships? Or is it
bro.
like being an O-lineman? I mean, there's got to be some sort of camaraderie there, right?
Bro,
Like,
so
yeah.
12 is cool as shit, bro. So, like, even as a practice squad player, so we literally had a different locker room, if you will, than the active roster. So, in Green Bay, the active rosters, like, the locker room is built like a football. And now off to one side, there's, like, a little cubby hole, like a little box, and that's where all the practice squad players play. Bro, that's where we all check,
Yeah.
right in the fucking little different locker room.
You get the Kevin Hart locker.
Bro, there you go.
Not even like a real locker.
I just remember Christmas, my first year there, my first year in the league, 2014. Like, I come in there on Christmas and I look at my locker. There's a 55-inch Samsung Curve, red Beats headphones, like a red Samsung Galaxy Tab. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this dude is taking – and you look, it's like from Aaron, blah, blah, blah. Dude's just a dude.
Right.
And then, like, the next year, bro, like, he flew us to the Kentucky Derby, private, on a G5, whatever it was, flew us to the Derby, rented out 2 private estates, went to the Derby for 3 days, partying at night, just took care of us, bro, like, as an
That's
offensive
dope.
line. And then the next year, bro, it was custom-made Titleist clubs, brought in a guy, custom-fitted us for us, did what do you call a lesson, did a hitting lesson, got the clubs, all that, like,
Take
just
care of the guys that are taking
bro,
care
took
of you,
care
right?
of us, man.
Because I don't think that people put in perspective the salary difference too, right? Like from an O-lineman to a fucking a top 10 quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking millions.
Well, as far as
Tens of
difference,
millions
you're
of
talking. There you
dollars,
go.
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, tens of millions.
Wow. That's pretty cool, man. If you get somebody that shares the wealth like that, they understand it.
Dude, he's he's just a dude, man. Just straight up, man. And again, I'll be honest with you, I haven't came across. So I played briefly for the Colts, and then 2 years with Green Bay, a year with Houston, 2 years with the Jacksonville.
That's right. I forgot you were at Houston. Yeah.
I haven't met a quarterback that was just like, dude, fuck this dude. Like, I haven't met that dude yet.
Yeah. He's kind of a rock and roll attitude. I mean, a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah. It was like us versus everybody, straight up. Like, we're
That's
the
cool.
Packers. Like, it's us versus fucking everybody. The media, the people, right? Like, it was a cool feeling, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, on the other side of the ball, other teams, I'm sure that you had college relationships outside of that. Do you still have, like, some good friends, or was there some relationships that, like, you were playing against other players that you made in the NFL at that point where, like, you have some sort of camaraderie there, or is it?
You talking about from other teams?
Like, even, like, you and Derek, right? Like, you guys have a friendship. You never
Yeah.
really played against each other. You were on opposite sides of the ball when it came
Right.
down to it, but you have that camaraderie of being an outdoorsman and being in the NFL, right?
Dude, honestly, it's more of like a brotherhood from the standpoint of, holy shit, you played this long? Like, you did this, like,
Right.
you did that. You know what I mean?
You
like,
you truly understand it,
Yeah. So, like, for instance, the other day, me and Wolf were going to the Colorado Bowhunters Association banquet the other day up in Loveland. And, like, we talked the whole time, just, like, on some ball shit. You know what I'm saying? Because he played for the Broncos. He played for the Ravens. I never played for those teams. But just to hear stories about how they were ran, you know what I mean? Because I played for my fair share of teams. And, like, just to hear the, like, just how that place was ran, like, it's just badass. And, like, it's a huge mutual respect of, holy shit, you played for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude. So it's nothing but respect, man.
It's somebody that something can't understand. Somebody can't understand from a story.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. Well, I guess where this takes us, and we're crushing through the time. I hope you don't have any
Bro.
time constraints, but I'm going to keep hanging out with you. Jeremy, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Jeremy's here. You need some more whiskey or something?
I stay away from this
Okay.
stuff.
That's all you. That's the last of it. I'm going to have to send
Perfect.
Jeremy to the liquor store. So I guess you have this NFL career. You played in it 5 years. You played college ball. You had this passion for hunting at a super young age.
Yep.
You don't get to experience any of that when you're in the NFL, right? Like, I mean, we briefly talked about seasons and almost all hunting seasons take place in the fall. There's very few that do in the spring. How do you manage that?
Bro, so there was a lot of times I could get out in duck season, which in Green Bay,
Right,
for
because there's
instance-
some later seasons like February,
Dude, so Green
even
Bay,
March, right? I think
so for snow goose, yes. But for instance, in Green Bay, it would run their big duck, which the reason why I specify big duck, a lot of states, they've got an early wood duck, early teal, and then you roll into big duck, right? A lot of states, especially where I'm from down south, their big duck doesn't open until late November. In Green Bay, big duck opened up like late September, something crazy like that. So we got Tuesday was our day off, quote unquote day off, but they still took attendance in the weight room. So
right. So they're not looking, but it's your day off,
You
but
feel
you better
me?
show up.
You feel me? So my first year, I wasn't taking any time off. I'm going. So that way they're like, well, if they're sitting up there doing paperwork, like Josh Walker 79, he was here on Tuesday, right?
Sure.
Then the older
And
I
that's
got,
something that Derek talked about when he was here. He's like, just the stress of there's always somebody that's going to fill your spot.
bro.
There's always, right? Yeah. Yeah, let's take a bath. I need to too. So we're going to take
Perfect.
a little break here.
Dude, we're rolling. This is badass.
Woo! We are back. Holy smokes. Okay.
Yeah.
That was about a 5-minute break. We need the next studio. Note this, Jeremy. We need a fucking couple urinals in it or something so we can go at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I don't know if I'm going to make it if Josh doesn't get back soon. But Jeremy just said to me during this bathroom break that this is one of his favorite podcasts already. So,
cheers.
Hell yeah.
Cheers,
Jeremy,
man.
thanks for being here, bro.
Yeah, buddy. It's awesome.
My ride or die over here.
Hell yeah.
So before we jumped off, we were talking about what the fuck were we talking about? We were talking about somebody taking your position
Yep.
and
No, you're talking about hunting
having
in
that
the,
stress,
yeah.
and then we went into not only that, the time suck and being able to hunt, and we've been at it for almost 3 hours now already. So we're gonna keep going if you have some time.
Yeah,
but
I do.
I want to talk to you some more about hunting and just some of your experiences with that and what you're doing now, because I think it's super important. I want to shed a light on that. And
Sure.
I want our listeners to go out and experience some jaywalk,
Yeah.
some jaywalkness, man, because I think it's super cool what you're doing, and
Thank you, man.
you're doing it on a whole nother level too, which is super dope. But
Thank you.
so yeah, because I took a long break from hunting too. Like my career was, it's funny, maybe it's the movies I watched as a kid or something. Being a pro football player was kind of in the back of my mind for a long time. And then I experienced skateboarding, punk rock music, heavy metal, and it fucked everything up in the movie Roadhouse. Like,
Okay. Yeah, sure.
so from then on, I wanted to be a bouncer or a roadie, and I went and did that basically, right? Like
Yeah.
I toured with rock bands and I went all over the world. So that was my career, and it took me out of it. And there was a lot of sacrifice, not to the level of you guys athletically or anything, but there is a lot of sacrifice that comes with no matter what your career is. If you're trying to make it at fucking Apple as one of the top executives or whatever, right? That's why you live in San Francisco and step over human shit every time you go to work, living
Facts.
in heroin needles and
Yes.
all that other stuff that's on the street, right? Like you're trying to make it in the Silicon Valley or whatever that is. Like, so I understand that sacrifice. So I took a 20-year break from hunting, and it was really until I started having kids that made me realize, like, shit, where do I want them to grow up? I don't want to live in Southern California anymore. I love riding my beach cruiser down the beach and being able to buy whatever drug I want on the way.
Sure.
Not that I participated in all those.
Yeah.
And I love going to the bar, and I love seeing girls in bikinis. But is this the best place for a kid to grow up? What kind of values do I want my kid to have? You know what I mean? And it came back to my roots of like, God, I want him to grow up in the woods. I think that, something that really made me appreciate and understand life was hunting and seeing a huge animal bleed out in front of you.
Yeah.
there's some. I still get emotional, man. And I'm a grown ass man that's 255 pounds now. You know, it's like it's not. There's no joke, right? Like
it's no joke.
Yeah.
It's no joke. And number one, man, going back to what you said about, playing football and how were you able to get out. So like I was saying earlier about Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, that was your off day, but they still took attendance in the weight room, right? So as a young guy, it's like, well, I should probably be here on Tuesdays, right? Regardless of what I want to do, right? So my first year, I was in there every Tuesday, regardless of what was going on. I was in there. Maybe I'll go duck hunt the evening, but I was always in there. But as I got older, it was like, all right, Tuesday's my off days. Number one, I'm going to go to the strength coach. I'm going to explain to him how I feel about the outdoors and what the outdoors does for me, right? If that makes sense. So on Tuesdays, it's like.
Makes 100% sense.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Tuesdays is your day to get your shit back together and get right for Wednesday. Because Wednesdays, dude, Wednesday is a tough day. It's a tough practice, long meetings every week. Wednesday is like. That's the day. So on Tuesdays, like I want to get my shit together and get some sort of peace, you know what I mean, before I go into this shit.
Yeah.
And, the older you get, the more you have the reins to be like, look, Milo is a great guy, played offensive line in the NFL in Jacksonville. And I told him, I'm like, Milo, look, this is how I feel about the outdoors. And I had never saltwater fished pretty much in my life when I got to Jacksonville. But as soon as I got down there, I bought a 22-foot Skeeter with a 250 on the back. I was living on the intercoastal with a boat lift right outside my back.
Bad. I've never done it. I want to do that so bad.
So in the evenings, I would get home when it was daylight savings time. I'd get home and have some light left. Get right on the boat. Actually, on the way home, I'd stop and get either live shrimp or mud minnows. Get on the boat. I'm going straight out for redfish right after work. Because, as you know, man, there's just something about being out there on the water, being out there in the woods that just, like, kind of centers you, man. Because you understand what kind of week you got up until next Monday. Like, there's no in-between. Like, it's going to be a rough week from the standpoint of what you're going to be asked to do, from the standpoint of the walkthroughs, the practice, the meetings. Like, it's a lot. And to be able to get out on Tuesdays, do some fishing, especially with a good buddy of mine, Brandon Linder, who I'm actually going down there April 3rd, hopefully to kill 2 Osceolas and some hogs and stuff like that. But anyway, good buddy of mine. He was the first Gold Star captain in Jacksonville Jaguars history, which if you look at a jersey, when you see a captain, it's a C on the jersey. Right. A lot of times it's white with the stars underneath it.
And it's kind of a shield, right?
Yeah. So underneath the C, there's 4 stars. When you get voted a captain, 1 star turns gold. The next year, the next one turns gold. When you get all 4 of them turns gold, your C turns gold. Gold star captain. He's the first one in the history of the Jaguars to be a Gold Star captain. Good buddy of mine. Just retired last year. Very serious outdoorsman. But
shout out.
Yeah, shout out Brandon Linder, man.
That?
Look him up. Hey, look up B. Linder 65, man.
Let's look at this dude.
Look at his offshore fishing
I'm sure
stuff.
I know him. But
bro, this dude does the offshore stuff like nobody I have ever come across. Linder, Lindr. Lindr. B. Linder 6'5". Type in 6'5". Maybe take out an L.
Take an L out.
There you go. What? How
not
is
that
he?
Guy.
Not Ben.
That's definitely
it's
not
Ben. Try typing in Brandon
Linder for 6'5". That dude works for Apple. That was the guy I was just talking about.
Try typing in Brandon Linder. Try typing in Brandon Linder up there. Because I know it's got to come up. Brandon Linder. I mean, this is my dog, man. There we go, right at the top.
Hell yeah.
Here we go. This is my dog, man. This dude goes out and offshore. You see the turkey. Shit. You see the offshore stuff. That's a wahoo. That's a wahoo. That's high-speed wahooing. He just got back from that trip. So if you scroll up, this guy with this tuna right here was our chiropractor at Jacksonville.
Nice.
Great dude, man. And you go through all this stuff, the yellowfin tuna, bro, like right off the coast. That was a big amberjack that got bit by a shark. I talked to him for like 2 hours the other day, and he told me a story about all this stuff. This is his dog, Chum.
Hell yeah.
Outstanding dog. This is Louise with the buck. Shot the buck off the bulldozer. Anyway, this is my dog. And it's crazy the first time we started talking to each other. So When I first went to Jacksonville in 2000,
that's a nice basket.
That's his dad right there. That's a good buck. This is last year, bro. This is Florida. That's a great buck in Florida.
That's awesome, man.
So, dude, we're in meetings, and I had just got my boat shipped to Jacksonville, like to the stadium. And after the meeting, he's like, dude, is that your boat? I'm like, you're damn right that's my boat. He's like, what do you do? I was like, dude, I fish and I hunt. He's like, really? He's like, I live on the water. He'd never duck hunted. I was like, really? I was like, well, I shipped my boat. Look at that grouper.
Damn.
I shipped my boat. Awesome. I was like, well, what's up with the ducks? He's like, shit, I don't know. I deer hunt, I hog hunt, I turkey hunt. And I was like, listen, I traveling duck hunt. I was like, so what, where's a boat ramp where I could put this boat in and go hunt? Literally 5 minutes from his house. I'm hunting outside his house before he ever has. I'm outside his house in the Spartina grass by myself in my 16.5-foot Ranger duck boat. Decoys out. I didn't want to get out because there's gators all in that thing.
Oh,
I didn't want to get out, dude. I got the decoys out.
Gators
and, I'm like,
and sharks. No thanks,
man. I'm sitting in my boat. So this is in Florida, or I'm sorry, this is in Colorado last year. This is his first bull.
Okay.
He killed a nice bull. This is on private land down in southern Colorado.
Nice.
You ought to hit him up, dude, see if he wants to get on, because
yeah,
when I tell you he could talk hunting for hours.
Listen, if he's a friend of yours and he wants to come on,
hit him up,
welcome
bro.
anytime.
Look at all this stuff. This is Marty's bull. So Marty is the
that's
guy.
A nice bull.
Dude, it's like a 360. This is a giant.
That's awesome.
The guy just to the left of his head, that's Marty. He's the guy that killed it. So long story short, bro, they're on their bellies. This bull shows itself at 30 yards, first rifle. They're on their bellies stalking at him. They walk to him. 30 yards, this big 360 bull's looking at him. And Linder's like, Marty, you got him? He's like, hold on, that big one? He's like, yeah. And he's like, shoot him. So he pulls up, boom, 30 yards with a rifle. First rifle, 360 bull, man.
How do you see through a scope at 30 yards?
30 yards, bro. So Marty, which shout out to Marty Marty Williams. There's a place. Do you guys remember, and this may be a Southern thing, Winn-Dixie, the grocery store?
Yeah, I've been in the South. I spent some time in the South, so I know what's up.
So Winn-Dixie, he's just
there's
not
also
him.
the Piggly Wiggly.
The Piggly
too,
Wiggly.
Right?
So Winn-Dixie, Marty Williams is the
and Wawa's.
Oh, and Wawa's.
And Publix.
The Boar's Head meat. There you
Jeremy
go.
knows what's up. He's from Philly, so not quite the South, but almost.
Dude,
what a
South of
bull.
the East.
For your first look, you see what I said?
Wow.
Fine job, young man. That's my dog.
Hell
but
yeah.
So Marty is the predator control guy at this ranch. It's it's a lot of acres, bro. Like 20, 30,000 acres.
Yeah.
The guy is the CEO.
What, this is in Colorado? Or?
This is in North Florida, in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Bro, a lot of people don't understand Jacksonville is the largest city in the country landmass-wise. In the country.
Really?
It's the largest city in the country landmass-wise. Damn. So there's really one piece of wild land left, and this dude, his name is anyway, the guy is the CEO of Winn-Dixie. Got a ton of money, got like 30,000 acres there. And Marty Robbins is a predator control guy / game manager of these 30,000 acres because they run turkey hunts, they run deer hunts, quail shoot, stuff like that off of it. And how I met Marty, dude, one day he was like, you want to go hunt? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go hunt. It's like on a Tuesday. He's like, all right, well, we can shoot some hogs. I'd never shot a hog, so I'm fired up. Now I'm like, who gives a shit about a hog, right? But back then I'm like, hell yeah, I want a hog. So he's like, all right, let's go down there. So we meet with Marty, and, dude, we ride around the back of his Silverado, and when we would see a hog, boom, 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 we bam on the cab. We're like, Marty, there's a hog X amount of far away, this and that. So we would stop, check the wind, and get rolling. But you can imagine how fun that is, riding around, shooting the shit with your buddy in the back of the cab with your bow on the cab of the truck. You see a hog, boom, boom, boom. He asks you what's going on. It's like, dude, 200 yards. Cut the engine. Let's get the wind right, and let's go hunt this hog. But, bro, we started hunting. Literally, I'd met the dude for a couple months. But you know how it is. Like, when you find somebody that's obsessed with the woods, man, somebody that's obsessed with the water like that, I mean, literally within a week, it's like, damn, is this your best friend, right? It's like you'd think you've been best friends for a week. And like I said, going back to what
there's a camaraderie. There's a community there, right? Yeah. And
right.
I think that's why a lot of former military guys or guys that have played professional sports can appreciate the outdoors, because there's an amount of suffering that comes along with it, right? Or whether you're getting into CrossFit or ultra marathoning or whatever, it's kind of all that this is what I found from having all these different walks of life, whether they're pro athletes or just extraordinary people, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're archery coaches. Maybe they're whatever. There's a certain amount of discipline that comes with it, and there's a certain amount of like people that have faced some adversity in their life, whether it was through their childhood or through the outdoors or through whatever profession they're in. I think there's some sort of connection, right?
That's a fact, man.
And there's some sort of appreciation for it on the other side.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And I think that that's the biggest connection that we have.
I agree 100%. And, you know, and you understand this. There's levels to the shit, right? Like, you got a guy that if you go hunting 3 times a year, all 3 of those hunts are guided hunts. You could probably still be a decent hunter, but you're not the guy that goes on 8 hunts a year, and all those hunts are public land, DIY. You put the logistics in, blah, blah, blah. Point being, when Linder asked me if that boat was mine, I was like, "You're damn right that boat was mine." He's like, "Where all you hunted?" And like I said, dude, at the point, so I had hunted 16 states in 17 when I met Linder, and I had hunted my 17th state in 2018 with him and Logan Cook in Arkansas. Anyway, point being is I was like, dude,
the day that boat sinks, you're gonna cry. I get it, dude. There's a you already have a bond with that.
You already know.
It's like a rifle or a knife. Like I
Same
look back
shit.
at some of my half-face blades that I have that my friend Andy Arabito custom made for me. They're handcrafted, and the amount of adversity that I've faced in the mountains with that particular, I've spent more time with that knife than I have with my bow, my gun, whatever, because that's where the work comes in, man.
That's where work comes in, man.
A hunter spends more time with their knife or a boning knife than they'd ever do with a weapon, right? Like
that's a fact. So going back to, like, you know,
those
Linder,
little things like that. Like
the little shit,
if I
man.
lost it or that boat sunk or whatever it is, you're gonna be pissed off, dude.
You're gonna be pissed off.
It's gonna hurt.
That boat has been in 6 or 7 different states of killing birds with me, man. That 16.5 foot, 40 horsepower. It's not no crazy shit. But I bought it off the showroom floor in Green Bay, and, like, that's my boat. You know what I'm saying? It's been all over the place.
You still got it? You
Still got
here?
it. Still got it in
Hell
Buffalo
yeah.
Creek. And, you know, going back to what I was saying about Linder, bro, like, when I told him, when he asked me, he's like, "Yo, do you do any fishing or hunting?" I was like, "I fish quite a bit," but I was like, "I duck hunt a lot." He's like, "What's a lot?" And I told him, and he's like, mesmerized. I'm like, "Fuck yeah." And, like, I told him to go watch some videos and shit, and then, dude, I shit you not, 2 weeks later, you ever heard of Prodigy duck boats?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
no,
There's nothing wrong with that. So this dude, again, very highly paid guy. All of a sudden, he's got a Prodigy duck boat. 2 weeks later, bro, this is a 16-foot boat.
Is this
that costs
like those badass wakeboard boats?
okay,
that
there we
cost
go. It's like 40 grand, bro.
$130,000?
Like 40 grand
Like
for a
this is a
16-foot
Kid
boat.
Rock boat,
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I gave him my whole spiel about what I do and, like, after the season, like, what all I'm doing and shit. And all of a sudden, he looks up Prodigy bass boats. And I go to his house. Bro, first of all, I don't know if anybody's done this in NFL history. I used to go to offensive line dinner, which was every week on Thursdays. Every week on Thursdays, we'd meet as offensive line, quarterbacks, a couple of receivers here and there. But Linder lived on the water. I lived on the water. We were about 15 minutes apart. I would either drive my Skeeter, 22-foot Skeeter, or my jet ski to his house. O-line dinner, bro, on the waterway, man. I drive to his house, man. I think that's when he was really like, holy shit, this dude is fucking. Like, bro, that's when we really got galvanized. And, like, that dude is my brother, man, Brandon. Look, there's a Prodigy. There we go. Like,
Okay.
these things are incredible boats.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. You can just see by looking at it. Like, 2 weeks later, you know,
That seems stressful to me, though.
no kidding,
You know
bro.
what I mean? It's like, this is why I would drive a 2004 Tundra, because when I pull into a parking lot, I can get door dinged. I can drive down any Colorado trail that a Raptor will not fit on, as much as I'd love to have a Ford Raptor.
Yeah.
But, like, and I don't care that it's pinstriped with fucking tree branches and shit, you know? It's
Dude,
like,
this thing's like tactical.
it'll
Dude,
go
look
anywhere.
at it.
Yeah. That's
Like,
wild.
incredible boat.
That's a
So,
duck
Like you're gonna
cutting
deliver
machine.
some.
It's got
bad
rifle
dudes.
spot. Or
So
is
this-
that for flat? For
it's for
fly
poles.
reels or
No, it's for
poles?
poles.
Yeah.
But so this thing, it's got an outboard motor on it, and it's
Damn.
probably got a jet motor and it's called a hydraulic jack
How much
plate.
is that boat? 80 grand?
That boat right there, probably about 40 grand.
Okay, that's not horrible.
But For a boat that's only giving you duck hunting, though? Like, this is shallow water. Like, the only thing you're doing on this boat is crappie fishing and hunting ducks. You know what I mean?
1 month a year.
You feel me?
You're not water skiing on this thing?
Right,
No?
exactly.
Yeah.
So, when he said...
And then you're the asshole that shows up with a Prodigy boat.
Bro, so it was crazy. So in 2018...
You better be successful if you got that.
In 2018, which was my last year in the National Football League, so me, Brandon Linder, Logan Cook, who was the punter, still is the punter in the Jacksonville Jaguars football team. Great punter. I call him 10 gauge because he kicks the shit out the ball. Anyway, big-time turkey hunter, big-time duck hunter, big-time deer hunter. And I was like, listen, I'm going back to Colorado. I just bought my place. I was like, that's where I'm going. And I was like,
So you bought your place here before you retired?
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. We're going to come back to that. Put a pin in that
Yeah,
one.
bro.
Okay.
So we leave. It's like January, and we leave, and we come out here, and I was like, dude, or not here, in Arkansas. I was like, let's stop in Arkansas. Let's hunt ducks. So I was like, I hit a guy up that had some private. I'm like, dude, I got some private, and I've also got a bunch of pins. When we get off here, I have to show you my Onyx. I've got a sickness, bro. Like, I love public land. I've got like 4,000 waypoints on Onyx. Like, it's disgusting. Yeah. But anyway, I was like, I've never hunted here, but let's try this. Long story short, we go up there and hunt. My buddy Logan Cook brings his boat, which is like an 18-foot G3 center console. Nice boat, outboard motor. And I've got my boat, which has got the 37-horse, shallow water, mud motor, all that on it. Anyway, we were there to hunt ducks. And we were there for 4 days, dude. We never really pounded them. So we stayed in the Airbnb, and right behind the Airbnb was a cut cornfield full of birds. I'm talking about snow geese, specks, ducks. It was incredible. So I hit the guy up who I got the Airbnb from. I'm like, first of all, as soon as I call him, he's like, you probably see those birds, huh? I was like, yeah, man, what's up with that? He's like, yeah, it's all leased out. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, damn.
But right behind the house, when I tell you there was birds everywhere, so we're trying to sleep at night, and we just hear geese, snow geese, specks, ducks, incredible. So we hunt private the first 2 days. We killed 2 teal. Bro, we killed 2 teal between the 3 of us in 2 days on private land. In Arkansas, in the middle of where it's supposed to be the best. And now, were we seeing thousands? Were we seeing thousands? Absolutely. But, like, we got to go out there in January, which is late in the season, right? So the way Arkansas does it, they open up mid to late November for about a week, and then they close down, and then they open up for the second split, which lasts on into the end of January. So we were there in late January. Those birds have been whacked at. Now, I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just being honest. Those birds have been whacked at. Dude, they were terrified of
They're like
everything.
elk, right? Like when elk stop talking or stop bugling or whatever they do, it's like it's a whole different ballgame then.
Dude, it's a totally different game,
good
bro.
fucking luck, yeah.
Exactly. So, like, we're out there and, like, again, like I told you earlier, I'm a public land guy for the most part. So, like, I just love to see shit and experience shit. We're in Arkansas hunting ducks. Like, that's where everybody wants to go hunt ducks, right? Is in Arkansas, in the flooded timber. So, like,
is that the mecca for duck hunting? Just because I don't know.
Bro, so if you pull into Stuttgart, Arkansas, Stuttgart, I think, Stuttgart, the sign says the duck and rice capital of the world.
Oh, shit.
That's what the attraction is, the duck and rice capital of the world.
Okay.
And, like, you see it on the signs, and then you look in the sky, and I can almost guarantee you, before you get out of Stuttgart, you will see some kind of waterfowl in the sky.
So that's like the Ducks Unlimited
Bro.
headquarters and all that bullshit.
You ever heard of
right?
Max Prairie Wings?
Yeah.
So that's where Max Prairie, the only storefront of Max Prairie Wings is in
Wow.
Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Okay. How badass is that? Have you been to it?
Oh, bro, it's incredible. I've been there 2 different
I wanna
times.
go there.
Bro, so, like,
Yeah.
they have a little bit of turkey stuff and a little bit of white-tailed deer stuff, but for the most part, it's for waterfowl hunters, bro.
I lived in Dallas for a year, but I was super busy with work, and I kicked myself in the ass because I was like northeast Dallas, so I was super close to Arkansas, and I wish I would have spent a little more time up there hunting.
Bro, there's so many birds up there. And again,
Is there a lot of public land in Arkansas, or is it?
quite a bit, bro.
Is there? Because there's zero in Texas.
Oh, I
Everything
know.
is private. It's fucking pain in the ass.
I want to say the number's like 5% in Texas. Something ridiculous, bro.
Do you know Colorado's 43%?
I know,
Some
bro.
shit.
Like, I think we have over, like, millions plural of acres of public land. Yeah, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But in Arkansas, it's not the same way. And the reason I say that is, you'll be driving back to the Airbnb from where we hunted, and you'll see these fields full of like snow goose feeds. Like there'll be 5,000 snow geese out there eating, but you can imagine how many people have saw that feed and been up to that house and be like, what do you think about me going? You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of times we would just drive past it, go home and hunt public land the next morning. And kind of a weird thing so they have what's called green tree reservoirs, which what that means is in the summer it's dry. In early summer it's still dry, so you can whitetail archery hunt whitetail there, right? It's still dry. But in duck season, late November, it's flooded. You know, it's waist-high water. It's called a green tree reservoir. And you go in there, and you can hunt until, like, noon, I think it is. And, like, the rules in Arkansas says you got to be out. Bro, those ducks know it. So, like, about 11:30, ducks start coming in because they know, like, around 12, 1 o'clock, people start shooting. And, dude, it's weird walking in because –
people take animals for granted.
Bro,
right?
Straight up, bro. And like on the walk in, so you know, you're walking in at 3, 4 in the morning, dark as hell, right? You're walking in flooded timber. The water's black. Like you could take your hand and hold it under the water and like put a light to it and try to you won't see your hand.
Really? Ugh,
so
I don't like water like that. I grew up in clear water streams, dog.
So my point
and
being,
there's gators there too.
There's
right?
gators in Arkansas. 100%. So, like, you're walking into a spot.
Are there?
Oh, look it up. Absolutely.
There's gators in
absolutely.
Texas, too, yeah.
There's gators in Arkansas, 100%, no questions asked. And
even those alligator gar are scary.
Even
dude.
I don't want to mess with one of those,
Some of those
bro.
gar get big.
You get huge, bro. So, long story short, a fun thing for us to do in high school was we'd set out however many dozen jugs, right, to catch the catfish. And while they were soaking, we'd go in the shallows and blast carp and gar and let those jugs fish.
Jeremy,
and then
look up like the world record alligator gar.
Oh, it's probably 240 pounds, 230
Dude, these
pounds.
things look worse than a barracuda.
Yeah.
They look like a crocodile with fins or a gator with fins.
100%. I can't wait to see this.
Fucking ridiculous.
Look at these things, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Have they ever bitten? Has anybody ever been attacked by a gar?
I don't know that answer, but I'd be hard pressed to
But
believe
they're
they haven't been.
predatory, right?
Oh,
They're
for
a
sure.
predatory fish.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Look at these fish, bro.
Holy
fuck is
shit.
that?
300-pound alligator gar outside of Houston. What's that, like the Trinity River? Like, that's got to, I mean, look at that thing.
Yo, I couldn't do Texas, man.
I was
Straight
there
up.
for a year, and I was good on it.
I couldn't do it, man.
I love Texas, but
I thought it was going to be awesome. I love the
hard.
politics in
Yeah.
Texas.
Sure,
I love
yeah.
what they stand for.
Uh-huh.
I love that it's not the state of Texas, it's the Republic of Texas.
They're going to be
like,
the first to
They
secede.
think they're their own
man,
country or something.
They are.
Fuck around down there, right? Your ass your ass better be ready if you're your ass better be ready. That's all I gotta say. If you're gonna go
Facts.
knock on somebody's door just to meet your neighbor, you better be ready.
That's a fact.
Yeah. And I love that mentality, man. Like that's super cool. But
Absolutely. They take a lot of pride in their state.
not having public land to go to was a big factor for me. The other factor was like we had this huge lake there. It was Lake Wiley Hubbard or some shit like that. Huge reservoir outside of Dallas. And we lived on the other side of it from Dallas. So it was like the barrier between us and Dallas. And you would literally have to drive across a bridge for 20 minutes to get to Dallas, where we lived in Rockwall. Awesome spot. Great people. Definitely the Bible Belt. I'm not religious, but I can appreciate it. I understand why people are. So that didn't really bother me. I like those ethics. I like those people. But, man, just, you know, I thought I'd go out and paddleboard and shit. The first time I went out on my paddleboard, I had to fucking beat a couple water moccasins off the board.
Man.
And you want to talk about what scares me worse than alligator gar? Water moccasins.
I'm
are
good on the
fucking-
snakes. I don't
and
do
they-
snakes,
They're
man.
aggressive as fuck, man. This thing was like trying to get on my board. Then it wouldn't let me to shore to get to my truck. Like it was fucked up. And then I found out there's some sort of parasite that can get in your brain or some shit if you get in the water. So you couldn't actually like go and swim like off the shore. You had to be out like in the middle of the lake. So I was like, oh man, I got to check out of this motherfucker. I'm going back to Colorado.
Dude,
So, yeah.
there's a lot going on out there in that water. And I remember in 2016, I was in Houston living in a little town called Rosharon. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's down around Pearland. You heard of Pearland, Texas?
Yeah.
So it's down around Pearland. Dude, I was like 15 minutes from work. But, like, I got to live in the country. I'm good on the city shit. Like, I'm good on it. And so I lived down there, man. And Bro, it was just crazy to see the wildlife that exists in Texas, man.
This quote.
If I owned Texas and hell, I'd rent out Texas and live in that.
That's awesome. Who is that?
Philip Sheridan. He's
Yeah,
an
hell
old,
yeah.
I don't know if he was a colonel or a
Damn,
military dude.
Holy shit.
That's a good quote.
Damn, that's a strong quote is what that is.
That's an
Wow.
accurate quote.
Jeremy coming through. That's why you're here, Jeremy. I love you, bro. That's awesome. Okay, so I got to ask, like, what brought you to Colorado? Your girlfriend's from here, right? Or
Yeah, she's from
something?
Franktown.
Okay.
And, dude, I'd been coming out here since like 2010 just to visit with her family and stuff like that. And I was
Were
like,
you into Western hunting at that point, or had you?
I had watched it. Okay, so I'd watched it, but like I was still of the belief, East Tennessee boy, that it's going to take either 20 years of applying or 20 grand to go hunt an elk.
No.
Like I had no idea. You know what
No,
I
you
mean?
can go to Walmart and hunt.
You go to Walmart,
tomorrow,
right?
Or in September, rather.
There you
But,
go.
Yeah.
So, it took, me realizing that to be like, damn, well, I'm going to hunt elk every single year. I'm going to hunt. Now, keep in mind, mule deer isn't over the counter, but there's several mule deer units that you can go and you can get in with, number one, either your second choice or first choice with 0 points. You can hunt mule deer, but there is no over the counter. But point being is, I had no clue the accessibility of these different species.
Colorado's the best state for that.
Dude,
That's
I'm
why
telling
we
you.
have so many out-of-state hunters.
There's not another state that offers OTC like we do. It used to be
Yeah.
Idaho, but now it's not the same anymore. We're the last state, and again, I don't know if you saw this a couple months ago, but I think they're going to make some amendments to how we hunt elk here.
I'm already
but
heartbroken.
yeah,
The
bro.
place I've been going since I was a kid is now OTC, but it's it's private land only.
Oh,
OTC.
wow.
And it's a big chunk of the state. It is elk fucking haven, man. Like I'm so heartbroken over this.
Damn.
I don't want to
dude.
get emotional. I don't want to
Yeah.
bash Colorado, but I feel like I have to on this one, man. It pisses me off.
God, dog, that's unfortunate.
And the worst part about it is, and we've had Colorado Parks and Wildlife in here, and I'm a big proponent of the actual biologists and the people that do the actual work. And this isn't blue collar or anything, but the people that are at the top running it are not running it smart. The actual commission, and I'm going to put them on blast right now.
Please do.
And I hope this doesn't ruin our relationship with them, because I love having their game wardens in here. I love having the boots on the ground people. I love having people like Perry Willen, who is now a state senator, that understands it and was a game warden. But the commission is made up of a bunch of people that have never hunted.
They don't hunt.
Yeah. So you understand this.
Yeah,
thing too.
they don't
Yeah.
hunt.
I don't think a lot of people do, man. And it's like, not to put our governor on blast or anything, but I'm going to. Like, this is somebody that's anti-hunting and outdoor sports and outdoor, I hate to say it, outdoor recreation, because if you're anti-hunting, you're anti-outdoor recreation. Because the dollars and money that comes for outdoor recreation in public lands and some of the spots that we have, I think it's like over 70% of it is all bought and paid for by hunters.
Bro, so hold your thought, but
yeah.
non-resident OTC elk hunters make up a gigantic portion of the pie,
huge.
bro.
It's huge.
Like you said, 60-70%, like
$600
something
a
insane.
pop.
Bro, makes up a giant portion, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, there's not a lot of hope there for me, and I'm hoping on platforms like mine and yours, this is something that we can convey and educate hunters to have a voice. And I don't want to go down this road because we've had such a good time, and I don't want to end on this note for sure. But pay attention to what's going on in your area. Anybody can walk into those commission meetings. There's some awesome organizations out there like Howl for Wildlife that put it all in paper and print for you, and they'll even write the email for you. You got to advocate for the shit if you want it to be around.
Yep.
Have to.
I agree.
I think it's as your duty as much of an outdoorsman and doing the ethical thing. This is even a little bit bigger part in my book, right?
That's real.
So, and paying attention to it. And I'm just as guilty as that. Like, I'd love to enjoy it. I don't want to spend all the time fucking not. But the reason that got me back into hunting and made me move back to Colorado was my kids. I want them to have those same experiences. And it worries me, you know, when we started talking about the Dream Stream earlier, and we were talking about this is a place where I grew up as a kid, catching awesome trout on a fly rod, doing amazing things, and now I won't even go and fish there. I won't even take my kid there, you know what I mean? And it's like places like that are getting hammered, and so we need to manage those spots a little bit better. We need to put some different regulations, and I understand why there's different regulations. And I think that that's what's going on with the OTC. We're the last state that offers all this OTC, which is an over-the-counter tag, which means that if you live out of state and you're listening to this podcast right now and you want to hunt elk, literally all you have to do is drive here, catch a flight here, bring your equipment, go to Walmart the day before the season opens and purchase a tag, and you can walk on to almost half the damn state.
About 100 units.
Yeah. And hunt elk.
Every
and if you're
year.
a resident, you should be doing that, I think. And I think
agree.
that's one thing that's cool about you, too, is you know, this brings me to my next question. I want to change the subject because I don't want to start going down doom and gloom. We've already drank 2 bottles of tequila, so we can't go down that road.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
Hell yeah.
But what were some of your influences? Like, okay, so moving to Colorado, we kind of talked about that. The lure, you wanted to get into Western hunting. How do you even start there? Because I had those influences as a kid with uncles and stuff and growing up here and understanding animal behavior. And there's so many different platforms where you can get information now, whether it's from Cameron Haynes or Derek Wolf and his show or your podcast or Luke's podcast. Who are some of kind of your mentors? Who's some people that took you under your wing and kind of showed you? Or was it something you learned on your own?
So I'd say that I learned it mostly on my own, but I will say the number one guy that I started watching before I even came out here, the guy that I would watch and be like, damn, I want to go do that, is Randy Newberg.
Oh, he's awesome, man.
Listen, man, Randy Newberg goes out. The guy's 57 years old
Shout
at
out
this point,
Randy,
58
man.
years old. The guy goes out on public land, the same places where anybody else can go hunt. And it does not take a 360 bull to get him to pull the trigger. But what Randy does is he goes out, he sets up camp, whether it's with one of his childhood buddies or maybe one of his cameramen. They set up camp in a public area, and they hunt. And that's just what it is. Like,
And they show the good and the bad.
they show the good and the bad. So to answer your question, man, Randy Newberg is probably what really made me be like, number one, it showed me that there is accessibility to elk hunting out here. Number two, it showed me that it's doable. Like, you don't have to have 20,000, whatever it is that you may think as an Easterner or maybe way out west that you think you need to elk hunt. And I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm just going to be transparent. I'm not saying this to attract more people to hunting because I'll be honest with you. When I pull up to Trailhead and I see 20 trucks, it
We
pisses
don't need
me
any
off.
more people.
I'm just being honest with you. Hey, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't
It's
like
just
that
like when
shit.
you meet new people that want to come on the podcast or whatever. It's like, God, I don't need any more friends. I don't need any more friends.
Yeah.
I already got enough.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Real
hate to
shit.
be that way. And
Real shit.
I'm not saying that I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm nothing
no,
special,
I get it.
but you get it.
I get it, man. And, man, I just used to watch Randy Newberg, and I would see that he would have guys on that he has known for all these amount of years, and they just want to come hunt with him. Like, Randy, let me know when you've got space. Like, and guys would come and set up camp, and they would just hunt, and, you know, they'd take us to 275, 6-point, whatever it is.
They're
And it's
going
like,
to school.
they go, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to watch Randy Newberg, a guy that has killed numerous elk, to still be perfectly satisfied with taking that 5x5 or whatever it is on public land, I was like, dude, I like this guy because I've never been a guy to be like, dude, if he ain't 360, I ain't shooting him. Or let's go to the whitetail world. If he ain't 200, I ain't shooting him. I ain't never been like that.
Right.
So to watch a guy who was experienced, right? He's 50. When I first started watching him, he was probably 52 years old, 49, 52, whatever it is. Killed a lot of stuff. And to watch him still, the love that he has for going out to public land, the love that he has for those animals, and he's an advocate now. Like, he goes to Helena, Montana, and does all this advocating and lobbying for the animals and stuff like that. And I haven't got to that point, man. I'll be, frank with you. But to watch a guy that cares that much to be like, hell yeah, I'll go to Helena and fight for this or lobby for that, blah, blah, blah.
Spending
Like,
their own money, right?
that's what I'm getting at, man. Like, this dude just lives and breathes the outdoors. So, yeah.
And I think that that's the biggest problem with the hunting community and advocating is a lot of these people are blue collar, man. Like, myself included. I still got to work. You know? Like, I'm fortunate that I have the career that I have and the podcast and all these different avenues, but it's hard to find that time. It's hard to find a time to go to a commission meeting, right?
Sure.
Like,
and that dude was making the time to go up there and fight for what he thought was right, man, which – and again, that's why I think so highly of him is, he's got a belief, and that belief is, I'm a public landowner. I love my right, the privilege, I guess is the right word, that I have to hunt these animals every year on this public land, and I'm going to fight for it, which is badass. Like, to be honest with you, to go out there, on your own dime and fight for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's huge. That's huge, man. And that's one thing that I appreciate about you and Derek and like Cameron Haynes and some of these other people. Have you ever heard of Donnie Vinson?
I have, yeah.
I love the way that he portrays it
for
too,
sure,
because he tells the story behind it.
He's
right?
a killer
and I
too,
think
man.
that's key in our world. In our hunting community and that sort of thing is actually telling the story behind it and not so much that. So that's fucking super awesome, man. What a great mentor to have.
Oh,
now,
man.
do you know him personally? Have you had him on the podcast?
So I don't know him personally, but I have a guy on my side that's named John Snow. So I don't know if you remember Gun Talk back in the day.
I'm not sure that I do.
So anyway, John's probably in his mid to late 50s.
I had a hard time watching hunting shows just because a lot of them are fake, bro.
Sure, no shit, man, no shit.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Even to this day,
Yeah.
they're still the same way. But
and I've had some of those people hit me up too, like, "Yo, we want to come on." I'm like, "Yeah,
I know about you, brother. Like, I know about you." But yeah, dude, John Snow is an OG outdoor life rider. So like back when Outdoor Life was just coming out,
nice.
And he's a gun rider. So like he knows all about all the small nuances, the minute details to shooting guns and stuff, right? Like he wasn't a military guy or anything like that, to my knowledge, but he's just a gun guy. He loves guns. He loves killing stuff with guns, stuff like that. Anyway, I met this guy last year in Third Rifle with a good buddy of mine named Cody Arnold. We were hunting Third Rifle mule deer, and I met this guy, kind of like what we're doing now. We just started shooting the shit, and I was like, dude, Randy Newberg is the reason. Turns out he lives in Bozeman. She's like, dude, I know Randy. Like, let me get you, you know what I mean? He's like, let me get you in touch with him, da-da-da. So hopefully that's coming up for Retired to Hunt, getting Randy on. But I'd love to pick his mind because, man, that dude hunts public land, bro. Like, the dude hunts public land. He's 57, 58 years old, you know, an ex-accountant. Does he have the means to probably hunt some private stuff? I'm sure he does. But, like, the dude still goes on public land and gets it done almost every time, which is, to me, that's badass, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking anybody that hunts private either, man.
Sure.
I think that, you know, I'm fortunate enough to hunt some private just because of some family connections that I have and being in this area so long, like super fortunate. But I feel like the times that I spend in public land, it's more of a, it's not, those animals aren't in their natural state because of the pressure, right? Like,
I agree.
Yeah. I feel like you're getting the natural state of the animal. And if you can afford that and can go do that, do it.
So
I encourage anybody.
Here's what I would say. Like, if you're on if you're on private, you're getting to see elk probably be more elky.
100%.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, like, hunting a unit that gets pounded. And, dude, for instance, last year, I hunted 26 days of OTC archery. 26 days. And I drew back once and missed, and I drew back once and I wounded one. Point being, I was in the woods a lot. And going back to what you were saying about, like, the elk on public, difference between public and private. So I'm on public land, and I'm at, like, 11,800 foot, like, way up high by myself, spiked in. And I come across this group of elk. Thank God I had saw them before. I was literally headed towards them, and I just saw an ear flicker, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Pull my binos up. I'm like, that's a cow. All of a sudden, 20 of them materialize with about 2 satellites and a shooter. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Now, my win was marginal at best. But point being is I watched them, and for probably 30 minutes, those things didn't make a sound. I'm talking about not a sound. You know what I'm saying? And it's
know
like,
what's up.
You know, so it's like, you got to think, and I don't know this answer, but you got to think if they're on private in some private meadow, they're probably mewing and calf calling and all that. But like all these elk, which were probably, the whole herd was probably 30, 35 elk. Dude, they didn't make a sound the whole time, man.
Fucking challenge, man. In my opinion, it's
sure.
still the same challenge. Like, yes, you're going to have more success but sometimes hunting on public, it's like, I hate to say it, I use other hunters to my advantage.
100%.
Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people in this drainage, and I'm going to try to get up and spike above them so they drive the elk to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
some of that comes into play too, but
You can definitely use the pressure to your advantage on public. And, like, obviously, so I've been out here since 2019. My first year actually hunting elk with a tag was 2021. And, like, just to watch the amount of orange that's out there in first rifle. We'll use first rifle for an example.
I won't even go.
Bro, it's disgusting.
And that's why I'm an archery hunter. And even the amount of people that I see in archery and some of these units, I'm like, God damn, man,
I was about to say that.
Crazy.
No orange, just straight camo. And you'll see a couple people a day, and it's like, damn, there's a lot of public here. How did I see 5 people
Just
today?
the pressure. Like, I see why Colorado's fleeing away from, not only from a biological standpoint, but also from a politics standpoint, why OTC is going away.
Yeah, 100%.
I see it.
Even it.
The
So
writing's on the wall.
the writing's on the wall, man. Like,
And I feel like they're easing us into it, you know? And then you have the whole wolf element. You want to start talking about elk not talking and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole nother ball game.
I mean,
right?
talk to a guy from Idaho. Talk to somebody from Montana that deals with shit like that. Like, literally, they'll be there one day. All of a sudden, they start running into a bunch of wolf tracks, and it's like, fuck, there's wolves in this basin, wolves in that basin. Dude, animals ain't sticking around for that.
No, hell no.
They're not sticking around for that.
And they're not going to start calling because I don't know how many predators I've called in, bears, lions, to my cow call. That's the only time I
100%.
see predators, honestly, man, unless I'm genuinely out looking for them. So
That's a great point about, like, even a spring bear season or something like that. I don't know if people think that you can just walk in the woods and, like, glass and there's going to be a
good
black bear
fucking
on every.
luck, dude.
Bro, good luck.
And I tell you, some of the spots where I hunt is on private. It's in acorns, and the bears are habituated towards people because they don't have that pressure. So you see them a lot, but to hear them coming, good luck.
Good
man.
luck, man.
And it's hard for me to go in there and not make a noise.
Yeah,
you know what I
100%,
mean? And
dude.
you can't even hear those things coming. Next thing you know, there's a bear behind you. You're like, holy shit.
Dude, even so, too.
And I'm talking about a 400-pound animal, not a little bear either. Like, we're talking Yogi the bear,
Big
not
bears.
Boo Boo.
Yeah, like, to that point, man, like, you know, there's people that hate on hound hunting, right? Like, oh, you hunting with dogs? So here's the deal. Like, do people kill cats just sitting up and calling or overlooking a basin? I'm sure a handful get killed every year. But, like, to have dogs and you run that cat up a tree and you can get under that cat and you can say, this is a female, this is a male, right? Because you got the time to look and see if it's female or male.
Which you have to identify, right?
You have to identify. But I'll say this, you can kill either one, female or male. But from a management standpoint, you want to shoot the old males. So, like, and here's why. So mountain lions can go into heat at any time of the year. So, like, there's tomcats that literally are just wandering around. And this is why their territory is so big. They wander around and they try to see if there's any kind of female cat that's in heat because they can pop up in heat at any time of the year. And it's kind of like an African lion. If all of a sudden they run across a group of a female and 2 cubs and that tom wants to breed that female, he will kill both of those cubs. Why? Because he didn't sire them. He'll just kill them. Why? To put that female cat back in heat.
Same
So,
with
like,
bears. Bears do the same thing, yeah.
Same thing, man. So point being, back to the hound hunting, like, it's super cool because it allows you to be selective. Like, you can get under that cat, get under that tree, and you look up and it's like, I see that black spot underneath his butthole. Like, that's his nuts. Like, that's a male cat. All right, well, he just growled at me. I saw his teeth. They're super white. which means he's a younger cat. I'm going to let him just be. I'm going to pull the dogs. I'm going to let him be. But you come across a tree, all of a sudden you look, oh, he's got the black spot under his butthole. That's a male. He growls at you. He's got yellow teeth. I'm about to bust his cat.
Yeah.
So it allows you to be selective. And from a management standpoint, I think there's a lot of merit in that.
Sure. No, I don't knock it at all. I think the baiting even is another subject that, you know, if you want to have the success rate and actually be able to manage those sort of species, you have to have that extra element to do it.
I agree.
100%.
And that's why, like, you look at states like Wyoming, they've got a spring bear season. This is just north of us, man. They've got a spring bear season. Even as a non-resident, you can go in and bait. Now, do you have to report your bait site? Sure. Who gives a shit? Like, you get to bait for bear, go in, kill your black bear. All right, you killed one bear. You know what I mean? That's incredible. Number one, from a predator management control standpoint. Number two, like, it's awesome. Like, maybe you set out, I want to kill a bear this year. You killed a bear over bait. Who gives a shit? But yeah, man, you know, I look at Colorado, and it's like, and again, I'm not a biologist, so I don't know our numbers from the standpoint of bears, but man, if we got enough bears, let's open the spring bear season. Again, I'm not advocating for it because I don't know the hard numbers, right? But man, I see a lot of bears, man, in the summer, so I don't know.
Well,
man.
you're seeing a lot more. You're seeing a lot more attacks. You're seeing a lot more just human interaction. People are running into them more, and it's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So I hope that it does come back, but unfortunately, from a legislative standpoint, it can't, you know?
100%,
yeah.
dude.
So yeah. Okay, so back to the podcast. I guess, let's see here. How do I want to put this? What are you trying to convey in the podcast? I love what you're doing now. Is there a certain purpose or something behind that? Is it?
Dude, look, I'm going to be completely transparent. There's not really a purpose. So, like, the reason I did this whole podcast, man, number one, just to share shit and, like, show people, you know, what it's like to be in the backcountry. And I'm not always in the backcountry. For instance, like the antelope I killed in muzzleloader this year, I wasn't in the backcountry, but it's just cool to be able to share stories like that.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I was a huge IG hater, so it's not, look at me, I want the fame. I could give a shit, dude. I live in the middle of bumfuck. There's a reason for that. I could give a fuck about all the you know what I mean? So, but it's just cool for people to see it. And I don't know, I kind of want people to see it from a standpoint of a guy that comes from out east. I'm from East Tennessee, come out here trying to figure out this Western game. And I'm doing a lot of it on public land just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I've said multiple times, it doesn't take a 350 bull or a 200-inch mule deer buck to get me to pull the trigger. So I think it's cool because I think nowadays people are like, oh, that's a 340. Let's wait till the I will never pass up a 340 bull, bro.
Me neither.
So, you know, for people to get a very, and not that everybody's not real.
A truthful
like,
story.
Yeah, a very real, like, come from a guy that loves to eat the organic meat. Like, I love elk meat, dude. Like, I had a guy, and this is kind of off topic. I had a guy that I met. His name's Doug Arnold. He used to be in the hunting industry. He's like 70 years old, 65. He gave me a couple bags of moose meat. Dude, it's so good, man. Like, it is outstanding. Yeah. And, you know, going back to the elk, like, when I shot that elk by myself, bro, after 5 days, I'm by myself. I shoot this elk, which is a 330 bull, by the way. Like, I shoot this elk, and I'm like, dude, this is incredible. So when I shot him, I finally get up to him, and I'm like, holy shit. I FaceTime Brandon Linder. I FaceTime him. I'm like, look at this shit, because I'm up high enough that he could, you know what I mean, I had signal. I'm like, look at this shit. So he's in on the training room table, getting his ankles taped, getting ready for practice. This is a year before he retired. And all of a sudden, I hear everybody, like, surround him. Because he's like, dude, look at Walk. And I'm like standing by this elk, like holding by the horns, like, look at this thing, man. Yeah. And point being is, like, I've only killed one of them. And, like, the feeling of gratitude, satisfaction, all that shit, you know, compared to a whitetail, it was multiplied by, I don't know how many, man. But just seeing that elk dead in front of me, man, and I did it, and it was my logistics that went into doing it. Like, dude, it just had me fired up, and, you know, and for anybody that's trying to come out here, I'll say this, man. Anybody that's trying to come hunt OTC or any kind of limited tag, just understand that probably, and this is not for sure, you're probably not about to stand there and take inventory of a bunch of elk and be like, I want this one. You're going to be lucky to, like, bump into an elk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you might want to shoot the first thing you see because you might not see it again.
So, like, straight up, like, to exactly
That's
what
awesome.
you just said,
Well,
man.
I love that you're telling the story that way. I like the podcast. I've listened to every one of your podcasts. I like the ones where you're by yourself and you're telling those stories because I think it takes a special type of person to sit here on the mic by themselves and tell a story.
Bro.
That's a whole nother level. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
Definitely go and subscribe to Retire to Hunt, right?
Retire
the
to
number
Hunt.
2
Yeah.
Hunt. Go retire to hunt. Go subscribe to that. It's good stuff, man. Josh, we got to wrap this up, man.
Yeah, sure.
We set a record here. 2 bottles of tequila,
Yeah.
3 hours and 40 minutes already, and I'm sure we're gonna
Perfect.
go a little bit longer. But yeah, go subscribe to that. Anything that we can do to help you here, man.
Thank you very much,
I'm all
man.
about it, man. It's a community. I definitely want to have you back, man. We could have done. We could go 6
bro.
hours, no
Yeah,
problem,
for sure.
right? But
For
you got a
sure.
life outside of this. I do too. So yeah, man. I appreciate you being on. Before we jump off, what do you got coming up next? You got some podcasts coming out. You got some people lined up. You got some hunts lined up, I'm sure.
Man, I got a bunch of hunts lined up. You know, obviously it's what are we in, like mid-May almost? Or sorry, March by now.
Yeah.
So got a lot of turkey hunts coming up. Got some spring bear hunts. April 3rd, I leave for Florida for Osceolas. I'll be down there with my good buddy Brandon Linder, who I've been
Nice.
sitting here raving about. He's got some property down there, so hopefully kill me 2 more Osceolas. Killed 2 last year down there. Hopefully some hogs. Do some high-speed
Is an
wahoo
Osceola
fishing.
a bird or is it?
So so in the North America, there's a bunch of different slams. Number 1 being the Grand Slam, which means an Eastern turkey, which is all southeast, all the way to Kansas,
Okay.
middle of Texas type deal. Eastern, Osceola, Rio, and Merriam's.
Oh, so they're a turkey.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
There-
okay,
a couple
cool.
different species of turkey.
I don't know. I'm not a big turkey hunter. Like,
Dude, it's so
I think
fun,
it's about
man.
the closest thing that you can get to elk, though.
100% agree with
Because
that.
my kid's been hitting me up. He's like, Dad, I want to hunt elk. I'm like, well, maybe we should go turkey hunting.
Dude,
first,
I would
yeah.
start with turkey.
Yeah.
So to get a Grand Slam, you get those 4 species. To get what's called a Super Slam, you add in a species called the Goulds, which the Goulds turkey is only found in extreme southern New Mexico and extreme, if you want to look it up, it's Goulds. Extreme southern Arizona and extreme southern New Mexico. That's the only place you can go hunt them. So that's your Super Slam. And if you want to get what's called a World Slam, which is all the turkey species, you go to the Yucatan Peninsula, Central America, and you hunt what's called the ocellated turkey. That's the other turkey species that exists. But for me, I'm chasing the Grand Slam, and what I'm missing is the Eastern. So I need to get out to either
Damn,
Tennessee.
it's like first base, second base,
Yeah,
third base.
Exactly, man. So I'm going out to far southeastern Kansas to hopefully fill my Eastern to get a Grand Slam. I don't know if I'll ever hunt Goulds. I don't really give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's bad. Like, it's cool. Like, it's a cool species, but, like, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't pay no $1,000 it is to go hunt them. But, you know, if somebody hits me up like, oh, I got a bunch of Goulds, I'd be like, well, shit, let's roll. But point being, I'm going to go down to Florida, start with Osceola this year. Florida's actually already open. It's the first place in the country that opens up for turkey.
Okay.
Florida's opened up. I'm going to go down there the 3rd, hopefully kill a couple Osceolas, kill a couple hogs, catch a couple fish, come back. I'm actually supposed to be black bear hunting in Wyoming, spring black bear with Christy Titus and her husband.
Nice.
Supposed to be going out there hunting with them. I've also got Wyoming on the docket for turkey, South Dakota. I'm guiding in Nebraska for a couple days. Long story short, I hunt a really good piece of private land. Dude, it's a layup for turkeys. Anyway, the guy's like, look, you know I don't ask you for anything, but I'd love it if you'd let me auction off a hunt with you for 2 guys for turkey on this piece. I was like, dude, all day. Like, let's do it. Dude,
Hell
somebody
yeah.
paid $3,800 to come out there and hunt Nebraska turkeys, man, with me. So I'm going to fly out there the first week of shotgun.
That's cool.
Hopefully guide them on at least 1 bird apiece. and then hopefully shoot my one Nebraska bird. They changed up the way they allocate the tags this year because so many new people are trying to get in and hunt Nebraska. They had to put a cap on it. So, like, it's 10 or 30,000, I can't remember, is the amount of non-resident tags. But once that amount was bought, that was over. Dude, you can't get a non-resident tag right now for Nebraska. It's been sold out since like a week into being allowed to buy the tags, right? So I got to go up there, hopefully kill my bird. And then Wyoming opens up on the 20th. I've got a really cool guy. His name's Sean Madden. He's with Cattle Country Video, who they were the pioneers of video cattle auctioning. And so obviously, worth a lot of money and done very, very well for themselves up in Wyoming. Dude, they know all the landowners from Torrington, Wyoming to Ekalaka, Montana. And so I'm going to be going up there and hopefully killing – it's actually a Rio turkey. It's in Torrington, Wyoming, which is river bottom country. Usually most of Wyoming is Merriam's, but this river bottom country, there's some Rios, and that's what I'm going to be hunting up there. I got an invite to Idaho for spring bear. I don't think I'm going to have enough time.
You are really retired,
I don't think I got time to get out to him, but I also got another guy in New York that wants to get me out to shoot at Eastern. But, I mean, I'll be honest. If I shoot my Eastern in Kansas, I'll be full on it. Nice. So I probably won't get out there. But it's one of those things, if I don't kill in Kansas and then like a week later he's like, dude, I got birds, I'll fly out there and hopefully shoot my Eastern. But, dude, I got a bunch of hunts coming up. I got a bunch of podcasts coming out. The one that I want to put out, dude, was with – I'll just break it. Brandon Linder was back on, who was my first repeat offender, first guy I've ever had back on again. But, like, there's a lot of – and I'm sure you know this. You've been doing this a long time. Dude, I was doing it remotely, and there's a lot of, like, shit in the audio.
It sucks, man.
Dude, it sucks, man.
I have to do it sometimes just because I want to have these people on so bad, and it's like we've been talking for a while, and we can never – I always try to wait for the opportunity to do it in person, but we don't live in a major city, right? We're kind of out in the sticks, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're close to Denver, but still, it's a feat, right? So,
sure.
Yeah, I can put you onto some stuff too that helps with that too.
Perfect.
Because I struggled with that for a long time, and I feel like I actually have a system down now where it actually comes out pretty decent.
Okay.
It's not 100%. The part that I struggle with it is the human connection, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm big about that, and that's my favorite thing about podcasting.
Yeah.
And I feel like we almost lose it. And if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, it's really hard, right?
100%.
I try not to do it too much, but sometimes, like, if somebody big comes up, like we just did one with Jason Loftus a couple weeks ago.
That sounds familiar.
The most amazing wildlife photographer I know firsthand.
Okay.
Like, he's definitely a mentor for me in that space. Like, as much as I enjoy hunting, I enjoy picking up my camera and going out and photographing animals too. And he's just amazing. Untamed Images on Instagram.
Okay.
Pull them up real quick, Jeremy.
Untamed Images.
Look at some of these bulls, man, that he shot. Or if you go to my page, if you just go to home, I posted a photo, or reposted a photo of him, one of his bulls that he shot here in Rocky Mountain National Park. And the guy, I think that they're just as much of an advocate for showcasing wildlife and their beauty and that sort of thing as hunters are, or whatever, Like, they truly care about the animals as well, and he's a bow hunter himself. So, look at some of these photos, man.
I've seen that photo to the right with the bull in the dark. Bull? Dude, I've seen that.
It's so dope, man. He is.
Look at that ram.
Yeah. So this was that bull Brutus that was running outside of Moraine Park that just died a couple years ago, and I'm kicking myself in the ass. But, like, from a photography standpoint and him being a mentor, there's his reel. He posted our mountainside reel on his page, which is super dope.
Incredible, yeah.
But yeah, I'm so fortunate to have him on. It was like you having Randy Newberg on.
Sure,
right? This is somebody I followed and looked up to for a long time. So, like, obviously when that opportunity comes up, I'm going to do it virtually no matter what, right? Whoever 100%. It is. So, yeah.
Yep.
So it's super dope. But I can point you in the right direction on some platforms that we use and stuff, man. And they're inexpensive and they work really well. And as long as you have the right interfaces and stuff set up, it works pretty good. So,
perfect, man.
Yeah. So we'll
Dude,
get you
how
on
crazy is that?
Yeah, that's insane. What's that,
he's a
ringneck?
big duck guy too, man. He loves shooting waterfowl, and I think he's a duck hunter himself. So we should connect you two, man. You should have him on your podcast.
I'd love to meet him, man.
He's actually got a podcast. It's Wild and Exposed. It's all
Okay.
wildlife photographers and documenters and stuff that do all kinds of stuff, videography guys, and he's just an incredible dude, man. Good salt of the earth person too.
Insane shots.
And he
Look at
spends a
that.
ton of time in the wilderness, right? And really more time than hunters do, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Behind the lens, chasing these big bulls and stuff like that. Like,
That's like, so for instance, like I was telling you, Kafaru's been very good to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, that means, Aaron Snyder's been very good to me. I know I'm a great guy. He's gotten into the wildlife photography up in Wyoming, and like some of the pictures he's taken of the bison and stuff like that, like it's like, I'd damn near rather have this picture than to shoot this damn
I
thing.
love
Like,
it,
this is
man.
incredible.
I love it. I'd love to show you some of my photos. I'd love to come out and photograph some of your stuff.
Yeah,
too, man.
for sure.
So let's do that. Let's get up to American Bowman. Let's shoot
All right.
sometime, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're right down the. You remember up
Dude,
there?
I'm
yeah?
20 minutes from American Bowman, bro.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Fucking go, dude. I
Get
love
Scott
it up
out
there.
there.
We're gonna bring Jeremy too. So
Perfect.
all right.
I'll take pictures.
Well, Josh, man, this has been a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
For sure.
You're right down the road. You're welcome here anytime, man. If you need any help podcasting wise, I'm always here for you. So
Thank you, man.
so yeah, man.
Thank you so much for having
glad
me.
to
dude.
have you, and I'm glad we finally got you in here.
For sure, man. We shot the shit for a long time, man.
Yeah,
It was
man.
fun as hell.
And we set some records on the mountainside here. So
We're almost at 4 hours.
yeah, hell yeah.
Holy shit.
All right, bro. Anything you want to close with?
Dude, that's it, man. Listen, if you guys want to check me out, just look me up on IG, man, at highcountry_jaywalk.
Yeah, hell yeah. Definitely go give him a follow.
Yeah, check
Let's
me
get
out,
that.
man. If you don't want to see dead stuff and stuff like that, you probably shouldn't check in because it's a lot more of that than even football. But, check me out at highcountry_jaywalk. Check out the show at Retired to Hunt. It's pretty much anywhere you can get the podcast and stuff like that. But, yeah, check me out, man. Like I said, I take a lot of pride in it. It's a super cool thing for me just to be able to put stuff out. Like I said, I'm typically a DIY guy, so people really appreciate the fact of you're going to get to see the little stuff of going to the gas station, getting my coffee in the morning, and all that little stuff. So, it's a cool little deal, man. I'm really enjoying it.
I do. I appreciate that myself personally. So
Yeah.
thank you, brother.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. This has been fun, man.
Been a
Nice to
pleasure,
meet you.
dude.
All right.
Pleasure, man.
Let's wrap this thing up. Jeremy, good?
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Everybody, thank you for listening. Go follow Jaywalk or Outdoors Jaywalk.
High Country Jaywalk. High
sorry.
Country
High
_Jaywalk.
Country Okay.
Yep.
And definitely subscribe to the podcast as well.
Hell yeah.
Retire to Hunt on Spotify, all that. See ya.
Hey, shit was good.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.